A slave trader recalls a day when a strange couple came to see him. He assumed they were buying, but they actually wanted to sell their newborn baby. Even he had his limits and refused, questioning what kind of parents they were. But then a wealthy nobleman nearby suddenly offered to buy the child himself. The man was notorious for traveling the world to recruit fighters for his arena. The parents handed over the baby without a second thought and quickly departed. The trader thought the parents were awful, but the nobleman was even crazier. We learn the nobleman is obsessed with finding the world's strongest slave. Stronger fighters mean more entertaining matches, which brings in a lot of money. He complains that most slaves are weak, even prisoners of war are not good enough. The nobleman realized the baby's father was no ordinary man. He could tell at a glance the guy was a general-level warrior from a powerful empire. That was exactly the kind of genetic stock he needed, but he could not understand why a true warrior would ever sell his own child. His confusion quickly turned into a manic golden opportunity. He bought the baby and immediately threw him into the gladiator pits. Then he went to his current arena champion with a new assignment. He ordered the champion to raise the child, but the fighter knew it was a death sentence. The brutal environment was absolutely no place for an infant to survive. And yet the child endured. The child just ate and tried to move. The champion realized this was no ordinary kid and decided to actually raise him. The boy was a prodigy, learning everything almost instantly. He even started figuring things out all on his own. As the boy grew up in that violent world, the champion could no longer understand what was going on in his head. He saw the truth during the boy's first official arena match. The kid's combat style was something else entirely. His mentor had never seen such perfect, flawless fighting before. That was not what he'd been taught, it was something far more terrifying. The boy's style used everything in the arena. His mentor realized he was just born different. Eventually, the champion's own time was up. As he lay dying, his strength depleted, the boy he raised suddenly rushed into the ring. But looking at the kid, he saw the truth. He had raised a monster. The boy unleashed a terrifying power. Abandoned by his parents, he now lost his guardian too, but he survived, growing into an adult in the arena. Meanwhile, a student is led by his senior to what he is told is an arena. Inside, it is just a massive gambling den. The student gets a really bad feeling about this place. He realizes it is an illegal gambling den and freaks out about getting caught. His senior scoffs, explaining it is a perfectly legal arena for slave fights. He calls his friend a coward and tries to pull him along. But the student stops dead in his tracks. He refuses to go any further. He says he came to university for academics, not for these kinds of activities. He's going back to school to pay his tuition instead. But his senior suddenly reveals he is holding the student's money bag. The student absolutely loses his mind, seeing his tuition has already been thrown onto a gambling table. His senior just laughs it off, saying once the bet is in, it is done. He even points out that he bet his own tuition money right alongside it. Now they are both locked in and have to see what happens to their cash. The student is crushed, thinking about how hard he worked to get into university. He remembers his father, who was so proud of him for pursuing an education, and his little sister, who always looked up to him as her hero. He also recalls his mother, who sacrificed everything for him. The student desperately prays he will get his tuition money back. He even swears he will cut ties with his scummy senior for good, but his senior is completely unbothered by his friend's panic. Down below, the arena is being prepared for the match. The fighting pit is surrounded by a wall of sharp spikes. It is a grim stage set for a deadly show. The senior just tells him to cheer up like it is no big deal. An announcer then steps forward to introduce the first contestant. He is a captured warrior from the northern warlands, now forced to fight as a slave. The crowd roars for the newcomer known as the Death Bringer. The crowd goes absolutely wild. His senior is impressed by how fierce the warrior looks, but the student is just horrified by the whole scene. He sees the arena spikes are covered in old blood. The smell is so strong it is making him sick. He cannot believe they are actually watching this for fun. He desperately asks if they bet on the Death Bringer, but his senior says no, they bet on someone called Happy Face. The student is confused since that name sounds incredibly weak. Just then, the announcer introduces the next contestant. The student assumes Happy Face must be an ironic name for a terrifying monster. The announcer just hypes up the crowd, who are already going wild, chanting happy. The student is totally confused by the strange atmosphere. He looks down into the fighting pit as the announcer introduces a kid with a massive, cheerful grin. The student is just completely speechless. He cannot believe what he is seeing. The Happy Face is standing in the arena with no armor, and he is not even wearing any shoes. He has got clean skin and a youthful face, and he is smiling like he has no idea where he is. The student completely loses it, screaming that this is not right. He is convinced the kid is sick or something, with totally unfocused eyes. Worse, he has no equipment, which is basically sending him out to die. He cannot believe the crowd is just smiling at this whole insane situation. Even the Deathbringer is confused, wondering if this is some kind of test, but he quickly decides it does not matter what the organizers are planning. His goal was always to eliminate everyone here and leave this place for good. With that, he charges forward, bringing his club down for the first strike, but Happy Face catches the massive club with his bare hands. The weapon shatters, sending the warrior flying into the spikes. The student is so horrified he cannot even look. He thinks it is finally over, seeing the kid lying on the ground, but to his absolute shock, Happy Face starts getting up again. The student begs him to stay down, sure he will die if he continues. He desperately wants the kid to just run away from the fight. He screams that he should at least ask for a weapon. The student yells for it all to stop. Finally, he just turns away, unable to watch another second. The student William flashes back to a harsh lesson from his father. He remembers looking down at people kept in a cage. As a child, he argued that it was unfair, that everyone deserved a chance. But his father coldly explained that some people are simply born slaves. He was told to ignore their suffering and focus on their own family's ambition. His father insisted that was the only path that mattered for them. The memory snaps him back to the present arena. His horror and disgust begin to change. William grips the railing with a new resolve. He finally looks down into the pit, forcing himself to watch. His senior scoffs, asking if he is really this upset over money. Down in the pit, the Deathbringer gets back to his feet. He tells the kid not to blame him for what is coming. Then he swings his massive club for the finishing blow. His face is set with grim determination. William screams from the stands, thinking it is all over. But in that instant, he makes eye contact with Happy. The kid is still smiling while holding onto the spikes. William cannot comprehend what he is seeing. The club smashes into the dirt where Happy Face used to be. Happy dodges the club with impossible speed, then lands a brutal kick right to the warrior's face. The Deathbringer is completely stunned by the counter. William cannot believe what just happened. But his senior just smirks like he expected it. The entire crowd is frozen in total shock. A loud crack echoes through the arena, followed by dead silence. But William suddenly feels a strange thrill watching the fight. The silence breaks as the crowd erupts into a massive cheer. And Happy Face just grins, ready to go again. Happy Face unleashes a brutal, one-sided beatdown. William can only watch, completely frozen in shock. The kid is relentless, landing blow after blow. William's grip tightens on the railing, his knuckles white. He is witnessing absolute, terrifying domination. Happy Face winds up for one final, decisive strike, slamming the Deathbringer into the ground. The warrior is completely out of it. He lies motionless in the dirt, the fight over. The announcer declares the winner is Happy Face, who has still got that creepy smile. The crowd erupts, chanting for Happy. Someone congratulates William and offers him his winnings. He is just relieved to get his tuition money back, but he is only handed a single copper coin. William is completely stunned by the tiny payout. He turns to his senior for an explanation. His friend explains Happy has a 99.9% win rate, so the payout is basically nothing. He just hands back their original tuition money, completely untouched. Then he smirks, asking if William wants to watch more matches. William just stares, completely at a loss for words. The next few matches were just as brutal as William expected. They were cruel and barbaric displays of violence. He could not take it and left in less than 10 minutes. William went straight back to school to pay his tuition and tried to fall back into his normal study routine. He is a top student with several academic awards, but he cannot focus, snapping his quill in frustration. The memory of the arena is stuck in his head. His hands are shaking too much to even write. That one brutal fight has completely rattled him. He keeps staring at the single copper coin he won. William tries to study late into the night, but eventually just gives up and blows out the candle. He heads to bed, hoping to forget everything. But the images from the arena keep him wide awake. Soon his room transforms into the bloody fighting pit. He is haunted by the memory of Happy Face's eyes. That terrifying, relentless smile fills his nightmare. William suddenly jolts awake with a gasp. He is covered in sweat, realizing it is already morning. The next morning begins, and William Sr. is back at school with his friends. But then William suddenly appears behind him. The senior is completely terrified by his haggard appearance. With dark, hollow eyes, William asks if they're going back to the arena today. Meanwhile, back in the gladiator holding cells, the Deathbringer finally jolts awake. Another fighter tells him he has been out cold and has another match coming up. He is still completely dazed from the brutal fight. All he can think about is Happy Face, who is already back to his intense training. The other fighter explains Happy Face adjusts his skill level for each opponent. It is how he keeps the fights entertaining without actually killing anyone. But the Deathbringer just scoffs, saying he let his guard down. He claims if he fought for real, Happy Face would be dead. The other guy just finds this hilarious. He points to the disposal area, saying that is where he'd really be. The Deathbringer gets furious and confronts him, but Happy Face suddenly interrupts, telling them to save it for the arena. The Deathbringer immediately snaps to attention, terrified. He bows his head in total submission to the kid. A new gladiator watches Happy training. He scoffs, thinking this kid cannot be the big shot. The guy's so arrogant he thinks Happy is trembling in fear of him. He dismisses Happy's last win as pure luck, calling everyone weak. He realizes this is the perfect place for him to take over. With a plan to become the new boss, he calls out to Happy. He walks right up and asks how a kid like him ended up here. Happy just smiles and says his father sold him at birth. The guy is stunned to hear he grew up in the arena, taught by the others. He then asks why his supposed teachers are all trembling before him. Happy Face suddenly corrects himself, taking off his shirt. He reveals a body absolutely covered in scars, explaining that his so-called teachers are all long dead. The arrogant newcomer starts sweating bullets. Happy complains that now there is no one left to give him a real challenge, just a constant stream of new people, and he points right at the new guy. He explains his job is to test newcomers by deliberately getting hurt to make the fight look close. The newcomer is completely stunned by this revelation. He realizes the brutal fight he just witnessed was all just an act. Happy Face just grins wider at him, and the new guy finally understands his mistake. He looks around at the other terrified gladiators. He screams, realizing Happy was just toying with him. The newcomer grabs Happy by the shoulder, but Happy just says there is no need to fight during breaks. He calmly explains they are all going to die here anyway. Then with a polite "excuse me," he throws a punch. The blow sends the arrogant newcomer flying. He smashes right through a training dummy. The other gladiators just say everyone's arrogant at first. Meanwhile, William now has his own arena pass. He is confused by the nickname on it, Iron Face. His senior cannot go today, so he gives William his pass and betting money. He even gives him exact instructions on who to bet on for him. William admits he just wanted to see Happy's match one more time, so he heads back to the arena, blending in with the crowd. The scene then cuts to a gravedigger's house. An old man tells his apprentice Sagar to come with him. Their job is to go collect the bodies from the Lucasstian Eye arena. The gravedigger and Sagar arrive at the arena. The old man sees the aftermath, doubting one cart is enough, but Sagar confidently says he will stack them well. His boss is impressed, calling him reliable even though he is new. As Sagar starts his work, he picks up one of the bodies. He suddenly notices something strange about the wrist. His eyes widen as he takes a closer look. He examines the unusual bruises on the man's body. He realizes nearly all the bodies have the exact same kind of marks. Judging by the shape, he deduces they were all made by bare fists. Sagar realizes the wounds on these bodies are old, not from the final fight. He is confused why a weapon-based arena has so many signs of bare-handed combat. Suddenly, his boss urgently calls him over to see something. Sagar rushes over to see what the old man found. The gravedigger points to a specific corpse, identifying it as a royal family member. He explains it matches a missing person notice, identified by moles and teeth. They are horrified to realize a royal who vanished a month ago ended up here. Sagar immediately decides to report this to the lord and church officials, but as he turns to leave, the old man stops him. He warns Sagar that reporting this could put both of them in serious danger. The old man warns him the king would just assume they're grave robbers. He thinks it is much safer to quietly bury the body and forget everything. Sagar just stands there silent, but then he turns to his master, declaring that justice must be served even if it costs him his own life. He promises he will be back and walks off. The old man cannot stop him and just mutters that he hired poorly. Meanwhile, William realizes if Sagar succeeds, everyone at the arena will be executed. He clutches his pass, determined to see the fight just one more time. William is determined to see Happy's match one last time. Just then, the sky suddenly darkens. Elsewhere, a woman notices the storm and goes to bring in her laundry, but as she opens the door, she freezes. She sees something completely unexpected. Her entire yard is filled with armored soldiers. She is shocked to realize the royal knights are here. Their commander leads the charge with a grim look. They have completely surrounded the Lucasstian Eye arena. He roars that a royal family murderer is hiding inside. The commander orders his knights to capture everyone using lethal force if they resist. As the soldiers storm the arena, the crowd inside begins to panic. William is caught in the chaos, realizing this is the end for them, but the announcer just ignores it all to start the main event. He tries to get the terrified audience hyped up. He asks if they remember the serial killer who terrorized their village a month ago. The crowd immediately recognizes who he is talking about. There was the infamous nocturnal demon that even the guards could not stop, and now that same killer has been brought here to fight. His first opponent is, of course, the one and only Happy Face. William cannot believe the infamous murderer is actually here. The announcer introduces the nocturnal demon to the arena. The killer is ecstatic, seeing this place as a paradise for his hobby. Meanwhile, the Royal Knight's commander prepares to make his move. He steps into the gladiator area and Happy Face takes notice. The commander is furious, wondering how a death row inmate is fighting here. He deduces the arena owner must have powerful connections within the kingdom. The nocturnal demon turns to face the heavily armed knight. His eyes widen in surprise, but he is looking past the knight at a door that just opened. The nocturnal demon is furious they even gave him a weapon, taking it as a personal invitation to go absolutely wild. But Happy Face just grabs the commander's mace, and with one clean swing sends the killer flying. Meanwhile, the announcer is still wondering where his main event fighter is. The crowd starts getting restless, thinking the whole thing was a lie, but then someone points down into the gladiator area. Everyone is stunned to see a royal knight standing there with Happy. Just then, the arena owner makes his grand entrance, roaring for attention. He commands every single person in the building to kneel. The commander announces everyone is being arrested as suspects in a royal's murder. The crowd panics and one man tries to fight his way out of the arrest. He is immediately struck down for resisting. The commander roars that the king has ordered all who resist to be killed. With no choice, everyone in the arena kneels, including William, but the commander notices the arena owner is still standing defiantly. He then sees Happy Face is also on his feet, smiling at him. The commander angrily asks if he finds this whole situation amusing. Happy's eyes just glow for a moment. Then he drops to the ground and starts doing push-ups of all things. The arena owner scoffs at the commander's constant orders. Happy Face grabs the commander's mace, digging his feet deep into the ground. He starts to swing the massive weapon, but the commander realizes he stopped mid-motion. In a flash, Happy is already behind him. He throws a punch with a terrifying grin, and the commander sees it coming too late. The blow sends the knight flying across the floor. Everyone, including the other soldiers, is completely stunned. Happy's punch sends the commander flying. The knight can only curse as he is thrown back. Another soldier immediately grips his weapon and swings down hard on Happy Face, but the commander realizes Happy anticipated the attack before it was even swung. He is standing way too close for the weapon to be effective, and it is too late for him to dodge the blow, but it is the perfect opening for Happy to throw a counterpunch. He drives his fist forward, shattering the halberd's shaft. The second knight goes flying just like his commander. William stares, completely stunned. Another knight steps up to attack Happy, his eyes narrowing with deadly focus. William cannot believe he withstood the last hit. The soldier swings his massive halberd down, putting his entire body into the strike, but the weapon just smashes into empty ground. The knight looks around, completely confused. Happy has already dodged and lands a brutal kick. The soldier is completely blindsided by the attack. The arena owner smirks down at the defeated commander. Suddenly, archers fire a volley at Happy Face. He is riddled with arrows and collapses to the ground. The other knights can only watch in horror from behind the gate. The commander is completely lost, unable to process what is happening. He cannot understand who this kid could possibly be. But Happy Face is still smiling, even with an arrow in his neck. The commander looks over at the fallen gladiator, feeling like the kid is mocking him even in death. He is furious that Happy seems to be enjoying this humiliation to the very end. The knight prepares to finish Happy off for good, but the arena owner screams for him to stop. He runs down, getting the knight's attention. The owner begs Lukastian, the knight, to spare him. He explains Happy only fought because he thought it was a match. Since he has never left the arena, he sees anyone in armor as a challenger. Just then, Happy's hand twitches. His eyes suddenly snap open. The owner quickly claims that smile is just from a childhood disability. He says Happy's facial nerves are damaged, freezing his expression. The knight does not believe a word of it, but the owner insists that Happy has always been this way. Because of his expression, everyone thought he was just a cheerful baby. He was even smiling when he was abandoned and looking for his parents. He kept that same smile even when he was getting seriously injured. He even looked happy while the man who raised him died right in front of him. For this reason, he was called a demon and constantly attacked in prison. But he always survived because he was just naturally talented at fighting back. The owner remembers seeing the aftermath of these brutal encounters. He claims he has watched Happy's entire life, knowing this kind of thing happens again and again. The owner recalls seeing Happy's same smile even as a kid. He explains the boy cannot express his true feelings of fear and despair, but no one ever believes the truth about him. He tells the knight to look, saying Happy smiles even in pain. The strange charisma captivated the crowds, who kept coming back for more. The owner admits he was also drawn in, which is why he is here now. He declares this is his way of repaying Happy for all the joy he has provided. He looks down at the fallen gladiator with a strange resolve, but the knight just calls it nonsense since everyone is going to die anyway. Suddenly, the arena owner lunges forward to attack the knight himself. Afterward, Lukastian confessed and was executed with the arena operators. The gallows were even set up right below the king's balcony. The sight apparently did little to calm the king's anger. Meanwhile, in the prison awaiting execution day, William overhears another prisoner panicking about their turn. He cannot understand how he ended up on death row. He just breaks down, begging to be spared. Suddenly, a calm voice asks if he is okay. William looks up to see Happy Face sitting with him. He completely freaks out, wondering when he even got there. Happy explains he has been locked up with William since yesterday. He was just quietly watching William have a complete meltdown. William is so out of it he did not even notice him there. He suddenly remembers seeing Happy get riddled with arrows. He asks how he is even okay after taking all those hits. Happy just says he pretended to be hurt and played dead. William cannot believe what he is hearing, but Happy insists he is fine. He remembers the owner's story about Happy's damaged facial nerves. William asks if, despite the smile, he is actually scared right now. Happy cheerfully admits he is terrified because they are about to die. William is still trying to process their situation. Happy Face points out that William's terrified expression does not match his actions. William snaps back, asking if he thinks this is funny, but Happy just says it is okay because everyone is like that. William slowly starts to calm down a little. He cannot believe he is actually relaxing on death row. Just being with this guy is somehow making his fear fade away. Suddenly, a guard announces the king has issued a new order. Any prisoner whose family can prove their innocence will be set free, but anyone who cannot prove their origins will be executed immediately. Just then, William's family arrives, calling out his name. They have an emotional reunion, and he can only apologize. His little brother is completely confused about where they are. From his cell, Happy Face watches the entire scene unfold. He just stares, completely silent. William turns back and calls out to Happy. The sight triggers a sudden memory from his childhood. His father once explained this is how people without families live. The lesson clearly stuck with him. He was told they are slaves by birth, their lives predetermined from the start. Happy Face remembers his father's words, but William insists that being an orphan is not a death sentence. He grabs Happy's arm, trying to pull him to safety with his family. William tells everyone to stop talking and just follow him out. He realizes he has not changed at all since he was a kid, still feeling too weak to actually change anything on his own. He is completely frustrated by his own powerlessness, but Happy just smiles, telling him that it is okay. William turns back, completely stunned by his calm acceptance. Happy Face has chosen to stay behind in the cell. An official watches families reunite. A guard reports that all the innocent prisoners have been released. The rest are headed for the gallows except for one special case. Apparently, the late Lord Lukastian registered a contestant as a church member. Thanks to a huge donation, this person will be a slave for life instead of executed. The king has already approved it, so the official asks who it is. The guard explains the person has no real name, only a contestant title. The name he gives is Happy Face. The official finally understands Lukashchen's last act was to save the boy. He is left wondering what kind of person could inspire such devotion. 1 week later, we are at a slave market. Happy Face is locked in a cage making strange noises. A customer wonders why the new slave will not stop laughing. The seller says no one will buy him since even the church sold him off for nothing. Suddenly, an old woman arrives and asks to buy a child. The seller is confused, telling her they do not have any children. She points to Happy Face, saying she means the one who is crying so sadly. The seller is confused since Happy looks completely unhinged, but the old woman just stares and insists she will take him. For a moment, the seller sees what she sees, a crying boy. A young woman learns her grandmother bought a slave. She is worried her grandma is now home alone with him. Her grandfather explains they are getting old and need the help. But she argues it is too dangerous to trust a stranger like that. He insists the grandma is a good judge of character, but she decides to visit tomorrow. She needs to see for herself if this new person can be trusted. Meanwhile, the old woman brings Happy Face to her home to get cleaned up. His stomach suddenly growls loudly. She is furious, realizing his previous owners did not even feed him. She tells him to go wash up while she prepares some food. The old woman explains that from tomorrow on he has to work for his food. Happy Face immediately asks if she means fighting. He is genuinely confused by the concept. She tells him not to say such frightening things, explaining his job is just chores like washing dishes and gathering firewood. With that settled, she tells him to go wash up. He gets undressed to take a bath, stepping into the warm water, but the simple act triggers a brutal memory from his past. He snaps out of it, completely baffled by the flashback. He feels the warm water sinking into the bath and experiences this comfort for the first time ever. It feels like all his past pain is finally washing away. Afterward, he is given clean, warm clothes and the old woman has prepared a hot meal. He sits down to eat in her cozy home. She even gently tends to his many scars. The woman wonders what kind of people hurt him so badly. But he suddenly interrupts her, calling her master. The woman gently tells him to just call her grandmother. He looks up, completely stunned by the word. She just asks him what he needs. He timidly asks if he can go outside. After a moment of silence, she agrees. He steps out, reaching for the open sky. His eyes fill with the light of the world. The sight triggers a memory of him as a child in a cell. The man who raised him told him the world outside was huge. He explained that with freedom, Happy could go anywhere at all. Happy Face looks back with a smile, taking in the sight of his new home. The old woman tells him that if he wants to leave, he can. She admits she is too old to stop him anyway, but he walks right back in, saying he has seen everything he needs to. As he walks across the floor, his steps trigger another memory from his childhood. He remembers being held as a baby and calling someone dad. The man who held him was crying. Back in the present, the old woman watches him with tears in her eyes. Happy Face says he is ready to start working right away. The old woman just smiles warmly at him. Just then, her husband arrives home for the evening. He stops short, completely confused by the new person. Happy Face just cheerfully welcomes him home. The old man asks his wife why she brought home a grown man, not a child. She insists that he is a child and there is nothing wrong. Her husband is flustered, worrying what their granddaughter will say tomorrow. But he decides to just welcome Happy Face into the family. Happy Face agrees, his usual smile finally gone. Happy Face experiences the warmest day of his life, sharing a genuine smile with his new family. But that same night, a rock shatters a window, cutting to William, whose life is falling apart. He is experiencing the coldest day of his life, surrounded by hateful messages. Within a week, the story of the arena incident has spread all over his school. He is labeled a criminal, accused of enjoying the sight of a royal's death. Because of the rumors, all of his school awards are confiscated. His scholarship is cut, and with an expulsion hearing scheduled, everyone abandons him. William is left to face his future completely alone. William watches his father beg the school officials for just one more chance. He can only look on in shame, but the official just walks away. Desperate, William runs to his senior's house to return the arena pass. He pounds on the door, screaming that he is innocent and was not involved. The door finally cracks open. William looks up with a sliver of hope, but his senior just glares at him. The senior coldly tells him they were never close and to get lost. William is left completely shattered. The senior just laughs, accusing William of trying to frame him. Completely broken, William grabs a brick. He swings it right at the senior's head, but the other students grab his arm just in time. They hold him back, shocked he'd try to attack someone again. The senior smugly tells him his expulsion is now confirmed. In a last act of defiance, William spits at him. The others just call him trash and start dragging him out. That night, William gets kicked out of the dormitory. Unable to face his family, he wanders into the mountains alone. William breaks down, apologizing to his parents for his failure. Suddenly, Happy Face appears, asking if he is okay. William is completely stunned to see him. He asks how Happy is alive, who just says he was hungry. Happy then cheerfully offers him a mushroom. William points out it is poisonous and Happy realizes he almost died. Meanwhile, a group of men are watching them from the bushes. They are trying to figure out if William is their target. One of them is certain he is a noble from the university. They dismiss Happy as just some dim-witted servant nobles keep around. The men decide William is their target, expecting a big payday in gold. Meanwhile, William asks Happy if he is now a slave for that grandmother. Happy explains she lets him go out as long as it is not during work hours. William realizes she must be a truly good person to be so considerate. Happy agrees, admitting he thought he was going to die before she saved him. He then asks William why he was crying in the mountains earlier. William just looks down, unable to answer. Suddenly, a voice asks what a young noble is doing on a dangerous path. Both of them turn toward the sound and find themselves surrounded by the armed men. William tells Happy to get down. Happy just watches as William immediately drops to the ground. William desperately begs for his life, offering up all his money. The bandits just look on, completely unimpressed. Their leader sarcastically praises his quick thinking, but he clarifies their real target is his parents, so he is being kidnapped. As they move to tie him up, William insists he is not even a noble. One of the men grabs Happy, who just keeps on smiling. But then Happy throws a punch, catching the guy completely off guard. The bandit goes down hard, out cold. The other bandits are completely confused. They wonder why their friend suddenly collapsed. Happy Face just keeps on smiling at them. Another bandit angrily accuses him of the attack. Happy calmly places a hand on the man's shoulder, then unleashes another devastating strike. The second guy goes down just as fast. The rest of the group is just stunned. Happy's smile now looks absolutely terrifying. Their leader screams for everyone to attack him at once. The remaining bandits rush in to attack, but Happy Face easily dodges and kicks one away. He drops to the ground, avoiding another swing. A second bandit goes down hard. He follows up with another brutal kick. The leader is completely stunned by the display. Happy Face just grabs one of their axes and shatters another man's weapon with a single swing. The leader can only watch in absolute terror. In seconds, the entire group is defeated and begging for their lives. William realizes Happy's smile made him forget something crucial. He suddenly remembers that Happy was a former arena champion. The surviving bandits just scream and run for their lives. Happy just watches them go, still smiling. William cannot believe he took down all those armed men with his bare hands. He then recalls Happy doing the exact same thing to the royal knight. He looks down, completely baffled. That is when he spots a wanted poster on the ground. It is an arrest notice for the exiled clowns, wanted for kidnapping and murder. But the reward listed on it leaves him absolutely stunned. William tells Happy those bandits were the infamous exile clowns. Happy has absolutely no idea what that means. William explains they are the biggest criminal organization in the entire kingdom. Their influence has grown so much the king put a bounty on all of them. He realizes the reward money is absolutely massive. An idea strikes him. They can turn the bandits in and collect the cash. He even offers to help Happy collect the bounty since he did all the work. But at the office, an official coldly informs them slaves cannot receive bounties. William insists Happy is his friend and that he will vouch for him. The official just says that does not change his status as a slave. William offers to put the bounty in his name, which the official accepts. The paperwork is processed, officially listing William as the capturer. He collects a hefty bag of cash. William gives the money to Happy, telling him to buy food at the market. Happy is grateful but admits he has absolutely no idea how to shop. William realizes just how little Happy knows about the outside world. He offers to teach him everything he can the next time they meet. As they walk, Happy is fascinated by everything he sees. William points out his house and promises they will meet again soon. The two part ways, waving goodbye like they have known each other for years. William stands alone in the street, his expression turning serious. He lets out a heavy sigh. The next morning arrives, bringing the day of his expulsion hearing. His parents watch, confused since they were told no one was hurt. But the senior he attacked is playing up his injury for the crowd. An official calls the hearing to order, promising a fair trial before delivering the verdict. But they immediately declare William guilty of assault and deserving of punishment. But the official suddenly changes his tune, announcing William will get a medal for defeating the infamous exile clowns. William is completely floored and his parents are just as confused. The senior who framed him cannot believe what is happening. By the king's order, William's crimes are forgiven and he is given another chance. The senior is furious, wondering how this could have possibly happened. He immediately assumes William's parents must have bribed the officials. He is convinced they paid to get their commoner son into a top university spot. His whole plan to get William expelled has just gone up in smoke. The story then flashes back to the previous night before Happy met William. That night, Happy could not sleep due to a strange, unknown pain. It felt like his entire body was being stabbed from the inside. After hours of this, he gets up to figure out the cause. He just assumes he is hungry and should go find something to eat. But it was not hunger. His body, conditioned by combat, was rejecting the peaceful environment. The fight with the bandits actually stabilized him, satisfying his body's need for conflict. Because of that, Happy wakes up feeling incredibly refreshed for the first time. He realizes it is the best he has slept since leaving the arena. Suddenly, a voice calls out, "Grandmother, I am back." The granddaughter has arrived and she is hugging the old woman tightly. The granddaughter asks her grandparents where the new kid is. Her grandma says he is inside, so the granddaughter reveals she brought a gift. She wants to make him feel welcome and calls out for the little one. And then Happy Face steps out of the house. She is so shocked she immediately drops the toy bird. It lands right there in the dirt. The granddaughter is completely speechless. She slowly realizes this grown man is the child her grandma adopted. He just waves and cheerfully introduces himself as Happy. The scene ends on their quiet little farmhouse. The granddaughter tells her grandfather she is scared of the grown man from the arena. But he just calmly suggests they watch him for a little while longer. From what he has seen so far, Happy seems like a good person. Besides, he is just glad to see his wife smiling so brightly again. Outside, Happy works cheerfully alongside the old woman. The grandfather notes he is the most vibrant person he has seen in ages. On top of that, the guy is an incredibly hard worker. Happy effortlessly carries a heavy barrel, asking where to put it. The grandfather admits he's been putting off that chore because of his bad back. The granddaughter just watches, still unsure what to think. The granddaughter starts chopping firewood, muttering that she could have done all this herself. She swings the axe, splitting a log in two. She keeps at it, working up a sweat. Just then, Happy strolls by carrying two heavy water buckets. She stops, asking if he already fetched the water. He cheerfully says yes and even prepared her bath. Happy then offers to take over the wood chopping so she can rest. She is surprised but just agrees, and he is happy to help. He sets down the buckets, ready for the next task. Happy just plops down to watch her work. She asks why he is just sitting there staring. He cheerfully explains he wants to learn since it is his job now. The granddaughter is actually a little impressed by his attitude. She tells him to watch and learn well then. She ties up her hair, getting ready to show off. With a powerful swing, she splits the log perfectly. Wood splinters fly through the air from the impact. They just look at each other in silence for a moment. She gets all flustered, trying to explain that you need small pieces for kindling. She winds up for a mighty swing and splits the log clean in two. It is a perfect cut, and she looks incredibly proud of herself. She excitedly asks if he saw that, and Happy cheers her on. From the window, her grandfather watches them getting along. He is just happy to see that despite her worries, she is clearly warming up to Happy. Just then, her grandmother walks over, telling her to stop chopping. The granddaughter is confused, asking if they do not have enough wood. But Grandma reveals Happy already chopped a literal mountain of it last night. The granddaughter is completely baffled, asking why he is still chopping wood. Happy says his shoulders hurt, so he wanted to learn her proper form. She gets flustered, saying he should have just told her he already did it all. As she freaks out, Grandma tells Happy he has worked hard enough and can rest. The granddaughter just scoffs as her grandmother thanks him for his work. Later that evening, the day winds down. Inside the house, everything is quiet. While bathing, she admits it is actually nice to have another person around. With all the chores done, the house finally feels much more comfortable. She dries her hair as Happy runs off. After her bath, she is finally all dried. She glances out the window, confused. She spots Happy running into the distance. She wonders where he could be going as it gets dark. Rushing to her grandparents, she asks if Happy left. Grandma says she gave him permission to go out freely. Her grandfather adds that he thinks Happy went out last night too. The granddaughter gets suspicious about his late-night business. Meanwhile, Happy is holding a bag of coins. Happy shows up at William's house. He cheerfully calls out his friend's name, but a little girl peeks out instead. Happy is a little confused to see her. She asks who is at the door. William quickly appears, telling his sister Ellie he is going out. The little girl asks where he is going so late. He tells her he is just heading to the library. She asks if Happy is his library friend, and William agrees. With that settled, the two friends head out for the night. William's a little surprised Happy showed up so fast. Happy asks if it is even okay for him to be out. William just smiles, saying of course it is. He starts to explain that it is no problem at all. After all, Happy saved his life, so anything is fine. William suggests they head to the market, but Happy has other plans. He says no, he wants to go here, and pulls out some papers. William is confused by the arrest notice for Iron Giant. He realizes Happy is holding a whole stack of wanted posters. Happy admits he wants to fight more guys like before, but he cannot read the locations. William is surprised Happy wants to go bounty hunting. Happy offers to split the money, but William just wants to repay his kindness. He was also drawn to Happy's fighting, which helps stop his nightly pain. Since it is a legal way to fight, the two begin meeting every night for their new gig. Happy eagerly asks if they will find a target for the day. William confirms he researched all night and grabs some new wanted posters. But as this continued, the granddaughter's suspicions back home were growing. She complains that Happy goes out with his friend every night instead of playing. Her grandparents can only watch as she storms off, saying she will be back. The toy bird she dropped now sits alone on the windowsill. The granddaughter finds something odd. It is a bag spilling over with coins. She is completely baffled, wondering what Happy is doing every night. Meanwhile, a new target is counting his treasure. He is the Iron Giant from the wanted posters. He has just wiped out an entire patrol of guards. He complains that security is way tighter because of the exile clowns. Soldiers used to just ignore him, but the kingdom is on high alert. With bounties posted, even amateurs are coming after his head. And speaking of amateurs, William is studying that exact poster. Happy excitedly cheers that William found their target, and they stand before the infamous Iron Giant. But William immediately senses something is wrong. He chose the lowest bounty, so he is confused why the area is littered with defeated guards. The Iron Giant just tells them to leave, thinking they are rookies who got lost. He explains the bounty was only placed on him because of the recent exile clown incident. William realizes this means he has been an active criminal this whole time. The bounty was low simply because no one was strong enough to catch him. Trying to de-escalate, William nervously says they will be on their way. But as he waves, his wanted posters are suddenly sliced to pieces. Happy leaps right at the Iron Giant and smashes his knee into the shield. The blow sends him to the ground. The Iron Giant is surprised he'd attack unarmed. He is certain the impact must have shattered Happy's knee. But Happy just gets up, limping and smiling. William is horrified seeing his friend injured. He screams at Happy that they need to run, but the Iron Giant says it is far too late. He brings his massive mace down on Happy. The Iron Giant says they should have left when he showed mercy. He brings his massive mace down with full force. The attack connects with a brutal impact, but Happy just barely dodges the blow. The Iron Giant keeps up the pressure, landing another devastating strike. He swings his huge weapon in a wide arc. and William can only watch in horror. Happy is finally knocked to the ground, completely overwhelmed, but William jumps in front of him, screaming for the giant to stop. The Iron Giant just stands there, confused. William admits he never saw Happy as cruel, just cool. He always believed Happy would win, which made him want to watch. William confesses he was just repaying Happy for getting him back into school, but he realizes this is not the arena and his judgment was flawed. He cries, apologizing for not researching the target and almost getting Happy killed. The Iron Giant just raises his mace, ready to end the speech, but Happy suddenly shoves William out of the way of the attack. He smiles down at him, saying he really is that kid from the arena. Then he reveals with a huge grin that his defeat was all an act. Happy kicks the mace from the giant's hand, leaving the Iron Giant completely stunned. He cannot believe Happy is perfectly fine. Happy just picks up the mace and calls out to William. He explains his former master, Lucastian, was obsessed with strength. After every win, Lucastian would just bring him even tougher fighters. But since he won too fast, the fights were not profitable and his master got annoyed. So he learned to pretend to struggle just to make the fights more entertaining. He'd analyze his opponents and fake being at a disadvantage to drag out the match. Then he smashes the mace right into the giant's shield. Happy just casually tosses the giant's mace, letting the weapon fall and it clatters onto the ground. The Iron Giant just stares at it. Happy gives a little wave, completely unbothered. The giant is absolutely fuming at the disrespect. Happy then explains that he never fought because he liked it. A flashback shows he only fought to avoid being tortured to death. That trauma is so deep, the pain returns even now outside the arena. He declares that is why he fights and swings the mace with full force, but the Iron Giant easily blocks the mace with his shield. He shoves Happy back to the ground, taunting that he will not even be able to scratch him. The giant goes on the attack, swinging his massive shield, but Happy just keeps dodging every single blow. The Iron Giant starts getting winded and confused. He realizes something is seriously wrong with this fight. He cannot understand why the kid who was dying a moment ago is now looking so completely relaxed and cheerful. The giant grips his weapon, absolutely furious. Happy's smile just gets even wider and he suddenly rushes the Iron Giant. He throws a punch with everything he has, but it just slams into the shield. The force of the blow sends him flying, but he lands with a firm grip on the giant's arm. Realizing the armor will not break that way, he just screams and starts swinging the giant around. Happy smashes the Iron Giant into the ground. The giant is completely stunned by the raw strength. Happy continues to swing the giant around effortlessly. The Iron Giant is completely overwhelmed by his strength. With a terrifying grin, he smashes him into the ground. The impact is absolutely devastating. He slams him down again, cracking the earth. Before the giant can recover, Happy wins up a kick. The blow connects squarely with his helmet. The force sends the Iron Giant flying back, screaming. But Happy is instantly on him, grabbing his armor. He lifts the dazed man up by the neck. He smashes the giant's head into the ground, still holding on tight. The Iron Giant looks up in total disbelief, completely out of breath from the assault. Happy just cheerfully points out all his scratches. The giant can only gasp for air in terror. He struggles to get back up, raising his shield. With a final burst of energy, he swings it, but he is clearly running on fumes now. And Happy just casually stops it with one hand. William watches as both fighters stop. He realizes the giant's heavy armor is draining his stamina, but Happy cannot seem to do enough damage against the armor. The giant knows he just has to outlast Happy's assault. He realizes Happy is only targeting his exposed head. While William panics, Happy just keeps on smiling. He suddenly calls out to William. He thanks William for protecting him, but tells him not to do it again. He explains William is his first friend and he'd be sad if he got hurt. William is left completely speechless. Happy promises to show William exactly why he should believe in him. He then casually picks up a broken spearhead. The Iron Giant just looks confused by this. Happy grins, announcing he will show his full power now. The giant scoffs, asking if a broken spear is all he has got. He boasts that his armor already shattered every other weapon here. He cannot believe Happy thinks a broken weapon will do anything. Happy just holds the makeshift weapon steady and with a terrifying grin he gets into a stance. He then lunges forward, aiming the spearhead right at the giant. The Iron Giant is completely baffled. The spearhead shatters against his shield and he scoffs at the pathetic attempt. But suddenly his eyes go wide. He never even saw the real attack. Happy used a broken shard to get past his defenses. The giant looks down in disbelief. He cannot understand how he got hit. The move was just impossibly fast. He is finally realizing the danger he is in. The Iron Giant's eye goes wide in shock and his massive sword clatters to the ground. He has been hit, clutching the shard buried in his side, but Happy just grins up at him, completely unfazed. The giant warns him that moving will only make the wound worse. He is the one struggling to breathe, clearly in a lot of pain. Happy just keeps on smiling through the pressure. Desperate, the giant just tells him to give up. Happy starts to tremble in his powerful grip, but it is definitely not from fear. Happy just tightens his grip, twisting the giant's entire arm and slams him into the ground. William realizes this strength defies all common sense, wondering if this is Happy's full power. He notices Happy's own hand is bleeding from the shard, but Happy just turns around smiling. William is absolutely terrified. His friend's eyes look totally different. Happy explains the giant is not dead, he just passed out from the pain. He then complains that it was not a proper match, surrounded by defeated guards. Happy says his old master hated one-sided fights like this, but William is totally hyped, calling it an amazing match. He is just glad they caught a criminal and says he will trust Happy's judgment now. Happy just gives him a cheerful grin. With the fight over, he asks if they can leave. But instead, he says he has not slept in days and will just crash here. He was apparently sleepy even while they were fighting. He asks William to handle the cleanup and immediately passes out. William is completely stunned that he actually fell asleep. He is left alone, wondering if he should report this or just leave him. William is still processing everything and spots the broken spearhead. He picks up the bloody shard, wondering what Happy actually used if this was just a distraction. He checks the giant's body for some kind of hidden weapon. With no other choice, he starts the cleanup. He struggles just to drag the giant, who is unbelievably heavy in his full plate armor. Realizing how insane this is, he decides to just report it, but a squad of soldiers suddenly blocks his path. William stands there, completely confused. The soldiers just stare back at him and their leader glances at the defeated giant. He takes in the entire chaotic scene. William is still holding the bloody shard when one of the soldiers suddenly cheers that he caught the criminal. William is completely stunned by this turn of events. The soldier says his unit got wiped and he saw William heading in with a wanted poster. He is convinced William is the bounty hunter who saved the day. He asks for his name and William nervously introduces himself. The soldiers realize William is the same student who caught the exile clowns. They are amazed he won with just a broken spear, praising his rumored skills. A soldier explains rumors about him are already spreading through the Night Order. Apparently, he is known as a student who hunts bounties for fun, and William is horrified. The soldiers tell him to leave, saying they will handle the bounty processing from here. As they escort him out, the rest of the squad starts cleaning up the scene. The captain notices Happy's body, assuming he is just a porter caught in the fight. But something about the scene makes him pause. He examines the giant's wound and realizes it is not a stab wound at all. In fact, none of the weapons on the battlefield could have caused that injury. The captain wonders what kind of weapon could have caused that wound. He glances at Happy's bloody hand as his men carry the injured porter away. The captain finds William's story completely unbelievable for a mere student. Elsewhere, the leader of the exile clowns looks down on his defeated men. One of the captured members kneels before him in terror. The leader says they have been abandoned and ridiculed once already. He scolds the man for bringing them humiliation by losing to a student. The man can only cry and apologize for his failure, but his boss shows absolutely no mercy. The leader deals with his failed subordinate, reminding his army they are the exile clowns who fight the kingdom to the death. One of his lieutenants asks if they have identified their target. She confirms his name is William, a student who apparently bounty hunts just for fun, so the leader declares William is their next target. The consequences of their actions stain the city's sewers. Elsewhere, a nobleman asks about this student's family background. It is the senior who framed William, ranting that he is just a rich commoner who bought his way in. The nobleman seems completely unconvinced by the outburst. He hands the senior a task, personally show William what happens when someone brings them shame. The nobleman shows his son a contract for the Brigands' Covenant. He explains they are the family's private group for contract killings. Deciding his son should learn early, he orders him to send them to take care of William. The next morning, the city wakes up. A woman walks through the town square but stops dead in her tracks. She has discovered 2 bodies left in the street. Elsewhere, the deceased are already being carted away. 2 men discuss how 3 bodies were found that morning. One finds it suspicious the case is closed without an autopsy since it is clearly murder. The other man tries to talk sense into the old gravedigger, who reminds him that his reporting spirit almost got them imprisoned after the arena incident. He explains the case was closed because the victims were exile clowns. In this kingdom, he says, no one would be sad, they'd actually celebrate. But the younger man says there is one more thing that is bothering him. He noticed the bodies had old bruises made days before they died. They are eerily similar to the marks he saw on the bodies from the arena. The scene shifts as a young woman arrives, calling for her shovel grandpa. She has brought the herbs he requested and is heading inside to drop them off. He thanks her and asks about Grandma, but she just notes he never changes. The gravedigger jokes that his wife will outlive him, but the young woman just smiles and turns to greet someone else. A man named Sagar looks up as she offers him some herbs. He seems surprised by the gift, but quickly thanks her for it. The gravedigger tells her she is too kind and should sell them instead. But she says since Sagar helps him so much, she wants to return the favor. The old man points out Sagar's lasted over a month, unlike anyone else. The gravedigger says his new assistant works hard but wanders out at night. The granddaughter looks concerned by this. He asks her what is on her mind. She admits her family has a similar problem. He is shocked to hear they brought in a slave. She explains Happy also sneaks out at night and has mysterious bags of money. But what really worries her is that he is from the fighting arena. She cannot help but wonder if he is doing something illegal. Sagar interrupts, revealing the city's only arena was shut down and all its fighters were executed. The granddaughter is stunned because she knows for a fact that is where Happy came from. Sagar explains the arena fighters were all vicious criminals. For one to survive with no status, they must have had backing. Backing so powerful that even the king's orders could not touch them. He warns her that Happy is dangerous and offers to investigate. She agrees, promising to bring him Happy's documents tomorrow. After she leaves, the gravedigger turns to his assistant. He warns Sagar that digging for the truth will get him killed. But Sagar says he just wants good people to survive a little longer. He looks at the herbs she gave him, saying he means it. And with that, night falls over the city. William carries the passed out Happy all the way home. His hand is still covered in blood. He knows Happy has not slept in days, so he is out cold. With a worried look, he finally reaches the house. He knocks on the door, hoping someone is awake. The whole family opens up, shocked by the sight. Grandma immediately spots the blood and panics. William quickly assures them Happy's just sleeping. After getting him settled by the fire, the granddaughter asks if they have been going bounty hunting together every night. William decides to tell them everything. He explains everything he knows about Happy's past, how he lived his whole life in the arena and has a condition that makes him smile. He describes the constant pain Happy endured, which is why he cannot sleep and has to fight. William lays out all the facts logically, explaining the entire situation. The story brings the grandmother to tears, while the grandfather just listens quietly. Even the granddaughter's suspicions start to fade away. William finishes by reminding them that Happy saved his life. With that, he says his goodbyes and heads home. The granddaughter stays up all night, looking over Happy's documents. He continues to sleep soundly by the fire. As a new day dawns on the farm, Happy finally wakes up with his usual smile. His eyes immediately well up with tears as he sees the granddaughter standing over him. She gently asks why he never told them about his sleepless nights and pain. Happy just looks up, his expression unreadable. She feels terrible for misunderstanding his smile all this time. He explains that if he is useless, he will be thrown away like everyone in the arena. The granddaughter insists this is not the arena and they do not see him as a slave. She explains that grandma already considers him part of the family. She promises to cure his condition and begs him to stop fighting. Their family will help him live a normal, peaceful life. She reminds him she became an herbalist for a reason and confidently offers her hand, promising to heal him. Happy just stares at her hand, completely stunned. He finally takes it and agrees. He sits up, still holding on, then he says he bought something with his first earnings. He shows her what he bought, a ring. She immediately freaks out, yanking her hand back. Happy is genuinely confused about her reaction. She yells that it is a wedding ring, completely mortified. But Happy has literally no idea what that means. The grandfather explains William dropped off the bounty money. Happy gives them all the money since he will not be fighting anymore. The old man pulls him into a hug, calling him their grandson. He promises to use the money well for their family. The granddaughter watches them, her expression full of determination. The grandmother looks on, deeply moved. The granddaughter finally understands Happy's nature. She realizes her grandma was right to call him a child. It turns out Happy bought rings for them too. She writes a note to Sagar calling off the investigation. Sagar receives the message looking thoughtful. Elsewhere, William Sr. tries to apologize to him, but William tells him they are worse than strangers now. The senior desperately begs for just one more chance. William just stares back, completely unmoved by the display. William tells his senior to get up so they can talk. As they walk away, Sagar watches them from a nearby perch. He is not at all convinced by the senior's pathetic acting. The senior keeps up his show of remorse in front of William. He apologizes one more time, swearing he is being sincere. But Sagar suddenly drops down from above them. He grabs William and throws him without warning. William is sent flying through the air. He slams hard into the ground below. A group of thugs immediately surrounds and grabs him. William struggles as the thugs drag him away. They take him to a secluded building and immediately start beating him down. He has no idea why this is happening. The thugs just keep coming at him and he can only weakly tell them to stop. Sagar just watches as his men do their work. William is left bloody on the ground, barely conscious from the brutal assault. Sagar finally reveals he has hated him from the very beginning. William asks what he ever did wrong. Unable to understand why his senior hates him so much, the senior just kicks him, screaming that he does not know his place. He mocks William for thinking studying would ever earn him respect. Grabbing him, he says only power and family matter in this world. He taunts William, claiming everyone at school hates him too. He says no one likes a nobody trying to rise up and they will celebrate his death. The senior then spits right in his face. William just has to take the humiliation. His senior tells him to learn how to grovel in his next life and walks away. William is left completely broken on the floor. The senior tells Sagar to finish him off. Sagar calmly agrees to the order. With that, the senior leaves them to it. He is absolutely reveling in the moment. He grips the handle, thinking this is nothing. This is the natural feeling of true authority and power. As he strolls away, a mysterious figure watches from above. The Watcher identifies the thugs as the brigand mercenaries, realizing this is a real kill contract. He can only sigh at how disgusting the nobles' methods are. The Watcher sighs from the rooftop. He always wanted a chance to hunt brigands, but he really did not expect it to be today. He leaps down to make his move, but suddenly freezes in place. He looks up, completely confused, as something blurs past him at high speed. He realizes someone else just slipped into the building in an instant. Inside, Sagar scoffs at the so-called amazing bounty hunter. He tells William their employer wants this to be as painful as possible. William lies on the ground, thinking he worked so hard to get here. He struggled so much just to make it this far, and now he is supposed to die just because of some noble's mood. As he sobs, Sagar taunts him for not even trying to fight back. William knows this is not the ending he ever wanted for himself. He dreamed of bringing change, but realizes you need status for that. He starts hallucinating a small, shadowy child with glowing eyes. But then a woman suddenly appears, grabbing him by the hair. The thugs are completely baffled, wondering where she even came from. She slaps him hard, telling him to snap out of it and answer her. She reveals she is an exile clown, doubting William could have beaten her men. She heard two people were there and now suspects William was the target, not the hunter. She asks him who the other person was, but the brigand mercenaries interrupt, realizing who she is. One of them insults her group, calling them sewer rats. He threatens her, but she is already moving. In a single, terrifying blur, she deals with every single thug. William can only watch as their bodies hit the floor. She casually stands over the leader, making a dark joke about taking him home. But then she pauses, looking around with a confused expression. The brigand hunter watches from the shadows as the exile clown woman pauses thoughtfully. She turns back to William to continue her interrogation. The hunter realizes William is wanted by both nobles and the underworld. He decides this situation is way too dangerous and plans to back off. She gets in William's face, demanding to know who was with him. She pressures him to hurry up and talk, threatening to end him right there on the spot. William's mind flashes back to Happy thanking him for his protection. Happy had said he was his first friend and he'd be sad if he got hurt. William finally breaks, apologizing to Happy. With a blade to his throat, he starts to talk. He confesses that Happy lives on a farm. Meanwhile, an oblivious Happy decides to quit bounty hunting. He is even making a little gift for his friend. Back in the warehouse, the woman mocks William's weakness. She says if she knew he was so irrelevant, she would not have bothered with his family. She explains that for revenge, they wipe out the entire bloodline. The clown reveals she moved separately from her boss, who she says has likely already arrived at William's family home. The clown says she is off to meet Happy now, calling William's betrayal good work. As her boss appears in the doorway, William begs them to wait. He desperately reaches out, pleading for them to stop. His mind flashes back to Happy, who thought he was a good person. He remembers Happy laughing even when he thought he was going to die. William then thinks of his own family, the people who saved his life. He sees his parents who always protected him when he was a child. His fist clenches in utter powerlessness. He realizes that unlike them, he could not protect anyone. Completely broken, he tells the woman to just kill him. William thinks if he had not been swayed, none of this would have happened. He pathetically survived alone, unable to protect anything. He blames his own weakness for losing his friends and family. He is left completely broken on the warehouse floor, but he realizes he needs to change. He forces himself up, deciding it is not too late. He will do anything if it means he can finally protect them. A dark power awakens from his desperate resolve. Back in the doorway, the clown boss complains about finishing this quickly, but he suddenly looks up, sensing something is wrong. William's eyes glow with a terrifying new power. The clown boss is completely stunned by this sudden change. He gets sent flying out of the building with a single blow. He tumbles hard across the ground, landing in a heap outside. The boss is completely dazed as William calmly walks out after him. Pure terror fills the boss's eyes. He immediately starts begging, wondering how William could be so strong. The boss offers to be his dog, pathetically pleading for his life. William just tells the groveling boss to get lost. He kicks the man aside without a second thought. The once feared leader can only cower on the ground, but then he looks up, confused by a new arrival. It is the senior's father, the nobleman who ordered the hit. He'd come to see how his son was handling the contract. But William walks right past the senior and tells the nobleman to get out of his way. The noble is completely shocked by this display. His expression shifts as he processes the disrespect. He is so intimidated that he actually steps back. The senior can only grovel before his father. William just watches the pathetic display. He realizes he hates that it took a sword for people to finally respect him. He accepts that in this world, only violence gets your voice heard. If he'd embraced this power sooner, he thinks this path could have saved people. Meanwhile, someone unexpected shows up at William's family home. It is just Happy, who cheerfully announces he is here to see William. They welcome him inside for a meal. His mom is relieved, saying she never actually believed the bounty hunter rumors. His dad thanks Happy, saying he knew a reliable friend must have been helping out. William's little sister complains he only hangs out with Happy now. So Happy cheerfully announces he has decided to quit bounty hunting. The sister is immediately thrilled by the news. Happy jokes that he will reconsider being friends with William. Their mom agrees, saying bounty hunting is too dangerous for students. The dad praises Happy, assuming he is a talented noble like his son. But Happy just smiles and casually says he is a slave. The entire family just freezes in confusion. His father laughs it off, saying a slave could not attend their university. Happy explains he does not and that William helps him because he cannot read. The family dinner takes a very dark turn as William's father coldly repeats the word slave. He questions why Happy is even at their table, insulting his supposed master. The entire room falls into a tense, uncomfortable silence. The father then orders Happy to leave and never get involved with William again. Happy just sits there, completely dejected by the outburst. William's mother tries to argue, reminding him that Happy helped their son, but he cuts her off, saying a person cannot be indebted to property. He declares a slave is just a slave, which clearly frightens his young daughter. Suddenly, the sister hears footsteps approaching from the hallway. As the father yells at Happy, the little sister hears the commotion. She peeks out the door, asking who is there. A shadowy man says he is here for William and asks if he is inside. She nervously lies, saying her brother just stepped out. The man's eye appears in the crack as she asks what they want. Suddenly, the family hears her scream for her mom. The exile clowns have arrived, planning to lure William to their base. Their leader orders his men to handle the parents and leave a message. He grabs the sister, saying to tell William to find her in the sewers. The little girl can only cry in terror as she is taken. The little sister screams for her mom as a clown grabs her. Her parents are absolutely horrified by the scene. They immediately rush towards the door to help. The father is completely frozen in shock while Happy just sits there at the table. Another clown intercepts the mother before she can reach her daughter. He threatens to deal with the parents quickly. The father can only watch in absolute terror, but in the background, Happy finally starts to move. He gets up with that signature, terrifying smile. William's father explodes at Happy, blaming his smile for all this. Happy just holds his bowl of soup and throws it right at a clown's face. He takes out one of the intruders instantly. The shocked father tells Happy to protect his wife. The clown leader is baffled, wondering if this is William. He remembers the sister said William was not even home. His lieutenant's warning about a second person comes to mind. He recalls the father telling this guy to protect his wife. The leader realizes this cannot be William, but someone else entirely. The clown leader realizes Happy is the variable in his plan. He asks if Happy is the one who hunted his men before. Happy just smiles as he dodges a sword to the neck. The leader lunges again, trying to keep him from escaping, but Happy completely vanishes from sight. He reappears and lands a devastating kick to the leader's face. The clown boss is completely stunned by the sheer force. Happy immediately follows up with another heavy punch. Realizing they are in trouble, the leader decides to fight properly. The other clowns jump in and the real fight finally begins. The clown leader is stunned that Happy predicted his hidden weapon. It feels like Happy can see right through all of his moves. He tries to calm down and force the fight into his own rhythm, unleashing a spinning dual blade attack. The leader decides to go all out so he does not screw this up. But Happy just stands there smiling, completely unimpressed. He even casually identifies the leader's technique as sword dance. The clown boss freezes mid-attack, completely stunned. His entire combo just grinds to a halt. He demands to know how Happy could possibly know his secret move. Happy cheerfully says he knows someone who uses that move. The leader scoffs, assuming it was just some clumsy copycat. But Happy clarifies that the arena grandfather was the founder of sword dance. The clown leader is completely baffled by this. Happy explains the old man's technique was legendary, the pinnacle of swordsmanship. The arena master could not stand it and dragged the legend there by force. The leader still does not get it, asking what the arena has to do with anything. But he cannot shake the feeling that this crazy story is actually true. Happy just asks him when he is going to attack again. The leader loses it, screaming he was asterisk attacking until Happy started talking nonsense. The leader keeps up his spinning attack, promising to tighten the noose on Happy. He gloats that Happy will die painfully, completely surrounded by his blades, but Happy just smiles, telling him he learned the technique incompletely. The leader freezes, seeing Happy mirror his exact hand movements. It is like he is fighting a perfect reflection of himself. Happy is matching every single move just without holding a sword. The clown is completely thrown off by the perfect copy. Happy explains the point of sword dance is making curves at high speed, but he reveals those curves are just a defensive setup for one big attack. Then he drops the final bomb. The grandfather who created it was blind. Happy explains the blind master used curves to create a perfect defense, then focused all his power into one strike the moment he found his target. The defensive curve becomes a single piercing line. He tells the clown that this is the real sword dance. With that, he easily stops the leader's attack and lands a devastating counterstrike of his own. The clown leader is sent reeling from the blow. Happy then reveals the arena master gathered every legend in the world and their final fight was always against him. He was the final boss for them all. Happy holds the defeated clown leader by the hair. The leader desperately grabs his arm, telling him to wait. He reveals that if he dies, William's sister will die too. The parents are horrified to learn their daughter Ellie was taken. Happy just smiles and asks where they took her. The clown confesses she is in the central sewers, so Happy hoists him up, ordering the man to guide him. He drags the terrified clown out of the house to find her. William's parents are left completely stunned by the turn of events. The father finally apologizes, realizing how badly he misunderstood Happy. Happy drags the clown leader out of the house. Making his way through the city streets and down into the central sewers, they arrive at the clown's main hideout. The leader tries to act tough, saying this was their plan all along. He says he wants a good look at Happy's face before he dies. Happy obliges with a terrifying smile that shuts him right up. Meanwhile, a battered William finally arrives home where his father asks if Happy was there. William is completely shocked by the question. As his father finally apologizes for misunderstanding Happy so badly, Happy tells the father he is doing this for his friend, William. He flashes back to the arena where even his mentor called him a monster. The man's dying words were just monster. It is a memory that has haunted him since he was just a kid. But William was different, seeing everything and still calling him a friend. The family on the farm also treated him like he was one of them. He realizes that since leaving that life, people finally see him as human. He tells the dad to let William know his sister will be okay, and with that he walks off, leaving the father stunned by his promise. William yells at his father for not stopping Happy. His dad just asks if Happy told him to trust him. But William knows this is not a fair fight and he is convinced Happy is just going to die. He imagines his friend being overwhelmed by the exile clowns. His father asks if he plans to trade his own life for his sister's. William runs out, telling them to report the clowns at the farm. Elsewhere, the city guard gets a report of a man with a sword. A captain dismisses it as just another strange incident until his men report that the man is identified as William. The guards confirm William took out a group and then went home. Suddenly, a report comes in that the exile clowns kidnapped a child. The captain is stunned by the news. learning the child is William's sister and he is now headed for the sewers. He cannot believe the clowns are being this bold and connects it to William's recent fame for hunting them. He realizes they failed to kill William and took his family instead. The captain curses himself for not anticipating this move. With nearly 100 clowns down there, William is walking into a death trap. Just then, another guard reports clowns at the farm, falling for the diversion. The captain questions if the clowns are even trying to split his forces. Still, he sends a team to the farm, telling them to be quick about it. At the same time, someone else arrives at the sewer entrance. A clown leader looks down at Ellie and asks the intruder if he is William. The figure just walks forward with a terrifying smile. It is Happy, who has already cleared a path and claims to be William. Back at the farm, the guards finally show up. But the granddaughter immediately attacks one of them. She then makes a run for it, leaving them behind. The other guard is completely baffled by this welcome. The clown woman flees, screaming that she is now going to raid the farm. The guards completely fall for it, reporting that a clown is on the move. Meanwhile, the farm itself is completely peaceful, where the granddaughter is preparing some herbs. She has decided to make something special just for Happy. She will start with a mix to help him with pain and sleep, but her expression suddenly hardens as the clown woman appears right inside her home. The clown tries to play it off, but someone else is watching. A mysterious swordsman observes the farm from a distance. The clown leader laughs, finding the whole situation ridiculous. He mocks Happy for thinking he could possibly win this fight, but Happy just smiles, saying he has no other choice. He declares he will fight until he dies, charging right in. The clowns are confident no one could survive against these numbers. Happy instantly lands the first heavy blow on a clown. He moves with incredible speed and follows up with another punch before they can even react. Those first two hits are the signal for the real battle to start. The entire mob of clowns draws their weapons to swarm him. The entire mob of clowns charges forward. Happy grabs a sword, knowing this is not a competition. He makes a silent promise to Ellie that he will save her. With that, he becomes a whirlwind of motion, cutting a path straight through the crowd. The clowns try to overwhelm him with numbers as one of them yells for him to come out. Happy instantly appears and strikes him down. The others are completely stunned by his speed. He just continues his relentless attack on the mob. He weaves through the initial attacks, moving too fast for the clowns to track. He turns their own numbers against them. Clearing a path through the mob, the leader swings wildly at empty air, completely enraged by Happy's speed. Despite taking hits, Happy keeps fighting. He uses one clown to block another's blade. The remaining clowns are starting to look terrified. Even battered and bloody, he refuses to go down. The clown leader realizes Happy is intentionally avoiding fatal blows and using their fallen comrades as human shields. That makes the other clowns hesitate, afraid to hit their own men. Happy just focuses on Ellie, believing he can still save her. The leader screams at his men to stop worrying and just attack, but Happy just keeps methodically taking them down. The remaining clowns are starting to look horrified. The leader cannot believe it, they had every single advantage. Yet somehow Happy is controlling the entire flow of the battle. All Ellie can do is cry as she watches the chaos unfold. The clown leader grabs a crossbow and takes aim directly at Ellie. Happy's eyes go absolutely cold. The leader taunts him, promising to show him some real blood. But Happy just keeps fighting through the mob. The leader realizes it is already too late. The crossbow bolt flies through the air, but someone else dives in to block it. Ellie stares in complete shock. William has arrived, taking the bolt meant for his sister. Happy uses the clown leader as a springboard, grabbing his leg midair and completely throws him off balance. The leader gets slammed into the ground as Happy sprints past him without stopping. He yells at William to stay back, which just leaves the clown leader confused. It is revealed William arrived while Happy was fighting everyone. He used the chaos as a perfect distraction to reach his sister. Now wounded, William apologizes to Happy as he collapses. Happy tells William to keep his sister safe and to trust him now. He then turns back to the fight. While William can only watch, completely powerless to help, he sees that what Happy is doing is beyond mere fighting. Happy immediately resumes his assault on the clowns while the leader reloads his crossbow in the background. He takes aim again, but Happy deflects a blade. The leader is completely baffled by this. He realizes that move was not a coincidence. He figures out Happy is reacting every single time he tries to take a shot. The leader realizes Happy moves like he has eyes everywhere, countering every single blind spot. William just holds his sister, watching. He is having a major realization. He always thought Happy was just a good fighter, but watching him in the past, he started to wonder. He never knew just how strong his friend really was, and now, watching this fight, he finally gets it. William understands that no matter who they send, nobody can beat Happy. The clown leader cannot believe what he is seeing, wondering if Happy is even human. So he fires another bolt. Happy just swats the bolt aside, sending it right into another clown. The clowns are horrified as their buddy goes down. The leader is absolutely losing his mind now, grabbing one of his own men and just throwing him at Happy. He screams for everyone to fall back, but charges in himself. The leader clashes with Happy in a desperate attack, but he is immediately getting overpowered. Happy breaks his guard and lands a solid hit. Happy easily parries the leader's desperate attack as the man comes at him with two blades. Their swords clash in a flurry of strikes, but Happy just flips right over his attack. The leader screams that he cannot possibly lose in a place like this. He roars that his revenge against the kingdom has only just started. He rants about being used as a meat shield and mocked as worthless. He regrets playing the fool and finally unleashes his full hatred. But to Happy, this is just a familiar sight from the arena. These fighters are fueled by a deep hatred for the world that created them. In a flashback, a man asks a young Happy if he resents his parents. He gently tells the boy not to go down that path, begging him to never let himself be consumed by hatred. He warns that path turns you into something worse than what you hate, just like this clown. The leader's eye shows pure terror. Happy knows all arena fighters meet the exact same fate. The clown leader can only scream as their stories always end violently and he is finally taken down. The reminds Happy of another time when a boy realized they'd won. The boy cries out in relief, protecting a small child behind him. With the clowns defeated, the survivors flee, warning that the kingdom's knights are coming. The victory triggers another memory of the boy calling his name. He looks on with deep concern. His worry turns into a desperate scream. The flashback shows Happy was badly injured as the boy promises his grandmother can heal him. In the present, the memory brings tears to Happy's eyes. The boy in the memory agrees to leave but realizes soldiers must have already arrived. Meanwhile, the city guard captain finally reaches the sewers, wondering why the paths are open. He is completely baffled by the situation. He looks down to see the aftermath and is shocked to find Happy face at the scene. The captain arrives, demanding to know why all the clowns are down. Turns out the entire hideout was cleared by a single person. With their leader gone, the remaining clowns completely lost their will to fight. But one of the guards on the scene gets the wrong idea and the story gets completely twisted as the rumors start to spread. He is in total awe and starts telling everyone that William single-handedly saved the day. The rumor of the hero bounty hunter reaches the knight's order, then spreads through the taverns like wildfire until even the university is buzzing with stories about William. The rumor about William's heroism spreads through the market and it even reaches the king's ears. His name was already legendary before any official report was even filed. But before all that fame kicked in, Happy had just finished his fight in the sewers. He immediately started running towards the farm, pushing through his exhaustion on pure willpower. Elsewhere, a prisoner mocks the new commander of the kingdom's knights. The commander just stands there, completely unimpressed. He tells the man he once respected him before he was exiled for rebellion. The prisoner explains how a celebrated war hero became the exiled king of a rebel faction, and he blames his entire downfall on one single person. He is talking about the man who wiped out an entire company returning from war 20 years ago. The prisoner was the only one who miraculously survived that day. He remembers it all so clearly. It was a man holding a newborn baby while taking down all of his soldiers. The reason was just that their march blocked his path and the furious king exiled the survivor. After that, he became the shame of the knights, a constant mockery at parties. Everyone laughed and cursed him as a traitor and he lost everything. But now he says that same monster has appeared again, recognizing Happy's familiar presence. The prisoner dares the commander to tell the king what really happened, asking if they will just exile him again for telling the truth. He just wants to know who this so-called monster really is. The commander simply says he's going to find out right now. He turns and walks away from the cell, thinking about how in the sewer incident, everyone was deliberately kept alive. He realizes a true monster would not have cared about sparing lives. The commander decides the only monster is someone willing to harm a child. Meanwhile, Happy is still running desperately through the woods. He is pushing past his limits in absolute agony. A flashback shows his mentor begging a younger Happy to breathe as he tends to the boy's deep wounds after a brutal fight. He told the kid the opponent was too strong, but Happy just smiled, knowing he had to get stronger to survive the arena. His mentor warns that obsessing over strength will only attract the arena master's attention. The boy just listens in silence because he is haunted by the fear of his father figure disappearing. He constantly imagines his mentor being struck down and falling into darkness, lost forever. So a young Happy grabs his hand, vowing to never let that happen. Young Happy vowed to face everything himself so his mentor would not suffer. His mentor could only look on with deep sorrow as the boy begged him not to leave, saying he was the only one he had. But despite his efforts, his mentor was eventually struck down in the arena. With his father figure gone, Happy's world completely collapsed. That memory brings him back to the present, still smiling through the pain. He finally reaches the farm, where guards immediately tell him to stop. He just grabs a wooden plank and instantly smacks one of the guards down. The others yell to catch him as he sprints right past them. Happy stumbles right into the farmhouse, shocking the granddaughter and her family. He screams for them to get away as the guards rush in. He immediately shoves the granddaughter behind him, taking a sword strike that was meant for her. She holds him, telling him everything is okay. Just then, the commander arrives and stops his men. Happy just stares down at his own trembling hand as a single drop of blood falls to the floor. He remembers a voice telling him not to be sad, that his world will return. A single tear falls as Happy remembers a peaceful life, a time when he could just hold someone close. That memory was like a candle, one that was brutally snuffed out. In the present, the farm family watches over him, telling him to rest. The commander reports to the granddaughter that there are no clowns, but he will leave a patrol. From the woods, the mysterious swordsman is watching them all. He thinks it would have been safer for the farm if Happy had died, but he immediately admits that watching that happen would have been too hard. The swordsman is surprised by how much the family cares for Happy. He figures the injured clown woman will not be coming back anytime soon. Wounded himself, he decides to wait for the patrol to leave. As night falls, something stirs in the dark. A sudden sound breaks the silence. His eyes snap open. A knight appears, calling him Sagar for acting out of line. He reminds Sagar their goal is assassinating royalty, not saving people. One more screw-up, the knight warns, and he will be purged. Sagar just walks away, defeated. He is left alone with that heavy threat. The next day, a royal command arrives with a ton of fanfare. A herald publicly summons William in the city, while another one calls for Happy out at the farm. Turns out, they are both being commanded to appear before the king. The whole town is buzzing that even the porter is getting recognized. At the castle, William is getting prepped for his big moment. They get him fitted in some seriously fancy new clothes. An official then reveals the king is about to grant him knighthood. The official tells William to just kneel and accept the honor, but William immediately refuses, saying he is not qualified. The officials are completely baffled by his response. William confesses that he did not defeat the clowns or do any of the bounty hunting. He gives all the credit to Happy, admitting he just ran and hid the whole time. He apologizes again, insisting he cannot accept the title. The official looks surprised for a moment, then reveals that the king already knows the entire truth. He explains that making an illiterate slave a knight would cause a massive backlash from the nobles. So they are using William's perfect reputation as a top student to create a more heroic story for the public. The official tells William this whole plan is top secret and to come out when he is ready for the ceremony. So William goes through with it, kneeling as the king praises him. The king declares that no one doubts his worthiness to be a knight. He is officially appointed a knight of the kingdom as the crowd goes wild. Then the king announces that Happy will join the knights as William's apprentice. Happy is brought forward to kneel as well, accepting his new role. Later, the two are getting settled in the castle. William apologizes, feeling guilty that his actions put everyone in danger, but Happy just smiles, saying everyone was safe because William was there. William admits he still does not know much about the world, recalling how he naively walked right into a group of bandits. He even confesses that when his sister was taken, he just ran away in a panic. Happy replies that he is the opposite, someone who only knows how to fight. But William insists that without Happy's strength, he would have lost everyone. He praises Happy's decisiveness, remembering how he never hesitates in a crisis. He calls that a kind of strength beyond just fighting, one he is learning from. William then suggests they should keep living this way, true to who they are. He is certain they will become true friends who can always trust each other. Happy makes a silent vow to never run away or hide in front of William again. William tells Happy he wants to become strong so this never happens again. Happy agrees to teach him everything he knows about life from now on. So William asks if that also includes teaching him how to fight. Happy gives him a huge smile. They agree to train together and head off to meet the other knights. But upon arrival, the knights are already complaining about Happy's new role. One knight is furious that a former slave is suddenly their equal. He throws down his wooden sword, refusing to accept the decision. The challenge has been laid on the ground. The knight vows to prove to everyone that Happy is just unqualified trash. William tries to stop him, saying this was the king's decision. But the knight yells at William for defending a lowly servant. He rants that William is the real hero who just fought the clowns. The knight insists that William is worthy of respect and praise. Then he turns on Happy, calling him an untrained, low-born piece of trash. William starts to panic, thinking this backlash is way too much. The knight sees William's reaction and confirms his own suspicions. He vows to prove how unqualified Happy is and make him step down. But Happy just smiles, telling William not to worry and that he will finish this quickly. The two now face off in the training yard, ready for a duel. Happy just smiles, ready to begin. The other knights immediately mock his stance, calling him an amateur. His opponent warns him this is not just some friendly sparring match and goes for a huge overhead swing to teach him a lesson. But it is a feint and he smacks Happy right in the jaw instead. He gloats that a slave should be honored to be struck by a knight's sword. Happy gets knocked back by another strike. As the knight calls him slow and lands another hit, he accuses Happy of just faking it as he keeps wailing on him. The knight screams at him to beg for forgiveness, calling him trash. After taking the hits, Happy finally dodges a swing and counters with a single, brutal punch. The other knights are completely stunned by the sudden turn. The challenger immediately drops to his knees from the one hit. They start screaming that he is fighting dirty like a common brawler. But one knight realizes Happy actually blocked all the previous attacks. He understands that by using his fist, Happy was actually holding back. The defeated knight is in agony from a pain he has never felt before. That one punch was more terrifying than his years of training combined. In his eyes, Happy is not a person, he is a complete monster. Happy begins training William, telling him not to be afraid. He explains that surrendering to pain makes you lose fights you could have won. He tells him to endure it, remembering the brutal lessons of the arena. William is stunned, realizing this is completely different from formal training. The previously defeated knight scoffs, refusing to accept lessons from a slave. Happy just smiles and tells William he is coming. William braces himself, completely unsure how to react. In a single motion, his wooden sword is shattered. The knight captain furiously yells, asking what they are doing. Happy holds the broken tip of the blade to William's throat, ending the lesson. The captain chews out the knight for harassing the new recruits. He reminds everyone that he personally vouched for them, then asks the knight if he has a complaint about him. The guy immediately starts panicking, screaming that he has absolutely no complaints. The captain just tells them to leave, so the other knights immediately scramble away. With them gone, he turns to Happy and William. He explains they will not have to fight anymore since they are just here to be poster boys. Their only job is to learn etiquette and show their faces at events with no real missions. William realizes this whole poster boy act is a huge problem for both of them, so he asks the captain if they can at least quietly observe the training sessions. The captain is confused since no one would care if they just slacked off. But William explains that if he lives a lie, he will eventually have to prove himself. He refuses to be put in a situation where he is powerless and ashamed again. William vows to become someone who is strong in both mind and sword. The captain is impressed, realizing the king's fake hero is actually the real deal. He then turns to Happy, asking if he feels the same way about this. Happy just smiles, saying they promised they would become strong together. Elsewhere, officials review Happy's file, noting he was raised by arena contestants. An official reports that Happy was raised in the arena, which used to be filled with war prisoners and elite soldiers. That means Happy had to be the best just to survive there. The commander wishes a man named Lucastian was still around to ask, because Happy's official record is completely blank, just marked unknown. The official suggests tracing Lucastian's old territories for clues. But the commander shuts that down, saying it is not their job. He suspects Happy is connected to an old incident he remembers. For now, he decides to just watch them from a distance, but he has a bad feeling they are about to cause trouble again. The commander is impressed by their resolve. He sees one has potential for growth while the other already has immense skill. Their dedication reignites a fire in him, awakening a resolve he thought was long gone. So he agrees to let them observe the training sessions for the time being. Meanwhile, back at the farm, Happy proudly announces he has become an apprentice knight. The grandparents are completely stunned by the news. He asks where Winnie is as the grandmother realizes the certificate also grants his freedom. He then presents them with a huge bag of money, saying it is his reward for them. The grandfather is ecstatic, but the grandmother is just overwhelmed by all the sudden changes. Happy asks if he can finally go train with William. He promises to still do housework even though he is a free man now. The grandparents watch him go, calling him their lucky charm. From day one, both Happy and William were completely focused on getting stronger. They head straight to the Knights' training grounds to observe. Happy tells William to start by just watching one of the fighters. He points out the best knight in the yard for William to study. He explains that fighting starts with footwork, not just swinging a sword. It is a feeling you can only learn by actually doing it yourself. William immediately says he understands the lesson. William breaks down the knight's form, noting the center is established first. He realizes the stance and timing are faster, giving the knight a huge advantage. Happy praises his analytical skills, telling him to keep observing for now. As William goes full analysis mode, the knight he is watching is seriously impressed. Later in the library, their roles are completely reversed. William patiently starts teaching Happy how to read one letter at a time. Once he gets the hang of it, William challenges him to read a full sentence. He reads a line about true courage being in the heart, not just the sword. Happy somehow gets the meaning right, which completely stuns William. He just smiles, saying he figured it out from the flow of the words he'd learned. Happy is even figuring out how to tell time by the sun's position. He then casually calculates the exact rations for a 400-man army on a 20-day march. William is completely floored, realizing Happy is a natural academic who is learning at an insane speed. Happy snaps him out of it, wondering why he is so quiet. William just says that is enough for one day, telling him they will meet tomorrow. Happy looks up at the sky, a little confused. He is shocked to realize they have been studying until nightfall. He happily runs off, yelling that he had a great time and will see him tomorrow. William watches him go, making a quiet vow to himself. He promises he will not fall too far behind Happy's insane progress either. Meanwhile, Winnie realizes it has gotten dark outside the herb shop and considers just staying the night again to avoid the dangerous roads. She has been wondering what happened to Happy since he was summoned by the king. It has been 3 days and she is just exhausted from work and wants to leave. Just then, a knock sounds at the shop door. She calls out that they are already closed for the night. A familiar voice answers from the other side. It is Happy, smiling and ready to take her home. As they walk through the town, he explains her grandpa sent him. He was told to definitely bring her back for a celebration dinner. Winnie is confused when he mentions a celebration, but gets excited, asking what happened that day. Happy explains the king made him a free citizen and an apprentice knight. She's completely stunned by his unbelievable rise in status. Winnie is so happy she wants to do something for him in return, but he just says he prefers seeing her happy. She agrees, saying her grandma must have been thrilled. He confirms she was and that she believes only good things will happen now. Happy just smiles at the thought, then promises Winnie he will always protect her from now on. As they walk, Winnie looks over at Happy, who just keeps moving forward. She suddenly reaches out to touch his shoulder, making him turn back in surprise. She thanks him, admitting this is the first time she has ever had hope for her life. Happy is a little stunned by her heartfelt words. He quickly asks if she has been taking her medicine. She happily confirms she is sleeping well and feeling much better now. When they arrive home, her grandfather calls out to her from a huge bonfire party. Winnie just stares, completely confused by the celebration. Winnie is completely confused by the massive feast at her farm. A guest points out that her grandfather might be overdoing it. People are already congratulating Happy on joining the Knights. Winnie thought this was just supposed to be a small family meal. But her grandpa went and invited the entire town to celebrate. She is worried, asking where he even got the money for all this. He cheerfully admits he spent all the reward money he was given. Happy explains it was the reward he received for becoming an apprentice. The grandfather goes wild, celebrating with Happy's hard-earned cash. The crowd then asks the elder to give a toast for the occasion. The grandfather starts his toast with a hearty laugh, officially celebrating Happy's new role as an apprentice knight. Happy is just enjoying the moment, clapping along with everyone. The townsfolk all congratulate him, but Winnie seems worried. Her grandfather calls her over for a serious talk. He explains that even though Happy is free, his past as a slave will not just disappear. That stigma will follow him, and many in the kingdom will never accept him. So this party is a public statement. Happy is their family, and anyone who messes with him messes with them. Since Happy showed them his heart, this grand gesture is how they are showing theirs back. Winnie finally understands, telling him he should have just said that from the beginning. Winnie's grandfather says their goal is to show Happy what it means to truly live with others, and Happy is absolutely beaming, surrounded by the townsfolk. Winnie watches him with a gentle smile. Suddenly, William arrives and calls out to Happy. Happy is completely surprised to see him there. He invites William to eat, but William stops him, bringing along the knight who challenged him. Happy looks confused by the serious mood. The knight then sincerely apologizes for his rude and harsh words. He admits it took his family being saved to realize how foolish he'd been, but Happy just smiles, saying it is okay and that he never hated him. The knight who challenged Happy is approached by his family, and his little sister gives him a handmade gift, thanking him for saving her. He is genuinely moved by her gratitude. The grandfather then calls everyone together for another toast. The whole town celebrates together around the fire. Elsewhere, Sagar watches the party with an old man who is disgusted by the scene. The man tells Sagar he will get his own feast if he achieves something great. He then gets up, saying he is going to get more alcohol. Sagar is left alone, looking conflicted. A hooded figure appears, telling him the date for their mission has been set. The mission is set for 2 months from now during the Kingdom Knights Tournament ceremony. They plan to assassinate the king on that day when everyone in the kingdom is watching. The all goes down at the annual Knights Order Tournament. It is a massive public event with the entire kingdom tuned in. Each year, the top 10 official knights are chosen, and the top 10 apprentices are selected to compete. For the apprentices, it is a huge honor to fight against real knights, giving them a chance to prove their worth. A strong performance is also the fastest path to becoming an official knight. Happy checks out the tournament notice. A smug noble apprentice immediately confronts him. He mocks Happy for trying to read it. He tells Happy to forget about even participating. Turns out his family is sponsoring the entire tournament, from prizes to the arena itself, so he considers the whole event his personal stage, and he does not want a former slave ruining it. Happy's smile finally fades. The noble warns him that all the other families feel the same way about his status. His friend nervously reminds him that Happy already beat a knight like it was nothing. The friend reminds him that the last knight who fought Happy got completely demolished. But the noble just scoffs, calling the knight a crying baby. Happy overhears and says their threats just made him want to participate. The noble is stunned by his confidence. He quickly recovers with a dismissive sigh. He tells Happy he will not even get the opportunity because someone like him will not even qualify for the evaluation. Turns out a new liberal arts exam has been added to the tournament selection process. Happy asks what that is. William explains it is a knowledge test, a clear move by the host family to exclude Happy. The noble then approaches another top apprentice with a gift. He offers him the answer sheet for the liberal arts exam. The apprentice immediately refuses the offer to cheat, but the noble pressures him, saying one mistake could tarnish his family's honor. The apprentice is clearly being backed into a corner. He reluctantly takes the answer sheet from him. The noble smirks, pleased with his successful manipulation. He suggests their allied families should just share first place. Happy overhears this and says their scheming just made him want to join. Elsewhere, William looks over the notice, understanding the stakes. William asks if Happy wants to try anyway. He admits Happy is way behind the other apprentices, but since the exam is rigged, he can predict the questions. Happy is shocked, but William is completely serious. He explains his real talent is understanding what examiners want. If his predictions are right, they can aim for a passing score, but he warns it is a long shot that will require absolute effort. A week later, Happy has somehow passed the exam. The other apprentices are stunned as he celebrates his narrow victory. His success has made a lot of people furious with the tournament just a month away. The noble family is furious that Happy passed the exam. They accuse him of cheating, outraged their son's loss to a slave, but one apprentice remembers Happy studying all night and feels ashamed. Meanwhile, the exam evaluators review his subjective answers. They are shocked to see the tactics of old war heroes in his writing. Happy wrote that protecting people is more important than breaking enemies. His strategies are about saving lives, a lesson from his mentor. One of the veteran judges is visibly moved by his words. Another asks if the brilliant answers really belong to Happy, but they are reminded the host family ordered them to fail him anyway. The veteran judge is having second thoughts, so he decides to give Happy a special bonus point. He admits that seeing Happy changed his mind about him competing. He remembers Happy was not just some simple fighter in the past and finally understands why Lukastian died to protect him. Now, the judge is determined to see where Happy's path leads. Later, Happy asks William if he is joining the tournament evaluation, but William refuses, knowing his lack of skill would expose him. Happy then asks if he'd join if he actually got strong enough. Elsewhere, other apprentices watch Happy train, wondering if he is serious. William coaches Happy while other apprentices watch, jealous of the hero's technique, but one of them scoffs, calling Happy's posture complete trash. He threatens to break all of Happy's limbs if he ever tries to fight him. The group then leaves, mocking Happy for hiding in a warehouse to train. Happy immediately mimics the guy's posture, asking William if he saw that. William is shocked, asking if that was really how he looked. He realizes his body is not moving the way his mind wants it to, so Happy offers to spar with him to correct his posture. He will perfectly mirror William's movements and scale the difficulty as he improves. William is floored, wondering if that kind of perfect mimicry is even possible. Happy tells William it is his turn to prove what is possible. Meanwhile, the other knights are just slacking off. William analyzes Happy's stance, thinking he can predict his moves. The two immediately begin their intense sparring session. They trade blows back and forth. William adjusts his footing, staying balanced. He realizes that every wasted attack just drains stamina. He is learning to dodge, defend, and gauge distance all at once. And through this direct experience, it finally clicks for him. He understands fighting is not just strength, it is a game of predicting every single move. William finally understands the brutal, complex world Happy had to fight in. For the first time, he is finally starting to see the battle clearly. Happy immediately presses his attack, knocking William back on his heels. Happy sees an opening, and William's first instinct is to block the strike. But he realizes that blocking this specific attack is just a trap. So instead of defending, he adjusts his stance and decides a counterattack is the only right answer. But Happy's blade stops just shy of his neck. Happy seems confused by the sudden halt. William laughs, finally understanding Happy's feint. Happy just lets out a satisfied breath. He gives William a genuinely impressed smile. Suddenly, William's face seems to shift and change. It is like he is becoming a reflection of Happy himself. He sees a vision of Happy's 313th victory in the arena. Back in reality, Happy congratulates him on his progress. William is on the floor, completely exhausted from the spar, but he knows he only won that final exchange by a hair. After a month of this training, the tournament is just one day away. William is floored by Happy's skill, who perfectly copied his every mistake and habit. He even mimicked William's old shoulder injury, which should not be possible. Happy just smiles, telling him to rest up for the tournament tomorrow. William agrees, ready for the big day, but the commander pulls him aside, telling him he cannot participate. His only job is to stand beside the king and greet the people. The commander assumed he would not want to fight anyway, since a real duel would immediately expose his lack of skill. William has to agree, realizing 1 month of training is not enough to face actual knights, but William insists he still wants to take the tournament evaluation. He argues that he needs to start by acknowledging his own weakness. The commander calls him unexpectedly stubborn for a rational man, but William's determination seems to have won him over. The next day arrives, and it is finally time for the evaluation tournament. The sponsoring family head asks the judges to be fair with his son. The first evaluation tournament is officially underway, and the opening match is announced, Hero William versus the Rank 2 Knight, though it is just a demonstration match. The commander tells the Rank 2 Knight to go easy on William, explaining the hero has never actually held a sword in his life. He needs the knight to end the match quickly before anyone gets suspicious. The knight confirms he understands the mission, but as he steps into the arena, he is curious about Happy's real skills. Suddenly, Happy attacks before the match even starts. The referee is shocked, reminding him to wait for the signal. Happy immediately apologizes, claiming he was just too nervous. The other knights laugh it off, calling it a classic rookie mistake. But the knight who took the hit is sweating, realizing something is wrong. The commander watches, completely confused by the knight's reaction. He is realizing William's skill level is way beyond what he was told. The referee finally signals for the match to officially begin, but the commander is stuck on William's earlier vow. William promised to master both the pen and the sword, and Happy is delivering. He moves like a ghost, effortlessly dodging every one of the knight's attacks. The crowd is completely stunned, having no idea what they just witnessed, but Happy knows he is just perfectly imitating William's movements from their training. By copying William's every move, he is actually creating a perfected version of his style. It is a unique swordsmanship that is now truly William's own. Happy admits to himself that keeping up with the knight was tough. The knight analyzes his opponent, noting he is not particularly fast, nor is he overwhelmingly strong, which is confusing him. But his technique and grip are absolutely perfect. He realizes William has outstanding judgment and precise finishing moves. He counters every attack with deadly accuracy. Every single move is a top-tier tactical decision. At first, it just looks like ordinary swordsmanship, but then he instantly capitalizes on any opening with veteran experience. The crowd is stunned, wondering why a demo match looks like a fight to the death. The knight realizes his opponent could end this fight instantly. He remembers the commander's orders to go easy on him, but he grips his sword tighter and they lock blades once more. Happy just looks back, completely unfazed. The knight knows for sure that William is holding back. He wants a real fight even if he is outmatched, so he decides to go all out, pushing with everything he has, but just as he attacks, Happy simply forfeits the match. The knight freezes, completely shocked by the sudden surrender. The announcer officially ends the demonstration match. The two fighters give a mutual salute, but the knight is still processing the forfeit. Clenching his fist in frustration, he blames himself, feeling he was not strong enough to draw out his opponent's true power. The commander is impressed, wondering how William got so good in just a month. He thinks the kid is a good actor and knew exactly when to stop the fight. But the knight corrects him, saying if the match had continued, it would have been too much. The commander looks confused, then sees the knight's trembling leg. The knight reveals William targeted his ankle from the start, forcing a battle of movement. The knight explains that Happy kept forcing him to plant his left foot, putting so much strain on his ankle that he knew he had already lost. Elsewhere, the smug noble scoffs, saying the knight had plenty of chances to win. He thinks the knight only lost because he went easy on William, who was likely just baiting a big attack to create an opening for a counter. His friend suddenly notices Happy smiling nearby, having overheard everything. He immediately blows up, getting in Happy's face for eavesdropping. But Happy's calm expression just makes him even more furious. The main noble watches, admitting to himself he has felt a weird fondness for William since the match. He finds him incredibly annoying, but his harmless face makes it impossible to stay mad. The smug noble scoffs, annoyed that Happy is acting like William's special student. His friend points out that William is a rare teacher who actually trains his apprentices, but the noble just blames Happy for his own failure to pass the exam. Happy overhears and cheerfully asks if he wants to join since William needs sparring partners. The guy is completely stunned by the offer from Sir William. His friend smacks him for his outburst and he quickly tries to play it cool. He still looks down on Happy, saying his presence lowers the standards. But another apprentice immediately jumps at the chance to train with them. Then another one eagerly volunteers to join in on the session. Suddenly, it seems like every apprentice in the area wants to train with them. The smug noble is furious that he has to go through Happy to get William's training. A huge crowd of apprentices has gathered, all eager for the session. One guy smirks, pointing out how they were all just bad-mouthing him. After 33 evaluations, the tournament is in full swing. A trumpet fanfare sounds, announcing the next match. The smug noble steps forward, clearly enjoying his dramatic entrance. The commander is not impressed by the personal trumpet solo. Other knights comment that his family's money is the only reason he is here. The noble announces he is here to get rid of anyone who does not fit in. He then calls Happy into the ring, referring to him as livestock. The commander is clearly disgusted by the noble's rude comment. But the noble's father just praises his son for not tolerating filth. In the ring, the two apprentices prepare for their match. The noble is already fantasizing about how he is going to take Happy apart. Elsewhere in the crowd, one apprentice calls out to his friend Finn. He asks if it is true that Happy completely demolished him in a previous fight. Finn immediately panics, demanding to know why he is bringing that up. His friend calmly explains that he actually witnessed that match himself. Finn just storms off, refusing to admit he lost to a piece of trash. But his friend recalls how strange Happy was, remembering his brutal fighting style. His friend recalls feeling like Happy was holding back. He asks Finn if he noticed anything weird when they fought. Finn gets defensive, so his friend asks if he could win a rematch. Finn's terrified silence says it all. He flashes back to the brutal fight. His friend admits Happy feels completely out of place, like he is from another world. But Finn just scoffs, saying Happy looks dumb. His friend says this next match will reveal the truth. In a flashback, William advises Happy to only use proper swordsmanship in the tournament. He warns that if it is not proper, the judges will never acknowledge his real skill. In a flashback, William recalls the other apprentices' fury, telling Happy to show them something they cannot deny and dominate from the start. He says the rigged exam was actually the perfect opportunity for this. The is Happy's one chance to shatter everyone's perception of him as a slave. William looks at him with total confidence, declaring this entire tournament is a stage built just for him. Back in the ring, the noble smirks at Happy's basic stance. He condescendingly says it looks decent, but that is about it. Meanwhile, his dad is in the stands offering 1,000,000 bonus points for the win. Happy just announces he is using a basic swordsmanship technique, confusing his opponent. The noble's sword shatters on impact, and Happy immediately follows up with a thrust. The guy completely panics under the pressure as Happy just grinds his sword against his. He is completely calm, almost enjoying this domination. With one more strike, he shatters the rest of the sword. The noble is left completely disarmed and helpless. He hits the ground, totally confused by what just happened. Then a single drop of blood lands on his face. Happy stands over him, having won without a single scratch. The veteran judges are blown away, giving Happy a perfect score for his flawless technique. Other apprentices cannot believe the fight was over so fast and so cleanly. The noble's father is absolutely furious in the stands, but the referee suddenly shouts for the match to continue, confusing everyone. Happy and the commander are both stunned by this blatant corruption. Turns out the referee took a massive bribe from the noble's family. He has to keep the match going so the noble can win by decision points. He mentally tells the kid to just land one tiny scratch to secure the win. The noble gets up with his broken sword, claiming he was just careless before. Happy is just baffled that they are actually trying to restart this fight. The noble scoffs, thinking Happy is just a one-trick pony, but Happy remembers William's advice to just dodge the obvious thrust. He sidesteps with ease and lands a clean slash on the noble's arm. The crowd is impressed, realizing he does not fight like a normal apprentice. Happy then declares that the real swordsmanship has not even started yet. He immediately lands a solid hit, then follows up with another strike and a third one for good measure. The referee suddenly stops the match, claiming the noble's belt came loose. The noble is completely stunned as Happy dares him to just try and hit him once. An apprentice realizes the difference in their basic skills is just too great. The commander smirks, noting Happy is once again exceeding expectations. In the stands, the noble's father refuses to accept what is happening. Happy just watches as the noble gets back on his feet. He wonders why he is not just finishing the fight already. In a real battle, his opponent would already be down for the count. His expression darkens with the memory of real combat. He then taunts the noble, saying he heard he was a top apprentice. But from where Happy's standing, he looks completely bottom tier. The noble is just furious at the insult. Happy continues his taunts, saying he has been watching the noble train for a month. He condescendingly praises the guy's natural fighting spirit and confidence. He says that is why weaker opponents get intimidated and just give up. In the crowd, Finn recognizes those exact words with a look of dread. He remembers Happy saying the same thing to him, then angrily denies it. The noble finally snaps and charges in for an attack, but his wooden sword immediately cracks against Happy's block. Happy knows that his opponent's fighting spirit is now completely broken. The noble screams in fury and swings with everything he has left, and Happy's sword just shatters his weapon into splinters. Happy shatters his opponent's sword completely. He knew it was going to break. In fact, he'd planned this exact move from the moment the noble provoked him. The noble just stares at the broken hilt, completely confused. He drops what is left of his weapon. Happy then offers to take him on in a fist fight. The referee finally has no choice but to declare Happy the winner. In the stands, the noble's father is absolutely losing his mind. His son is left kneeling in the dirt, completely humiliated. Happy tells him to stop the slave talk, as it only demeans them both. Happy asks William if just winning is really enough. William explains this is about showing the responsibility and will of a knight. He tells Happy to look around to understand what he means. Happy sees the other apprentices, counting them one by one. They are all applauding him, finally acknowledging his skill. Happy is just beaming, soaking in the genuine respect. William gives him a proud thumbs up for the win. Suddenly, someone from the crowd requests the next duel. Happy looks over, surprised by the sudden challenge. The top apprentice steps up, saying his opponent forfeited and he wants to fight Happy. The commander thinks this whole tournament has devolved into total chaos. The host family stormed off after their son's humiliating defeat. The judges were clearly bribed and the system is a joke. Now the apprentices are ignoring rank and demanding another fight. He wonders if everyone has completely lost their minds. He is so frustrated he just wants to scrap the whole thing. But he realizes the entire crowd is desperate to see this match. All eyes are locked on the two fighters in the ring. With the crowd roaring, the official finally allows the duel to proceed. The top apprentice tells Happy his last opponent was just hot air, not even a real test. The top apprentice challenges him to a proper duel, telling Happy to come at him with full force. Finn's friend is completely thrown by his sudden intensity. It seems Happy's performance is inspiring everyone around him. The top apprentice grips his sword, ready to go, and immediately unleashes a powerful opening strike. Happy meets his blade head-on without flinching. The apprentice presses his attack without hesitation. Happy's focus is completely locked in, and the two explode into a high-speed exchange. Finn's friend realizes Happy's movements are incredibly fluid and clean. He admits this is way beyond the level of a normal apprentice. In the ring, the two fighters trade powerful blows. The top apprentice is impressed by Happy's flawless technique. He has to acknowledge that this is no ordinary level of skill. But Happy can tell his opponent's style was learned in a hurry. He thinks his own foundation is far more solid and will not go easy. Happy analyzes his opponent's swordsmanship, calling it perfect and without flaws, which seems to completely confuse the top apprentice. But Happy knows that kind of perfection only exists within the Knight Order. The duel ends with an official panicking. Happy just asks if his opponent is okay. The official screams, thinking the apprentice was seriously injured, but Happy grins, clarifying he just fainted. The top apprentice is completely lost. Happy explains that he dropped his sword mid-fight, leaving himself wide open after a big swing. Happy had stopped his own blade just in time. The apprentice admits his opponent's moves were flawless. But Happy reveals the fatal weakness. His perfect style never changes. Happy explains the flaw in their training. Everyone's stance is identical. He knows that real fights are won with unexpected moves, not drills. The top apprentice feels like his entire foundation has just been shattered. But Happy tells him he did not collapse, he just broke the mold. He tells the apprentice to look at the bigger picture. He is talking about the brutal reality of a real battlefield. Later, Happy apologizes to William for fighting his own way. William says it is fine and that he found him some sparring partners. Turns out, all the other apprentices now want to train with them. Meanwhile, a notice confirms Happy will be in the tournament ceremony. Winnie's grandfather tends to a grave and Happy watches him from nearby. He gives a small, knowing smile. With the ceremony approaching, the grandfather decides to buy meat for Happy. Winnie is also excited, wondering what she should wear to cheer him on. She even corrects her family, saying she is there to support Brother Happy. Meanwhile, Sagar is preparing in a graveyard. He reads a hidden message on a cloth wrap, confirming the assassination is imminent. A gravedigger interrupts, asking what he is holding. Sagar quickly dismisses it as simple scraps from his work. Sagar asks the gravedigger what is on his mind. The old man just brushes it off, then pulls out a strange-looking amulet. He explains that it is to protect him from the dead who linger here. The gravedigger says it is a reward for all of Sagar's hard work. Sagar accepts the gift, saying it is exactly what he needs. The old man jokes that a salary is better, then leads him away. Meanwhile, a knight stands guard in a misty forest. Another knight suddenly runs up to him in a total panic. He screams that assassins are attacking and tells him to warn the kingdom. The guard knight just stares back silently. His panicked friend screams at him to go warn the kingdom, but he is immediately cut down by a shadowy figure. The guard does not even flinch just watching it happen. The attacker is the exiled clown woman who says her comrades have fallen. Now she's going alone to take the king's head herself. The story flashes back about 50 days to Sagar's defeat. That was right after the boss of the exiled clowns was captured. We see a prisoner being brutally interrogated in a dark dungeon. A knight demands to know who is responsible for throwing a royal into the arena. The interrogator addresses the prisoner, Lucastian. He is being held in a dark dungeon. The knight says a noble took the fall for the crime. He confessed to things he did not do, then died to close the case. And that is how the official investigation was shut down. But the knight says we are still after the real culprit, confusing Lucastian. Lucastian argues that the king himself already ended the case. The knight grabs him, making it clear he is not a normal guard. He reveals his group had a plan to wipe out the entire royal family, but Lucastian's actions ruined it, nearly exposing their hidden identities. The knight says they only survived by planting a royal corpse to mislead the investigation. He warns that one more mistake will ruin their entire assassination plot. Lucastian realizes assassins are hidden all over the kingdom. He says the kingdom was already rotting from the inside. The knight demands to know who hunted the royal, offering glory in return. Lucastian hesitates for a moment, hanging his head. He finally breaks, revealing a woman named Kylina was responsible. He explains she was not a real exile clown, just an outsider. She just showed up one day asking to join their cause. They gave her castle intel and she immediately captured a royal. Lucastian says Kylina dragged the royal through the sewers and sold him to the arena. He tried to tell everyone his status, but the crowd just mocked him. Kylina simply watched from the stands, enjoying the show. The interrogator demands to know her motive for attacking the royal family, but Lucastian explains she never gave them any reason for her actions. He only remembers her saying you do not need a reason to kill when you are hungry. Back in the present, that same knight now confronts Kylina in the woods. He tells her they should have tracked her down a lot sooner, but she asks who he is, seemingly having no idea who he is. Kylina just gives him a cold, empty stare. Kylina draws her own blade. The knight lunges with a huge sword, but she shatters his weapon with one block. She notes his gear is not standard knight issue. That confirms he is not a real knight at all. He immediately switches to a chain weapon. He manages to wrap her up in the chains, but Kylina is completely unfazed, deciding to unmask him. The knight looks genuinely surprised. She blitzes past, slicing through trees and chains to knock his helmet clean off. Kylina taunts the knight about his strange, scarred face, asking if hurting himself is some kind of hobby. She holds a blade to his throat, knowing he is not a real knight. He reveals he is from a different group that also hunts down royals. But he warns that her chaotic methods are making their own plans impossible. Kylina just smirks, doubting his group has what it takes to succeed. He insists the king's assassination is already planned and imminent, so she better not interfere. She admits she finds it hard to trust his word, so she proposes joining their plot to ensure she stays quiet. After all, her old ship is sinking, so it is time to find a new one. The scarred knight says her joining is up to their cult leader. He leads her into a dark, torchlit chamber where a robed man appears, accepting her into their organization. He places his hand on her neck, then simply tells her to go. Her new mission is to find his son and become his servant. Kylina is completely confused by this, and that son is apparently Sagar. Kylina finds him in the graveyard, and Sagar is completely shocked. She tells the baffled Sagar she will be staying until the tournament. Only 3 days remain. A group of nobles meets in secret. Furious about the upcoming ceremony, one is outraged that commoners and slaves are participating, but another points out that William is different with his church-sponsored talent. They also credit him for defeating the exile clowns, saying he is practically a noble now. But one man asks what if it is all fake. He suggests they have been tricked and proposes a plan to crush William at the ceremony. The other nobles are stunned by this accusation. They cannot believe his achievements are fake. The noble is furious, claiming an arena slave was behind William's achievements. The others warn him to be certain before making such a bold claim. His father backs him up, saying his son knows the truth about both of them. They identify the slave as Happy, the champion of the arena. The noble lays out his case, flashing back to when Happy was just a punching bag. He asks how a weakling could suddenly take out mercenaries and the exile clowns. According to witnesses, William only put his name on the bounty hunt. Another noble adds that his son overheard something important. He reveals that William is actually a total beginner who has never held a sword. The room erupts, realizing the duel they saw must have been completely staged. The nobles begin to finalize their plan. One points out that Happy was actually quite famous in the arena, but after the royal death incident, everyone who knew him went quiet. They decide their real target should be the fake hero, William. The others worry since he is already an official knight of the order. But the lead noble has a plan. They will stage a kidnapping on tournament day. He will hire fake exile clowns to take nobles hostage and demand a duel. The crowd will then pressure William to step up and be the hero again. That puts him in a no-win situation, branding him a coward or a fraud. With noble lives on the line, the Knight Order has to agree and the plan is set. Happy and Winnie are super excited, so he just headbutts a nearby tree. That knocks a whole bunch of chestnuts down, and the two of them happily gather them all up. He tosses them right into a small fire, letting them roast until they are ready. Then they stomp on the hot shells to crack them open. It is a surprisingly effective technique. Soon, they are both happily munching away. A woman thanks Happy for helping her gather herbs. Winnie admits she was just here to play with her brother Happy. His friend smiles, thinking they find joy in the simplest things. The two of them have a blast playing in the falling leaves. Soon after, Winnie's mom calls for her to come home. The blonde friend decides she should probably head back too. Winnie promises she will come cheer for him at the tournament tomorrow. With them gone, the mood shifts. She asks how he is feeling and he says he is just happy for the support. But her expression shows she is still worried. She asks if this is what he really wants since he was forced into the Night Order. Kalina points out he has spent his entire life fighting unwanted battles. She says the Night Order is just more fighting, but now his reasons are gone. Happy just smiles, saying things are very different here than in the arena. He recalls how in the arena, people died even when he did not want them to. He flashes back to the grim, meaningless ends his opponents met. But here he explains with a smile, everyone gets to stay. He likes that there is a future where they can all grow and change together. Kalina seems relieved, admitting she was worried about his state of mind. She reassures him that the Great Wars ended 20 years ago with their parents' generation. Then she breaks the tension, announcing her grandma bought meat and Happy is thrilled. The next day, the tournament begins. A mysterious man arrives at a house claiming he is delivering a letter from the late Lord Lucastian. The messenger is specifically looking for a slave named Happy. They recognize the name as the old arena owner Happy's master. He explains he has traveled a long way, tracking Happy's path from the slave market. His friend clarifies Happy is a knight apprentice now and offers to take the letter, but the man insists he was ordered to deliver it to Happy personally. He then just turns and leaves. Meanwhile, the tournament crowd is already gathering to see the hero, William. At the tournament, the king asks where the princes have gone. The commander tells William to just keep his composure. Knights stand guard as the ceremony prepares to begin. All the apprentices, including Happy, are lined up and ready. Winnie excitedly cheers for brother Happy from the crowd. His entire found family is there to support him. The plotting nobles watch from their seats looking grim. Nearby, the fake kidnappers get ready to make their move. They confirm the other nobles are being held at a fake hideout. Their leader notes their targets are at the tournament grounds. Meanwhile, in a separate castle, a servant tries to wake one of the missing princes, but he is already awake and staring down a scarred man in a bloody room. The assassin quickly finishes his work, leaving another body behind as he departs. Elsewhere, Sagar tells Kailina he knows she's been following him for a while. He finally understands why she attacked him back at the farm. She asks if the pathetic William actually became a knight. Sagar confirms he did, using fake achievements, which is why the nobles are acting out. Kalina says of course the nobles would act out since William is not that kind of person. She admits she was actually planning to kill him, but he just left her alone. Sagar asks why she is so certain about all this. She just smirks, remembering his ruthless past actions. He recalls her brutality and how William was tied to the bounty, but she just calls it her style. Sagar is just quiet, processing her words. Kalina adds that it is her personal preference. She calls someone a scared puppy and grabs Sagar's arm. Then she announces it is time to work and starts climbing a tree. Sagar is shocked, reminding her they are supposed to be guarding the escape route. Kalina suddenly attacks one of the mercenaries. Sagar immediately confronts her about it. She explains they are hired by the nobles and must be eliminated. He reminds her their only goal is the royal assassination. She calls him out for trying to kill her before. Kalina then says he is the one who does not get the objective. She asks if he really thinks it is just about killing the royals. She points out their agents are hidden in every part of the kingdom. She asks why they'd stage an assassination in broad daylight. Kalina smirks, revealing their true mission is total slaughter. She says their real mission is to kill as many people as possible. Sagar tells her not to jump to conclusions. Kalina mocks him for being a naive kid just following his dad's will. She then reveals an order she took from one of his colleagues. She asks if his orders also mentioned a day of slaughter. Sagar is just silent as he reads it. Kalina smirks, knowing his orders were different. She reveals his father is deceiving him and plans to take the entire kingdom. After dropping that bomb, she just turns to leave. Sagar grips his sword, clearly shaken. The hired mercenaries get their final orders to move. One of them confirms their only target is William. The noble assures them they will be safe since noble lives are on the line. Their job is to deal with William and then disappear. The noble smugly sends his fake kidnappers on their way. At the tournament, one of the plotting nobles suddenly clutches his stomach. He complains about the pain, saying he needs to use the bathroom. He is not the only one, as several nobles are escorted from their seats. A knight offers to take the sick noble away from the crowd. The noble genuinely thinks he ate bad food, playing his part perfectly. The plotting noble walks with his knight to the fake hideout, agreeing they should have picked a more secluded spot. But then a real attacker appears from the shadows. The noble is immediately taken down hard. He gets dragged away into the bushes. Back at the tournament, the hired mercenaries begin their act, shouting for William to come down and face them. They hold the other nobles hostage, claiming to be the exile clowns. A messenger runs in, yelling that he barely escaped their hideout. The lead noble then publicly pressures William to step up and be the hero. William and the commander watch the chaos unfold. One of the nobles starts dramatically begging for his life. Another one cheers William on, telling the hero not to be scared. The mastermind noble is not impressed with their acting. Even the hired mercenaries think their performance is terrible. The commander sees right through the noble's scheme but worries about the real swords. The crowd is just confused, thinking it is part of the show. The commander tells William to stay put and let the king handle this. From his throne, the king demands to know who is behind this stunt. The plotting nobles are suddenly terrified. Suddenly, Kalina appears among the mercenaries. and pulls a knife on one of the actors. Before he can even react, she attacks. The king is completely baffled by this. The mercenary screams as she restrains him. She asks the nobles if this still feels like a joke. Her demand is simple: send William down or die. Happy and the other apprentices are stunned. Kalina smirks, saying the slaughter is starting early today. Elsewhere, Sagar orders his men to kill anyone who flees as the day of slaughter begins. William flashes back to his constant nightmares where he relived Kylena attacking his family. He remembers her brutal efficiency. She had warned him they kill entire bloodlines for revenge. Knowing she escaped the farm left him terrified for his family. He'd wake up every night just to check if they were still safe, so he decided to focus on getting stronger. That is why he trained so relentlessly with Happy. Back in the present, William steps forward, glad she is targeting him. But then a knight next to the king says, "Your Majesty, you will die." William knows if he does not step forward, people will die anyway. He has to make a choice as always and just hopes this is the right one. The commander wonders if William was training for this exact moment. He reflects that a day of reckoning always comes for those living a lie. What he once saw as stubbornness now looks like the right answer. Happy and the other apprentices are completely lost. Kalina just smirks as William approaches. She suddenly grabs one of the hired mercenaries, warning that with one signal all the nobles will be eliminated. The noble hostage panics, telling his hired goons to cancel the plan. He immediately gets punched for his trouble. The noble is left completely dazed and confused. One of the mercenaries tells him to shut up and understand the situation. He explains that their little fake play just became very real. Their lives are now actually on the line because this is a real kidnapping. The other nobles in the crowd are totally lost. They realize things are going sideways and that hostage could actually die. One of them confronts the mastermind, asking why he brought real exile clowns. But the mastermind has no idea what is going on. His plan has been hijacked. One of the plotting nobles gathers a squad to rescue the hostages. He leads the knights away, still playing his part in the fake plan. Meanwhile, Happy tries to stop William from stepping forward. He warns that if the nobles die, the fallout will be catastrophic. But William is resolved, telling Happy he is going to win. Happy just gives him a small, knowing smile. He knows William's skills have improved dramatically, but he worries he will not be able to use even half his power here. This is William's first deathmatch, and he is already frozen with fear. Kalina taunts him, saying she missed the puppy that used to tremble. Kalina mocks William for enjoying his hero act. He just tells her to shut up, vowing to finish her. She is surprisingly impressed the knight orders training actually worked. Kalina draws her sword and immediately lunges forward. William barely dodges her rapid strikes. She uses a nearby tree to launch another attack. He manages to block but gets knocked to the ground. Kalina gives him no time to recover, rushing in again. William's mind races, trying to think of his next move. But she knows he will not have time to think at all. Elsewhere, the other knights are fighting for their lives while Kalina suddenly tells William to look down. Before he can even process it, she slices his face. She taunts him, saying he'd be dead if she had not warned him. She then clarifies that she has no intention of killing him. From the sidelines, Happy can only watch the beatdown. William tries to fight back but gets completely outclassed. Kalina effortlessly parries his every desperate swing. He realizes none of his moves are working and he is going to die. She just mocks him for becoming a scared puppy all over again. Kalina turns her back on William, promising she will not kill him, which is not reassuring. He sees an opening and goes for a counterattack, but she was just baiting him the entire time. From the sidelines, Happy just smiles. William lunges forward with everything he has left. Kalina effortlessly sidesteps and brings him down hard. He gets completely disarmed and thrown to the ground. William finally realizes her fear was just a calculated move to break him. All the while, the crowd just keeps chanting for their hero, William. Kalina looks down at William, wondering how this is happening. The kid who was trembling in fear is now attacking with genuine killing intent. Happy flashes back to the arena, recalling how he learned to exploit overconfident fighters. He knows exactly what openings appear when someone underestimates their opponent. Kalina is actually thrown off balance, feeling dizzy from the sudden shift. The hired mercenaries panic, screaming they are not real exile clowns and were just following noble orders. The mastermind noble demands their immediate execution, trying to paint them as dishonorable cowards. His hired goons are shocked, yelling back that they were just told to mess with William, not fight a real duel. The noble just screams that it is all a frame-up, desperately trying to discredit them before they expose his entire plan. The hired noble completely breaks, confessing it was all just an act. He begs for his life as the crowd murmurs, totally confused. The king watches the chaos, demanding to know what is happening. But the traitor knight beside him leans in, warning that something is wrong. He reports that all the royals and high-ranking nobles have disappeared. The king leaps to his feet, demanding to know when they all vanished. He then realizes the troops guarding the rear are also missing. A guard explains the commander took them to rescue the kidnapped nobles. The traitor knight orders the guard to recall the commander immediately, sensing trouble. A bird takes flight as the situation spirals out of control. A messenger bird takes flight, carrying a desperate warning. It finds the location of the lured-away knights. One of the soldiers spots it, calling for his commander. He finds him standing alone at the entrance to a cave. Inside, the knight is horrified to find the entire squad has been wiped out. He rushes to the commander, who is the sole survivor of the ambush. The commander realizes this was not the exile clowns, but a different hidden force. The knight cannot believe an enemy force that strong could just disappear. With no time to waste, they have to get back to the tournament and warn everyone. As the ambush rages on, another knight falls. Kalina looks up from the ground, addressing William. She warns him the real danger is much closer than he thinks. In fact, she says everyone at the tournament is about to die. She admits she only tried to get him out of this because she actually liked him. He asks if more exile clown remnants are behind this attack, but she confirms the exile clowns are completely finished. She starts listing his supposed achievements like taking down the arena. She also credits him for driving out the exile clowns, but his actions cast a shadow so massive that this chaos is nothing. Happy struggles to understand as assassins hide in the crowd. In the royal box, the traitor knight announces the day of slaughter has begun. He asks a guard if the commander was called, keeping up his act. Then he suddenly attacks the loyal knight standing beside him. The guard is taken down before he can even react. Kalina explains that the king will be the first to fall. The traitor knight swings his weapon right at the defenseless king. He strikes the monarch down in a single, brutal blow. Kalina finishes her warning, then everyone else will die, and just like that, the assassins in the stands begin their massacre. The nobles scream for weapons as chaos erupts, but the assassins are already among them. People are cut down before they can even react. A woman can only watch as her friend falls. She screams that traitors are mixed in with the crowd. A knight offers to help a terrified woman evacuate, but he turns out to be another assassin. The killer declares that a new world has arrived. The royal guards are being systematically eliminated. Happy's friends are trapped in the panicked crowd. Happy's friend tries to escape the chaos, telling the injured knight to get up and run. Nearby, an assassin targets a small child but gets taken out by a brutal punch. The blonde friend tries to stop another attacker, who shoves her aside to get to the knight. The massacre continues as people are cut down in the stands. A loyal knight carries the wounded king, begging him to stay conscious, but he is suddenly grabbed from behind by another traitor. The knight gets knocked out cold with a chained weapon. The loyal knight is completely lost. The traitor has him chained up, telling him to accept the end because the kingdom has already fallen, but the knight refuses to give up. He looks back and sees the castle is burning. Suddenly, more cloaked assassins rush the field. They begin wiping out the last of the royal guards. A commander realizes this is way bigger than a simple assassination plot. The traitor explains they are all bound together by a shared faith. He reveals they all serve a single master as they close in on the wounded king. The cultist says they are preparing the land for their master's arrival. Elsewhere, a bearded man sits up, seemingly having a flashback. He tells a nearby knight he finally understands their enemy's identity. Turns out they are a cult from the Age of War that worships a demon-like being. They believe this demon's power would end all conflict and establish a new world order. As kingdoms fell, the survivors had to team up to face this overwhelming threat. But then, right at the climax, the demon just completely disappeared. The knight is skeptical, but the man says even the exile clown founder believed it. He knew it was the demon when he heard an entire night order got soloed by one person. The king reveals he turned that lone survivor into a liar to force him into hiding. The king explains the demon's existence was a forbidden truth, making it easy to hide. He admits it was a terrible choice, but one he felt he had to make. After the war, he purged anyone tied to the demon to protect his kingdom. But making his kingdom the safest just turned it into the perfect target for the cult. They are using his peaceful land as a sacrifice to summon the demon back. The knight is just speechless, processing everything. He realizes the Mad King was actually just trying to maintain peace this whole time. It was his own demon-worshipping cult that was the true evil. All the judgments he thought were from God were just part of the plan. He wonders if his entire life was just a ritual to summon that demon. Sagar realizes his father has been hiding the cult's true nature this whole time. The scarred cultist tells Sagar he must now head to the castle. His father is waiting, hoping this whole ordeal would make Sagar accept their cause. The man says they will finish the job here and follow him soon. Sagar is just left to process this massive betrayal. He stands alone as the battle rages on behind him. His mind flashes back to a time when Kalina brought him a gift. An old man had given him a charm to protect him from the dead. He walks through a nightmare landscape of all his past victims. In the darkness, he just clutches that small charm. Sagar remembers his father calling this mission his final initiation. He finally arrives at the cult's castle. He walks through the massive, empty throne room. His father, the cult leader, says he has been waiting for him. Sagar kneels before his father's throne. He asks if this massacre was the true world he was always promised. His father confirms that even Sagar's eventual acceptance was all planned. Sagar struggles to put it all together. He asks in horror if they are a cult that worships a demon. His father confirms it, asking how he feels knowing the truth. Sagar admits he could not bear to watch the massacre. His father says even he underestimated the cult's true power. He tells his son it is time to prepare for their new world, but he questions why Sagar is still so afraid now that it is over. Sagar clutches his amulet, hearing the dead pounding on the door. He is haunted by visions of all his past victims clawing to get in. His father just watches him, completely unfazed by his son's terror. He points out that the amulet is what is blocking the dead. He then tells Sagar there are no dead and orders him to destroy it. But Sagar refuses, convinced the spirits will drag him away. His father calls Sagar weak for clinging to his fear. He then crushes the amulet, insisting it is all just an illusion. He tells his son to look at the door one more time. The cult leader insists that the dead are silent and gone for good. For a moment, the doors are perfectly still, but then they burst open with a wave of spirits. Sagar sees all his past victims rushing right for him. The spirits of the dead completely swarm the throne room. Sagar can only brace for impact, totally terrified, but his father just stares them down, completely unfazed. The spirits vanish, replaced by a vision of Happy in the throne room. He is scarred and smiling like an absolute madman. Sagar and his father are just completely baffled. Happy explains he did not want to see people dying anymore. He refused to become a monster, so he fought without killing. And suddenly, it all starts to click for Sagar. He remembers the strange aftermath of the arena fights and how none of it ever actually made any sense. It was the same in the battle that destroyed the exile clowns. In every major incident, he had calculatedly left everyone alive. Sagar struggles to understand why Happy would hold back. The vision explains he did not want to become a monster, but Sagar's memory shifts as he accuses Happy of killing all of his past victims. The Vision's face turns demonic, saying they were monsters, not people. Sagar is stunned, asking if he really killed them all. The Vision lists the cultists hidden in the tournament crowd and all the armed believers stationed along the forest path. He says he started moving the moment the attack began, arriving at the castle just moments before Sagar did. The Vision says that to arrive so soon, he must have matched Sagar's pace. The cult leader is baffled, asking how countless battles did not slow him down, but Happy's vision just grins, refusing to believe the leader's act. He swings a heavy chain, whipping it directly at the cult leader. The leader scoffs, calling him insolent for stealing their weapon. The chain wraps tightly around his sword, but he reveals it is the weapon they are most trained to use. He calls Happy's choice foolish, and with a single move, he shatters the chain completely. The cult leader throws his sword at Happy's vision, but Happy just catches it with the chain. The leader is genuinely surprised by this move. Happy then starts swinging the sword like a flail, whipping it around with incredible speed and power. The leader barely manages to block the incoming strike, but Happy just yanks the sword back for another attack. He swings it again, aiming right for the leader's head. The leader dodges, and the sword shatters on impact. But he still gets a cut on his face, looking genuinely shocked. Happy's vision grabs another chain weapon and whips it around with a wild grin. The cult leader is stunned by his skill, demanding to know how he mastered their signature weapon. The vision just says the answer will not change anything. He is only here to fight. Suddenly, the leader's eyes go wide in realization. He is thrown into a vision of him bowing to a demonic figure. The memory of that terrifying smile flashes in his mind. Back in reality, the leader is visibly shaken. The cult leader realizes this is the same overwhelming awe he felt when first meeting his lord. He cannot understand why he is feeling this sensation he has worshipped for so long. He decides he has just grown weak from the lack of a worthy opponent. With renewed conviction, he declares he will worship with blood. But Happy's vision interrupts, whipping the chain weapon forward. The chain wraps tightly around the leader's arm and torso. The leader is suddenly yanked off balance by the pull. Happy's vision digs in, using his own body as an anchor. The leader is completely baffled by this strange tactic. He scoffs that the smaller fighter will just get dragged around. The vision digs in its heels, and the cult leader gets dragged forward, completely off balance. He is forced into a chaotic, close-range fight, desperately parrying the relentless attacks, but the vision's blade breaks through his guard. He is left with another cut, genuinely shocked. He notices the vision use the chaos to wrap the chain again, closing the gap. But something about this opponent feels deeply wrong. He realizes that every time the situation or weapon changes, it feels like he is fighting a completely different being. The leader analyzes every aspect of the vision's fighting style. He realizes the forms cannot be from one person, and Sagar screams it is the dead. His father shouts back that there are no dead, but Sagar is terrified. He explains that just like a god, some things only exist if you believe. The dead, he says, only appear for those who believe in them. The cult leader waits for his point to sink in, but Happy's vision explains he remembers people through fighting. Back in the arena, that was the only way he could know someone. He says even those he defeated visit him every night in his dreams. It feels like all their battles are now writhing across his entire body. The vision says he has never forgotten a single opponent, and now the cult leader is one of them, forever bound to him just like all the others. Back at the arena, the apprentices struggle to survive the chaos. The real Happy carries an injured knight on his back, looking out at the smoke rising from the distant castle. But something about his fighting style was completely different now. The time he was making sure his enemies did not get back up. During the massacre, he fought with a new purpose, finding allies in the crowd and throwing them weapons to fight back. Happy kicks a sword over to his friends, telling them to just hold the line. With weapons in hand, they actually start pushing the cultists back. Happy himself cuts a path through the chaos, moving to save anyone who gets cornered. A loyal knight watches the battle unfold grimly. Elsewhere, a massive man in chains takes down a guard. He asks a cultist if their leader is in the nearby castle. He figures out they are just guards blocking the way, so he charges in with a wild grin. The exiled prisoner faces a lone knight. The knight is too exhausted to stop him. The prisoner just blows right past him and starts tearing through the cultists. A commander arrives, asking where the other troops are. The knight reports they were all taken out by the believers. Just then, reinforcements are spotted in the distance. A voice roars for everyone to assemble. A new captain steps up to take command. He orders the regrouped army to advance on the castle, following Happy. The city burns in the distance. When he helps gather the few remaining survivors, the exiled prisoner arrives, declaring the kingdom has already fallen. But Happy's vision says they will keep fighting for who is left. He tells the cult leader he has to finish what he started. And if their demon god shows up, he will take him down too. The exiled prisoner finally confronts the cult leader. The leader notes he is unarmored and has no weapon, feeling confident. He charges forward to attack the prisoner, but the prisoner blocks the strike with his chains. The prisoner digs his heels in, and with a sharp tug, the cult leader realizes the chain just got shorter. Before he can react, he gets a fist to the face. Sagar can only watch, completely stunned by this turn of events. The leader is furious, but his sword is still tangled. The prisoner yanks him in close and just starts wailing on him with brutal punches. He uses the chain to swing the leader around, throwing him to the ground and disarming him completely. The prisoner slams the cult leader down hard. Sagar can only watch, completely confused. But then a new fighter attacks the prisoner from behind. The man in red wins up for another strike. He accuses the prisoner of betraying Winnie and her family. He asks if their friendship was just a lie to set up this massacre. The man says he fought to protect the farm from the exile clowns. He never wanted to see any of them die like this. But Happy's voice cuts in, telling him the farm people are still alive. He explains that he saved who he could and now they are saving others. The man in red refuses to believe it, yelling that everyone died. The cult leader cuts in, accusing Happy's vision of disrupting Sagar's initiation with lies. He dismisses Happy as just a pathetically weak human. Then he turns to his son, calling out to Sagar. He explains their cult is bound by faith and even his death will not stop them. He tells Sagar that he will be the one to lead the cult after him, but before he can finish his villain speech, the exiled prisoner grabs him. Sagar can only watch in complete shock. The prisoner just smashes the leader's face into the floor. Even Happy's vision seems completely baffled by this turn of events. The exiled prisoner suddenly seizes up on the ground. The man in red reveals he poisoned him, saying they are both just human. He grabs the prisoner, ready to go down together. Apparently, the chains themselves were the delivery system for the poison. But a sword suddenly flashes through the air and the man in red looks up, completely baffled. It is Happy's vision who just grabs him. He effortlessly throws the man away from the prisoner. The vision just repeats that he told him he saved them, and that he is still in the process of saving them now. The vision shows the man in red the future he is creating, a world haunted by the consequences of his actions. In this timeline, the cult leader is taken out by his own poison, and all the believers just vanish into thin air afterwards. It leaves a kingdom where no one can tell who is a victim or a cultist. Paranoia spreads through the streets as everyone stops trusting each other. Without stability, the wounded king eventually succumbs to his injuries. The rest of the royal family and the nobles are also eliminated. With no one left to lead, the entire government completely collapses, and the kingdom is plunged into its darkest age ever. The vision shifts to a makeshift clinic at night. A knight directs the survivors to a treatment center. Inside, Winnie asks the man how much poison he was exposed to. He says he held his breath and just grabbed Happy to escape. Another survivor asks if it is really that dangerous after such short contact. Winnie confirms it is a lethal poison that even the cult leader died from. The man is stunned, asking how she knows so much about it. She explains that her grandparents know the cult's history all too well. An old man reveals Winnie's parents were killed by the same religious group. They had accidentally opened a poisoned well the cult left behind. The vision shows Winnie's family grieving her parents' deaths. Her grandfather explains this is why they know so much about poison, which makes Happy's survival after being exposed even more confusing. The man in red cannot understand how Happy is completely fine. Happy just drinks the medicine his friend brings over. But when he noticed his body was fighting the poison on its own, it was like he'd already experienced something similar before. Her grandfather asks if he was poisoned back in the arena. Happy just smiles, saying he does not know and it just hurt a lot. The man in red watches from the back, processing everything. The vision shifts, showing the man in red pulling his captain aside. He quietly leads him away from the main house. The captain asks him what is going on. The man shows him items recovered from a dead messenger. Looking over the body, the captain asks what he found. It is a will left by Lukastian specifically for Happy. The man confirms the captain's hunch was right all along. The will details the story of the lone knight who became an exile clown. It also exposes the fanatical religious group that stained the kingdom with blood, and it speaks of the monstrous demon god they all witnessed. The captain explains the will confirmed the demon god's existence, and that Lukastian's letter revealed even more. It turns out Happy was a child abandoned by that very demon. In the will, Lukastian confesses his twisted desire, which was to witness the strongest beings in the world. He believed Happy's parents were his ideal of that strength, so he became obsessed with finding them, tracking them down after they sold Happy at a slave market. After a long search, he finally found their location, but every soldier he sent to that snowy wasteland went missing. Lukastian's will explains he spent years researching that mysterious wasteland. He found a place that all kings have tried to hide from history. It is known as the place where the demon sleeps. The ancient kings themselves gave it that name after witnessing the entity. Lukastian says he does not know why Happy's demon parents abandoned him. He admits he forced Happy to fight, hoping it would forge the strength he'd need. A flashback shows a young Happy absolutely terrified. Lukastian's goal was to ensure Happy would not die at the hands of the demon. He declares that Happy has finally become his ideal of strength. The will concludes by revealing the hidden location of Happy's parents. The captain asks who else knows about this, and the man confirms the messenger told no one. It is just the two of them who know the truth. He is stunned, admitting he never imagined Happy had this kind of past. Now he is not sure if Happy's existence will bring salvation or disaster, but he decides what is certain is that Happy is on their side. And the cult is still intact, planning to continue summoning the demon. His first instinct is to inform the allied kings and plan for the future, but the other kings hid the demon's existence and might not help a demon's child. So the new plan is to hide Happy's identity and just request help to eliminate the cult. The captain's voiceover says it will be a long journey. The scene shifts to a memory of villagers celebrating new knights. A young Happy humbly says he is just an apprentice, not a knight, but the villagers do not care, congratulating him all the same. He leads a toast, telling everyone to cheer his name. The whole village raises their mugs, shouting to Happy. For a moment, he looks genuinely joyful, but the memory dissolves into a massive graveyard. An old man approaches, noting 2 weeks have passed. He tells Happy he has been digging graves without a single day of rest. The old man walks through the endless graves. He says with so many casualties, a mass grave would have been more practical, but he points out that Happy buried every single person himself. Happy explains he had to because he remembers all of them. A woman tells him to remember them as people, not just as fights. Her face is filled with deep concern. Her expression hardens with a sad understanding. She cannot help but start to cry, as Happy finally leaves the village behind. The old man checks in on the distraught woman. A woman struggles to accept that Sagar was a cult member. The old man just encourages her to talk about it. He never guessed Sagar was the leader's son, but reminds her Happy tried to help. She briefly wonders if Sagar was a victim, but ultimately blames him for the massacre. The old man listens to her quietly. As she prepares to leave, someone is seen peeking through the door. A voice calls for Happy, revealing he was hiding under the floorboards. He just sits there silently in the dark. Happy does not seem ready to move. The man in red looks back, questioning the delay. In a vision, the dying cult leader tells Sagar the organization is his now. He asks why Sagar is not taking charge and issuing orders, but Sagar admits he cannot live with the weight of it all. His father just calls him weak. Back in the present, the floorboards suddenly burst open. Kalina climbs out, gasping that she almost died down there. She complains about the smell, but the old man tells her to be quiet. He then reveals he only saved them because he has faith in Sagar. Kalina looks over, clearly feeling left out of the sentiment. The old man just tells her she is only alive because of Sagar. Winnie's grandfather tells them to hurry up and run away, but Kalina scoffs that the whole kingdom is a disaster zone. She says their alliances are gone and they will be branded fanatics wherever they go. The old man panics, yelling that he will die if they stay. Kalina then asks Sagar if he knows the cult's plans since he is the new leader. Sagar immediately shuts that down, saying the cult moves on its own faith. So Kalina asks what that faith even is. He says their public belief is that God will save them. But then he corrects himself, looking grim. The real truth is that a demon will return to destroy the profane. Kalina argues that if a world-ending demon exists, they should just join its side. She figures their 20 years of worship means they will at least get a hearing. The old man calls her crazy, but she just calls it her survival method. Sagar just listens to her plan. Elsewhere, the man in red's family is packing up to flee the chaos. His father says he can get them set up in another kingdom through his merchant guild, but his son looks conflicted. He tells his father that he is staying behind. He argues that even though the kingdom is ruined, he saw people trying to rebuild. He has decided to join the expedition as a knight, shocking his father. His father is left to process his son's decision. The man in red asks about the expedition he is joining. The captain explains they are going to ask allied nations for help. The plan is to split into 2 groups and head in different directions. Since they cannot trust many soldiers, only the most proven fighters will go. Time passes as the rain pours down. Elsewhere, a group decides that Happy must be sent on the expedition. A woman argues against it since he is not even a knight yet, but 2 days later the expedition prepares to leave the city. Despite the recent tragedy, they know they have to move out now. The new captain rallies the expedition, saying the king's will is with them. He acknowledges that some are here for revenge after losing their families, while others are just trying to find a new path forward, and some, like Happy, have to leave loved ones behind. The captain says that no matter their reasons for joining, they are now the kingdom's very last flag of hope. Elsewhere, Winnie is completely exhausted. Her grandmother tells her she needs to go with them. Apparently, William's family offered her a safe place to stay during the mission. She tells Winnie to go protect Happy, reminding her he is still just a kid. A pouch of flowers gets tossed over, which Happy catches in the back of a cart. Suddenly, someone else hops right in with him. The knights just tell him to get used to the bumpy ride. His new companion smiles, saying they are coming with him. With that, the small group begins their long journey. Happy thinks back to how big the world seemed when he first escaped the arena, but he also knows how quickly that world can just disappear. He turns and asks his companion just how big the world actually is. They guess that you probably could not see it all in one lifetime. Happy and his companion are amazed by the endless forest. Winnie just smiles, enjoying the journey with them. As evening approaches, the captain calls for them to set up camp. He assigns the first night watch and tells the knight to rest up. Then he asks if anyone in the group is confident in their cooking skills. Winnie immediately volunteers, saying she will handle the meal. The captain seems a bit surprised but agrees to let her cook. The other knights are just confused by this development. Winnie just gives them a confident little wave, but the captain suddenly asks her why she is even on this mission. Winnie argues that every good party needs a healer, but the captain immediately shuts her down. She reminds him she literally saved his life from poison. He is still not having it, insisting she cannot come. His real problem is it is too far to send her back alone. Luckily, another knight steps in to vouch for her. He explains how she organized the entire treatment center during the attack. With her qualifications proven, the captain finally relents. The group gets to work setting up their campsite. Happy and Winnie start building the cooking rack together. The man in red gets some water for the camp while the captain watches the group from a distance. He is impressed with how quickly Happy and Winnie are adapting to this life. He figures it is probably because they get along so well together. Over the fire, the stew is finally boiling. Winnie watches it cook, humming to herself happily. She notes that the captain and William are out scouting the area and they will need to save a portion for another knight named Hermod. With everyone else busy, Happy is already asking when they can eat. When he tells him they will all eat together once the others get back, suddenly they hear the sound of a horse approaching. Winnie and Happy look up, immediately on alert. A lone traveler on horseback comes into view. He has spotted their small campfire from the road. Winnie wonders if it is just a random traveler passing by. The man gives them a friendly nod. He continues to ride closer to their camp. Happy just figures it is normal to see people out here. For a moment, the night seems peaceful again, but elsewhere, a group of robed men admire a massive pile of stolen treasure. The lone traveler is actually a bandit leader, telling his crew to pack up their latest score. He rides off ahead, leaving them to gather the loot. His men are thrilled with all the prey they have been finding lately. Meanwhile, the captain and William finish their scouting, thinking the area is safe. But they have found the bandits' victims, telling the others to rest before they move at dawn. Back at camp, everyone is fast asleep. The night watch takes a drink. It is the man in red who is still thinking about how good Winnie's stew was. But from the bushes, the bandits are watching him. They see he is the only one on guard and decide to strike all at once. The man in red is on watch when Happy suddenly sits up. The bandits in the bushes see this and immediately get nervous. They think they have been caught, but Happy just cheerfully says he is going to pee. The guard just tells him to go ahead, so Happy heads into the woods. He walks away from the camp completely alone, but a group of bandits starts to follow him. They are convinced he has come out to find them, thinking their cover is blown. Happy, meanwhile, is just looking for a good spot by a rock, totally oblivious. The bandit leader decides to take out this troublesome one first. Seeing him unarmed, he orders his crew to attack on his signal. As Happy looks for a spot, a bandit sneaks up from behind. The man swings his axe, aiming to take him out in one blow, but Happy just casually kicks the weapon, shattering it instantly. He sends the first attacker flying back into his stunned friends. The rest of the bandits immediately swarm him all at once. Happy just weaves through their attacks, completely untouched. One bandit is already exhausted, confused by what is happening. Happy starts running, so the terrified man tries to get away. He realizes with horror that Happy is just chasing him down. The pursuit ends with a single, devastating kick. With the bandits defeated, Happy asks who they are. The leader immediately starts begging for his life. Happy asks if they are part of the cult, but the man insists they are just simple bandits. Happy looks down, considering his next move. He then spots a familiar golden bag on the ground. He recognizes it from the traveler who passed their camp earlier. He wonders if that man was just another victim, but then he notices something on the bag. He realizes the traveler was not a victim, but was targeting them. The captain and his men rush over, asking what happened. Happy just smiles, saying he brought them some guests. The guests are the bandits, now begging for their lives. The captain learns the road ahead is swarming with bandits. Apparently, several gangs have gathered to compete for loot. Their boss, the strongest of the bunch, claimed the best spot. The captain grimly accepts the entire road as a bandit den. One knight guesses the chaos is attracting refugees and bandits. The man in red worries that news of their kingdom's fall has spread. The captain agrees since it took them 2 weeks just to get organized. The captain says any detour will also have bandits and they cannot afford a full-scale fight. Winnie asks what they are supposed to do, seeing no way forward. The man in red suggests a wild plan. They should disguise themselves as bandits. He figures they can use the power balance between the gangs to their advantage. They will just pretend to be a rival crew returning from a successful raid. By moving along the territorial borders, other gangs will assume they are rivals and leave them alone. And since they'd be coming from where the strongest gangs operate, others would be too scared to bother them. But the captain shoots it down, saying their disguise would be exposed the moment they had to talk. The man in red agrees, admitting only real bandits would know the necessary information. And suddenly, everyone looks at their captured bandits. The captured bandits look completely lost. Their leader starts mapping out the road, naming the different bandit crews in the area. He taunts the group, asking if they are scared of what is ahead. The bandit nervously asks if they will be spared once this is all over. The captain promises they will keep their word since they are knights. The bandit does not seem to buy it for a second. He gets cocky, saying his boss will notice they are missing and come rescue them. Elsewhere, that very boss finds the loot but realizes his men were taken out by the campers. He is confused because the campers seemed like nobodies, wondering what he is missing. One of his underlings suggests they go investigate the scene themselves. The bandit boss orders his men to grab the loot and return. He coldly writes off his missing crew, saying they were worthless anyway. He is actually glad they are gone and tells his men to prep the bribe for the city guards. Back at the expedition's camp, the captured bandit leader tells his men their boss is coming to rescue them. But then Happy just offers him a bowl of stew. The bandits are completely baffled by this. The food just smells way too good, so the leader reluctantly takes the bowl. He tells his crew to enjoy it since it is probably their last meal. William looks over at the captured bandits, saying they seem pitiful, not like bad guys. Happy immediately reminds him they tried to attack him with an axe. William snaps out of it, realizing his mistake. With their new guides, the expedition departs. 3 days into the journey, the mood is grim. The bandits realize their boss must have taken a different path. Their leader says they will guide the group quickly so they can find him. He begs the captain to keep his promise and let them live for their help. Hours later, the group continues down the road. Happy asks the bandit why his boss was not with them during the attack. The man explains their boss promised them citizenship if they looted enough. Happy just listens, processing this sketchy deal. But then they hear running from the bushes ahead. He immediately looks over, sensing trouble. The sound gets closer and faster. The captain and William also hear the commotion. It is the sound of a full-on charge. A horn blows as another bandit crew attacks some travelers. They have ambushed a merchant who is holding a small, bearded man. The expedition is suddenly stopped on the road. They have been completely surrounded by another bandit crew. The new leader slams his axe down and asks which gang they belong to. The captain stays silent, remembering their plan. He told the group they needed a designated talker for this exact situation. Their captured bandit leader had volunteered, saying he knew how to speak their language. So back in the present, they push one of the captured bandits forward. The poor guy looks completely lost for a second. Then it dawns on him that he is the one who has to talk. The captured bandit nervously shouts the insult he was taught. He explains his boss always said it would work. Apparently that line is supposed to make people back down, but the new bandit leader just attacks immediately. He is furious, asking if they even know who he is. Their spokesperson manages to block the blow with a shield. The bandit leader cannot believe they are picking a fight, but their guy just asks who the hell they asterisk are. The leader says he knows every major crew in the area. So the other bandit quickly claims they are a new gang. The new bandit leader is not buying their story. Their spokesperson just confirms they are a new crew. The leader finds it suspicious that a newbie gang is acting so tough. He insists they just want to pass through quietly, not start a war. The just confuses the bandit, who asks if they know whose territory this is. He reveals their main camp is right up ahead, making this a direct challenge. The expedition sees the massive bandit settlement for themselves. The leader decides to offer them a deal, acting magnanimous. He demands they leave everything, the wagon, the horses, and their clothes. In exchange, he will graciously let them walk away with their lives. Their bandit spokesperson decides to act. He yells for everyone to duck and smacks the leader with a plank. The bandit leader goes flying back as their guy presses the attack. But the leader just brushes it off, impressed by his guts. That is when the real boss appears, wearing a boar helmet. The captain immediately knows this is going to get dangerous. Their guide confirms this is a top 3 crew they cannot possibly beat. So the man in red grabs him, furious he started a fight they cannot win. A bandit moves to attack the merchants, but Winnie jumps in and blocks the blow. William immediately pulls her back into the wagon. The captain stops the horses as the bandits close in. He orders everyone to use the wagons as a defensive wall. The boar helmet boss is just happy he gets to take their loot. He gives the order for his entire crew to sweep them up. The knights brace themselves for the massive charge. The captain starts fending off attackers from the wagon while Happy joins the fight, ready to strike down the bandits. Happy immediately starts clearing out bandits, cutting through their ranks with absolute ease. Meanwhile, their bandit spokesperson tries to hold his own, but his shield is completely shattered by a heavy blow. He is left wide open, and another bandit quickly takes him down. The boar helmet boss is stunned, wondering why this small group is so skilled. Suddenly, one of his men starts screaming in terror. The boss turns, confused by the new commotion. The bandit is pointing frantically, yelling that there is something inside the wagon. Boar helmet boss looks over, confused by the commotion. Even the captured bandits are wondering what is going on. Suddenly, one of the guides attacks the screaming bandit. He yells for everyone to target Happy, calling him the weakest link. But Happy just casually swats the first attacker away. The other bandits can only stare in total disbelief. Happy immediately follows up with a brutal kick. Another bandit tries to attack him from behind, but Happy just blocks the blow and breaks his arm. He finishes the guy off with a single heavy punch. The battle rages, but Happy is clearing a path. A knight reports that Happy's side is already wiped out. The bandit leader is furious, yelling at his men to push harder. Meanwhile, Happy and William lead the rescued merchants away from the fight. They tell the merchants they will hold the line here to cover them, but then they just run right past the confused merchants. William panics, shouting that the merchants and Happy were running away. The captain just tells him to ignore it and focus on the fight. The boar helmet boss scoffs, reminding them this is his camp. He roars for all of his forces to get out and finish this. The boar helmet boss taunts them, asking which side is going to die today. The expedition braces for impact, but Happy looks absolutely thrilled. Meanwhile, the merchants they just saved are running away to find their own boss. But one of them stops, looking back. He is clearly having second thoughts about this. He remembers how the expedition treated him with kindness, even offering him food. The memory makes him hesitate. He sees his friends are also thinking about the meal they were given. It is a stark contrast to their old boss, who told them to earn their food with violence. The man clutches his head, completely torn. The merchant remembers their kindness. He sees the expedition standing firm, looking like absolute heroes. As his friends run, he trips and falls. Another merchant urges him to flee with them, but he declares they have to prove they deserve to live. He turns back towards the battle, confusing everyone. He says it is time for them to earn their keep. The other merchants look at him, completely shocked. Then they all grab rocks and sticks, ready to fight. The merchants charge in, ready for a fight. They yell that they have arrived to help. The first rock connects, confusing a bandit. Meanwhile, Happy just catches an axe with his bare hand. He sends the attacker flying with a kick. Then he dodges another swing and takes out a second guy. Happy is just tearing through the bandits like they are nothing. He winds up for another heavy punch, and just like that, he is clearing a path through the enemy lines. The merchants who came to help can only stare, completely baffled. Happy decides to end this. He immediately takes out the boss. The boar helmet is furious, boasting about his toughness as their spokesperson attacks him. But then he just surrenders. In an instant, the entire bandit army is defeated. The merchants are just speechless. The captain realizes all the stories about Happy were actually true. He admits they almost retreated, but they had no choice but to trust Happy's words. Happy had promised to take them all down, telling them to just catch the stragglers. The merchants they saved are back, asking how they managed to win. Winnie is just confused since she thought they were running away. They admit they came back to help but did not actually expect a victory. The merchant leader confesses he lied about knowing the camp's location out of fear. As he begs for mercy, a knight reports their wagon is wrecked and the horses are gone. The captain just grimly accepts the bad news. Their bandit guide suggests they just loot the camp for supplies. The knights are not exactly thrilled with that idea. They survey the damage to their supplies and transport. The captain orders them to let the horses go and destroy all the bandits' weapons. William feels a bit too into character, admitting this whole bandit disguise feels way too real. The captain justifies taking the loot since it is kingdom property anyway. A knight named Hermod is confident they will be fine with Happy on their side. The merchants and knights start calling Hermod their new leader, offering to pull the wagon. So the Hermod bandit gang is born, much to the real captain's confusion. Their new crew sets off down the road. The next day, someone comes looking for the defeated bandits. A much tougher-looking boss asks his men who managed to beat them. The defeated bandit reports they were taken out by a brand new crew. The new boss asks about this new crew. He demands to know their gang's name. His men shake the defeated bandit for answers. The poor guy is still traumatized by the fight. One of the merchants they saved proudly announces they are the Hermod bandit gang. The boss mishears this as Helmer, wondering if it means demons from hell. The merchant just rolls with it, but the boss is not buying their story. He brushes that aside, focusing on what really matters. He asks if this new crew really took all their loot. Hearing how easily his men were defeated, the boss snaps. The bandit boss boasts that no one in the world is stronger than him. He decides to hunt the new crew down and take back all the loot. Meanwhile, the expedition finally reaches the kingdom's outer outpost. A guard on the wall spots them, yelling that a bandit group is approaching. The captain cannot believe bandits would be dumb enough to attack them here. He looks over the wall to see what the commotion is about, and sure enough, the Hermod gang looks exactly like a real bandit crew. The captain immediately orders his men to shoot the bandits on sight, but just as they are about to fire, he suddenly tells them to wait. He has spotted another group behind them and seems to recognize someone. The outpost captain recognizes the infamous Iron Fang bandit boss, wondering why he is here. He is completely baffled by the situation unfolding outside his gates. The defeated bandits are reporting to Iron Fang about the Helmer gang. They explain their entire crew was wiped out by just a single person. One of them starts to panic just remembering it, but the boss shuts him down, saying he already knows. He sees they are heading for the kingdom and declares that cannot happen. Back at the gate, the Iron Fang gang rides up behind the expedition. Their leader smirks, saying he almost missed them. The expedition's captain grimly notes that the bandits caught up after all. Iron Fang's men seem to recognize the captain. The boss asks if they are the couple he saw camping. He then realizes they must be the Helmer gang. He is also furious the merchants he sent seemingly joined them. But the merchants quickly explain they were kidnapped. The captain points to the outpost, asking if he really wants a fight here. He then completely drops the bandit disguise, shouting they are a knight order from an allied kingdom demanding entry. Iron Fang is confused as the guards on the wall stay silent. The group wonders why the outpost is not responding at all. The outpost captain is not buying their story at all, asking why knights are carrying loot and how they survived the forest. The expedition's captain insists it is just a disguise, but the guard on the wall just pretends he cannot hear them. He says if they are real knights, they should prove it by beating the bandits. He tells them to kill everyone first and then they will talk. One of his own men worries this could cause a huge problem, but the captain just threatens him for questioning orders. Iron Fang's man explains this outpost is a dumping ground for useless soldiers. The outpost captain overhears this and completely loses it. Iron Fang is done talking and demands they return his property. He starts with his first demand. He wants the merchants back, calling them his dwarf brats. The merchants panic, telling the knights to run because their boss is a monster. But the captain just ignores them and orders his men to form ranks. He is not backing down from this fight. The captain flashes back to their long journey. Remembering all the impossible battles they fought while outnumbered, they have been through endless marches and sleepless nights on watch. This is just one more standoff in a long line of them. They have been pushed past exhaustion and lack of sleep. The entire expedition's stamina has completely hit rock bottom. Even Happy, who fought the most, is on the verge of collapse. One of the merchants asks the captain why they are not running. The captain replies that they have nowhere left to retreat to. He explains that his knights do not fight for land or treasure, but for the people they are sworn to protect. He then proposes a leader's duel to settle things peacefully. But Iron Fang just scoffs at the idea of a fair fight. He reveals he planned to kill every single one of them himself. Iron Fang immediately attacks with a massive swing. He gloats that he is going to kill every last one of them. His first strike connects with one of the merchants. The boss is just furious they almost cost him his loot. The captain barely manages to block the next attack. Another merchant turns around, confused by the sound. He finds his friend bleeding out on the ground. He rushes over, desperately trying to stop the bleeding. The wounded man just stares up, completely dazed. He says this must be punishment for all their past crimes. The merchant desperately tries to save his fallen friend. The dying man says his brother always fought to protect them, insisting he was never a real bandit but was actually their knight. The merchant can only watch as his friend passes away. He holds the body, completely stunned by the loss. But then he snaps, his eyes glowing red as he roars for a real fight. Meanwhile, the captain is barely blocking Iron Fang, who is loving this. Iron Fang is suddenly confused by an unexpected attack. The enraged merchant just blindsided the captain from behind. The enraged merchant attacks the outpost captain, leaving Iron Fang completely baffled by the betrayal. He lands a heavy blow on the captain's head as Iron Fang uses the chaos to attack again, but one of the expedition's knights blocks the hit, barely managing to hold his ground against the force. The outpost captain is left on the ground, taken out. The merchant is still screaming, completely lost in his rage. The rest of the expedition can only watch the madness unfold. Even the guards on the wall are frozen, stunned by the scene. The outpost guards are just frozen, watching this all go down. The merchant is absolutely seething with rage. The captain asks Iron Fang how he could attack his own comrades, but Iron Fang just calls them livestock he got from a slave market. He says he just uses them up and then disposes of them. The defeated boar helmet boss watches from the side. The expedition's knight parries another massive swing. Iron Fang taunts him for protecting people he considers worthless. The knight just holds his shield, refusing to back down. Iron Fang screams for him to just die already and attacks again. William watches the duel, noticing something strange. He realizes Iron Fang's men have not moved an inch. He wonders if it is blind loyalty or just confidence in their boss. If so, this whole fight could end just by taking down the leader. He questions if their knight, Hermod, was aiming for that from the start. But everyone's exhausted, so he doubts Hermod actually has a chance to win. That reminds him of the captain telling him to be a shield. In a flashback to the night before, the captain had pulled him aside. He told William that he learned to fight from Happy using only offensive techniques, but that style does not suit him yet since he lacks the necessary stamina and strength. The captain tells him he cannot just gamble with his life on every move. He orders William to become a shield. A shield is not for gambling, but for creating a strategy to win for certain. It is about protecting his body and conserving his stamina. Back in the present, Hermod perfectly blocks Iron Fang's attack. The bandit boss is completely stunned by the solid defense. As the captain's advice echoes, William watches the fight unfold. Hermod immediately counters, landing a solid stab on Iron Fang. The outpost guards are shocked that the hit actually landed. They all crowd the wall, wondering what is happening to their captain. The guards admit Hermod is definitely a knight. William watches the scene, confused. He notices Iron Fang's men are not moving, and then it starts to click. They must have heard the stories about Happy's overwhelming strength, so their stillness is not loyalty, it is pure fear. The thought of Happy has them completely paralyzed. Hermod steps back, saying his part is done since this was Happy's plan to just take out the leader. Iron Fang hits the ground, defeated, and just like that, the boss is down. Happy stands over the body, saying this was a boss-only fight. Iron Fang lies on the ground, completely defeated. With the duel over, Happy just walks away, but the enraged merchant is not finished yet. His eyes glow as he promises to kill everyone. The guards on the wall recognize this, calling him a monster. They explain his reputation comes from this terrifying madness. Now that he is unleashed, they believe no one can stop him. The merchant charges into the crowd of bandits. He immediately starts taking them out himself. He lands a brutal punch on a bandit, sending a shockwave through the crowd. His fist is completely covered in the aftermath. He takes down another bandit from behind, and the man hits the ground hard. A survivor can only ask what is happening. The merchant is just wiping out his entire crew. The expedition can only watch this betrayal unfold. Up on the wall, the outpost guards are stunned. They are frozen in absolute disbelief. The outpost captain orders his men to shoot the monster. He screams at a crossbowman that they are all just bandits. With one last yell, he commands them to fire. The soldier takes aim and lets the bolt fly, but he immediately cries out in shock. The captain furiously smacks him across the head. He looks down to see the bolt embedded in their own crossbow. The rampaging merchant just stands there, smiling at them. The captain sees the smile, now doubting if a shot would even kill him. The outpost captain wonders if the merchant is daring him to shoot. He looks at the defeated Iron Fang, realizing this is a serious threat. Completely intimidated, he gives up on the standoff. He orders his men to let the group in for interrogation. The massive outpost gate finally begins to open. The expedition watches in relief, finally granted entry. With the other bandits having fled, the knights escort them inside. From the watchtower, the guards look down at the new arrivals. The outpost captain is still visibly shaken by the whole ordeal. Meanwhile, the story cuts to a quiet village far from the kingdom. In a quiet tavern far from the kingdom, Kalina complains she followed Sagar to find the demon, but she is not sure what they will find in a place like this. She is just completely bored with the whole situation. Suddenly, the door bursts open with a crash. A group of bandits announces that the Iron Fang gang is finished. They are looting everything before the Helmer gang comes back for them. The men start getting rough with the villagers. A woman is knocked to the ground in the chaos. She begs for mercy, but Kalina just looks down unfazed. The bandit shoves a woman to the floor, but Kalina just tells her to crawl to survive. She claims she is too busy surviving herself. Another villager helps the woman to her feet as the bandit leader tells them to drop their things and leave. Kalina just ignores him, trying to continue her story. The bandit is furious she's not taking him seriously. A villager then explains they came to meet believers. That word finally gets Kalina's full attention, and in an instant the bandits are all down. The bandit leader asks why the doors are being shut. Kalina just gives him a chilling look. Before he can react, she takes him out. The other bandits scramble in a panic, but their pleas for mercy are ignored. The floor is left completely stained. A villager stares at the absolute carnage. Outside, Sagar just sighs at the mess. Kalina tells him he should have mentioned the bandits were also believers. He claims he was about to, but she is just disgusted by his cult's methods. Kalina reflects on how the cultists lived quietly for decades before snapping, but Sagar corrects her, saying it is not insanity, it is their faith. She scoffs at the idea, claiming that kind of belief fades with time. Kalina is more curious why they'd break a long peace for this. Sagar admits he does not know since the cult existed before he was born. Even his father, a first-generation member, hid the cult's true identity. The knowledge he inherited did not explain their faith, leaving only one option. They have to confront the demon, the very origin of their cult. So their plan is to track down believers one by one for information. He believes following this trail will eventually lead them to the demon's true form. Kalina asks Sagar what he will do when they find the demon since she plans to join it. Sagar just stays silent for a moment. He says he does not care about sides, he just wants to minimize casualties. Kalina scoffs, saying survival means picking the stronger side, period. She then asks where they are headed next. Sagar reveals their next target is the king of an allied nation. Meanwhile, an official reports to that same king that the expedition has arrived. The king himself looks incredibly unsettling. Kalina is shocked to learn a king is actually a cult member. Sagar admits he only learned the cult's true scale after his father passed away. Sagar realizes it is already too late to stop the cult. Meanwhile, another expedition finds an entire city burning. Their commander halts the mission, knowing the cult's attack was just the start. Back at the outpost, our main crew is being questioned. The captain is in an interrogation room with his whole team. One of the knights is getting seriously impatient. The outpost captain looks extremely nervous. The expedition's captain just silently waits. The outpost captain nervously clears his throat. Finally, the interrogator says the situation is clear and ends the questioning. The outpost captain apologizes, admitting the whole standoff was a misunderstanding. He promises to clear their name and offers them baths before they meet the king. But first, he says castle regulations require them to hand over their weapons. Their gear is taken and stored away by the guards. The expedition is then escorted through the outpost grounds. From a high window, the unsettling king watches their approach. A guard leads them inside, saying an audience is waiting after they have cleaned up. They are shown into a room prepared for them. The captain quietly orders his men to check their bodies for any suspicious marks. With new clothes left for them, the expedition is finally left alone. A guard reports back to his captain. He confirms no one has any suspicious marks, but then he sees Happy's body, completely shocked. He runs back, stammering about all the scars. The outpost captain tells him to calm down. The guard explains the apprentice is covered in them, saying his body looks like a battlefield. He is also the one who beat the Iron Fang boss. The captain wonders if the stories were actually true, but another knight scoffs, saying real skill prevents scars. Winnie is led down a fancy hallway. She has no idea where she is being taken. The maid explains she is going to the VIP quarters since the knight's building is men only. She is completely stunned by the luxurious room. The maid leaves her some fresh clothes and departs. Winnie gets into the bath to relax. She is enjoying the luxury, feeling like a princess. She is really getting into the whole princess vibe. She starts role-playing, jokingly calling for a servant to bring her some tea. The maid suddenly appears, asking what kind of tea she wants, and Winnie completely freaks out. Winnie is completely startled by the maid's sudden appearance. The maid just smiles, offering to bring her fresh clothes later. Still flustered, Winnie just thanks her. She sinks into the water, absolutely mortified. After they have all cleaned up, the group is led to their quarters. The men are shown into a surprisingly comfortable room. One of the knights is a little suspicious of the VIP treatment. He then notices Happy is already completely passed out in bed. The captain confirms he is out cold from pushing himself too hard. Winnie agrees, saying it makes sense since Happy had the hardest time. Turns out Happy actually passed out the second he hit the bathwater. In a flashback, the knight bathing with him notes how rough he had it, but then he notices Happy has gone completely still. The kid just sank, totally unconscious. Winnie remembers this happening before since he always pushes himself too hard. She explains that once he is out like this, nothing can wake him up. Still, she is just relieved that their long journey is finally over. With the captain meeting the king, she thinks everything is working out, but the room suddenly goes dead silent. Even their bandit guide looks deeply unsettled by the situation. The surviving merchant thanks the group and says he is leaving. He explains that he needs to go bury his brother, but one of the knights flatly tells him no. He orders the merchant to wait until after their audience with the king. When the man tries to leave anyway, the knight shoves him back. William is furious, demanding to know what he is doing. The knight just grips the hilt of his sword as the others watch in complete shock. He says they will show courtesy to allies but not to bandits. Letting him in was already unreasonable, and demanding more is unacceptable. The knight tells the merchant they will prepare the body later. When he just watches the tense standoff. Completely intimidated, the merchant apologizes for causing trouble. He promises to sit quietly and wait. The guard seems satisfied with his compliance. He then turns and leaves the room, posting himself as a guard right outside their door. As night falls over the outpost, the rest of the crew waits in a heavy silence. One of their own knights peeks in, asking about the captain's audience. The knight says the captain's audience probably will not be ending today. He claims the discussion is taking longer than expected, telling them to rest. William does not seem to buy it for a second. 3 hours later, deep into the night, William suddenly snaps awake. He sits up abruptly, sensing trouble. He looks around the room, only to find it completely empty. Realizing everyone is gone, he starts to panic. He opens the door and asks the guard where everyone went. The guard just stares blankly as William asks where everyone went. William tries to step past him to look around, but the guard immediately blocks his path. He says the order is to wait in the room until the audience ends. William looks back, completely baffled by the situation. He asks if the guard saw anything happen while he was on watch. The guard just dismisses him for asking too many questions, but William ignores the warning and tries to push past again. The guard draws his sword, giving him one final warning. Instead of fear, William just flashes a completely unhinged grin. The guard is completely thrown by William's reaction, but he is interrupted before he can make a move. Happy appears, explaining everyone was just in the next room. The audience with the king is over and they have received permission for the burial. William silently wonders if the guard was just testing him. Happy apologizes for the misunderstanding, thinking something bad had happened. The guard just glares and tells them to go. As they walk away, Happy asks William what that was all about. The guard internally fumes, wondering if William is gutsy or just plain stupid. He just scoffs, annoyed by the whole confrontation. William asks if they are heading back now, but Happy says they will be staying for a few days. In a flashback, the allied king confirms their kingdom is now rulerless. The captain explains they discussed the cult scale and their own king's death, so the king offered them a place to rest while he investigates the situation. The captain respectfully accepts the offer, but then the merchant makes one final request. He asks for permission to properly bury his fallen comrade. The captain agrees, saying it is the right thing to do despite their status. The king just stares back with those unsettling eyes. The king grants permission for the burial, offering a spot in the outer cemetery. Later that night, the group gathers among the tombstones. The merchant reflects that they finally reached the kingdom they longed for, but realizes that arriving was not true happiness. He remembers that the real happiness was just being together with his friends. The expedition's captain quietly listens to his grief. He then says that he too has recently lost all of his family. The captain claims this entire kingdom is now filled with people who share that pain. He then offers the grieving merchant a chance to join them. The captain promises to teach him how to rise up even when the world collapses. The merchant remembers his friend, wishing he had someone to protect him. He even wished the merchant had an older brother of his own. Overcome with emotion, he grabs onto the captain. Happy watches this, remembering his own time in chains. The captain's words of comfort are revealed as a lie as he plots to take over the allied land. The vision shows Happy's chains were broken. Back in the present, Winnie comforts Happy. Elsewhere, the allied king is told he will now rule the fallen kingdom, but Sagar warns him that this moment will be the true test of his faith. The king just stares back, completely stunned. The allied king's daughter is stunned by news about her father. Unable to sleep, she decides to take a walk through the castle. She wanders silently down the empty, moonlit corridors. The servants she passes immediately bow, calling her princess. One of them suddenly drops to her knees, begging for forgiveness. The princess just asks what she is even apologizing for. The terrified servant says just looking at her was a grave sin. She just stares down at the woman, completely silent. The princess seems totally unfazed by the extreme reaction. She simply turns and continues on her lonely walk. The princess recalls her father saying it is natural for subjects to fear her, and that one day the entire world would look at her with that same terror. Her lonely walk is suddenly interrupted as she comes face to face with the expedition crew. The captain and his men immediately bow their heads. She thinks to herself that these are the people who will soon be her subjects, but then she notices something strange in the group. One person is not bowing at all, and she is completely thrown by his reaction. It is just Happy smiling back at her. The captain's men tell Happy to bow down to the princess, but she just walks past them only to stop, completely shocked. Her eyes are wide with disbelief. Happy is just smiling back at her. One of the knights tells him to let it go and move on. The princess stands there, completely silent. She can only whisper his name, totally stunned. Later that night, she cannot sleep at all. Realizing that in her entire life, no one has ever looked at her without fear. The princess thought everyone was the same, but Happy was different, and she wonders what he thinks of her. She is now completely curious and just wants to see him again. She cannot sleep, clutching her blanket tightly. The next day, the expedition is at the knights' training grounds. Two of the local knights watch them, wondering what is going on. Happy explains they got permission to train and see it as a good opportunity. One of the knights notes they are going all out. He then smugly adds that it will not matter since they will become a vassal state anyway. His companion seems completely confused by that comment. The local knight smugly suggests they all spar for training. One of the expedition members nervously tries to decline, but they are interrupted by a guard yelling for everyone to get in position. He announces the princess is observing, sending the local knights into a panic. The entire training ground immediately drops to their knees and bows. The expedition crew tries to get Happy to quickly bow down with them. From her balcony, the princess scans the sea of kneeling soldiers. Her eyes suddenly lock onto something. Completely shocked, she whispers that she has found him. And of course, it is Happy, the only one standing and smiling back at her. The mood on the training ground suddenly gets serious. A local knight orders everyone to gear up for real combat. Even the allied kingdom's captain makes an appearance. One of the local knights is not thrilled about the sudden intensity. The expedition's captain is also there, fully armed for the occasion. One of his men asks what all the commotion is about. The princess wants to see their military strength, so she is ordered a full-on combat sparring match. They are told to choose their weapons and fight in their own style. The expedition realizes their hosts have no intention of letting them rest. Their captain agrees, saying they have no choice but to show their true abilities. The captain says they have to show everything to prove their kingdom's worth. The local knights are pretty smug, thinking this will be interesting. Their captain is surprised the princess arranged a formal match just to see Happy. He wonders if she is also taking an interest in their now rulerless kingdom. The scene then flashes back to a different king watching a battle unfold. He looks absolutely stunned by what he is witnessing. A mysterious man explains that Happy is the one who killed the cult leader. Because of that, this king's plan to conquer their kingdom completely failed, so the man will disguise himself as an apprentice to assess Happy's capabilities. The king just agrees, saying he will be watching the whole thing. The princess admits she is not interested in the sparring match itself. She is only here to watch Happy and figure out who he really is. She is trying to understand the strange, trembling feeling she gets from him. A local knight notices her attention, seeing this as a huge opportunity. He is even more hyped when he sees the king watching from the window. Another knight smirks, thinking this is his one shot to secure a position. With that, the sparring schedule is announced, starting with a commander duel. The second match is set for the senior knights from both sides, and the third match will be a duel between the regular knights. After that, there will be apprentice matches, and Happy asks if he is fighting too. The mysterious apprentice tells Happy their matches will be informal, which makes the princess look down in confusion. She is staring right at the guy, wondering why her secret escort knight is disguised as an apprentice. An official raises a flag and announces the sparring matches will now begin. The first duel is called a battle between the two captains. Both men step into the arena ready to fight. The allied kingdom's captain vows to go all out for the princess. He slams his weapon down, kicking off the match. The expedition captain vows to fight sincerely to prove their worth. Happy just smiles while the rest of his crew looks on nervously. The Allied Kingdom's knights watch with serious expressions. An official gives the signal and the duel begins. The Allied captain immediately swings his massive halberd. Our captain dodges the huge, sweeping attack. He realizes the halberd gives his opponent incredible range. His only chance is to somehow close the distance. He raises his shield, planning to exploit an opening, but the halberd comes crashing right down on him. The captain is stunned by the sheer force of the blow, his shield barely holding against the heavy impact. The allied captain just keeps up the relentless assault, pushing our guy back across the training ground. Another powerful overhead strike comes crashing down, and he can only brace for what is coming next. But then the allied captain's eyes start glowing green. William sees this from the sidelines, completely shocked. The halberd smashes through his guard, sending him flying. But the expedition captain grits his teeth and gets right back up. The expedition captain barely blocks another heavy blow, but the allied captain's halberd glows with power. The expedition captain's sword completely shatters on impact. He is immediately hit with a powerful shield bash, sending him stumbling back across the arena. His broken sword finally falls from his hand. An official steps in, declaring the match is over. The expedition captain looks up, clearly defeated. Rumors had been spreading that his kingdom fell because they were weak, but this duel proved to everyone that those rumors were completely false. The Conquest King watches the next match with great interest. An official announces the next fighter is Sir Hermod. The duel begins and Hermod immediately charges forward. His opponent is completely caught off guard by the rush. Hermod unleashes a surprisingly aggressive shield-bashing assault. The disguised escort knight notes this is not his usual defensive style. He is shocked to see Hermod attacking so fiercely with his shield. A heavy blow sends the allied knight stumbling back. Hermod does not let up, closing in for another strike. He looks ready to end this match decisively. Hermod keeps up the relentless shield bashing, and his opponent's shield is barely holding up. An official calls the match before Hermod can land the final blow. Happy watches intently, realizing his turn is coming up fast. The disguised knight turns to William, who seems a bit lost. He tells William not to be nervous and just show them what he is capable of. He is confident they will win every duel because they have a unique advantage. Their secret weapon is real battle experience, something the peaceful kingdom lacks. He reminds William that he has already survived countless battles and grown stronger. A flashback shows William fighting for his life against overwhelming odds. The disguised knight tells William to just fight with confidence. William looks down, clearly lost in thought. He flashes back to his early training, remembering how he was told to use a shield. The advice was to build a safe foundation since he lacks strength. He recalls that Happy gave him the exact same advice. But for William, a shield only triggers the instinct to hide, not fight. It feels less like protection and more like a cage holding him back. So Happy offered a different path, learning to fight sword to sword. William was completely stunned by the suggestion. Happy offers to teach William his foster father's sword technique. He believes William might actually be able to follow the moves. His foster father was the best swordsman he'd ever seen, a man who never lost a one-on-one duel. William's mind flashes back to the horrific day of slaughter. For 2 weeks, he did nothing but bury the dead, but every night he trained relentlessly with Happy. After that, he was ready to join the expedition team. They fought through bandits for a week, getting real combat experience. Now it is his turn to prove he has become true battle strength. The local knight realizes he underestimated them and needs to get serious. He has never lost a sword duel and readies his perfect stance, but William mirrors his stance perfectly. The knight is completely thrown off. He realizes it is the exact same stance. Even the expedition crew notes how perfectly they match. The captain watches the duel intently. With no other variables, this is now a pure contest of skill. The local knight decides to see who is truly stronger. They both swing at the exact same time. Their swords meet in a perfect lock. William immediately spins into another attack, but they just keep trading perfectly matched blows. The local knight is clearly feeling the pressure. The duel becomes a blur of steel with neither fighter gaining an advantage. He realizes William is so fast that one mistake means he loses. The knight decides to risk everything on a single, precise strike. But as he looks for an opening, he gets confused. William has suddenly gone completely still in front of him. William realizes this duel is just boring compared to what he has already survived. The local knight takes the opening and attacks. But William just ducks under the swing. His opponent is completely baffled by this. He goes for a desperate final thrust, but William is more than ready for it. He spins into a powerful counterattack, completely shattering the knight's guard. The official calls the match, giving the expedition another decisive victory. Their captain silently approaches William. The captain notes that William now has that same heroic quality he saw in Happy. He is stunned that William has already reached this level of skill. The disguised knight tells Happy that he is up next for the apprentice match. Meanwhile, the local knight William just beat is absolutely fuming. He cannot believe their entire knight order lost without landing a single hit. He nervously glances up at the royal balcony where the princess is sitting there trembling. The knight realizes this is bad, sensing her overwhelming shame and anger. The princess is completely mortified by her knight's performance, but Happy just smiles, ready for his turn in the arena. The princess is absolutely losing it, wondering how anyone can possibly make a face like that. The knight William beat grabs the apprentice, yelling at him to win. He desperately tells him he has got to win no matter what, but the apprentice coldly tells him to stay quiet since he already lost. The local knight is completely stunned by the disrespect and can only watch as the mysterious apprentice walks away. The other local knights admit they have never seen this guy before either. Still, they are all eager to finally see what he can do in a fight, and Happy just smiles, ready for his match. The local knights recall the expedition's brutal history and overwhelming power. One of them is already sweating, worried they are about to lose again. His friend tries to calm him, but he is clearly terrified of another humiliation. With the signal given, the apprentice match begins. The mysterious apprentice steps into the arena looking serious, and Happy just smiles back at him, ready to go. The apprentice immediately lunges forward with his staff, but Happy does not even flinch as the attack whips past his face. The crowd is stunned, wondering if he just failed to dodge, but the apprentice realizes Happy knew the attack would miss all along. Happy calmly watches the attack come in. He blocks the heavy staff blow with a tiny shield. It is literally just a piece of wood tied to his arm, but he holds his ground completely unfazed. The impact sends him sliding back across the arena. William is confused, thinking it was not a very good block, but the captain notes that for an apprentice, his skill is impressive. Happy then casually drops his makeshift shield. He now stands before the apprentice completely defenseless. The apprentice realizes Happy is no ordinary kid, wondering who he truly is. Happy just grins, ready to fight. He easily ducks under another swing, letting the apprentice's staff whip past. The apprentice spins into another attack, but Happy is already inside his guard. Their weapons meet in a single clash. The apprentice is sent flying backwards, hitting the ground hard, totally stunned. He cannot believe what just happened. An official suddenly steps in, calling for a pause in the match. The official asks the apprentice if he can even continue, but Happy pops right up, bleeding and smiling, insisting he is fine. William and the princess are both completely shocked by this. The local knights think Happy is fighting worse than they expected. One of them wonders if he is just some reckless idiot, but the apprentice knows that is not it at all. He remembers Happy pulling the same act in a past arena fight. He is intentionally fooling everyone, both his opponent and the crowd. The apprentice just cannot figure out why he is faking it. He realizes Happy is sizing him up and slowly turning up the heat. The apprentice is convinced Happy has some kind of plan, so he charges in to figure out his real motive. Their weapons meet in another heavy clash, and the force sends Happy skidding backwards. He uses the momentum to kick off the ground and just grins, yelling that he can keep going. He plants his feet, ready for another round. Happy declares he will show them true apprentice spirit and that his kingdom will not fall. A local knight is moved, realizing Happy's scars come from his incredible fighting spirit. But the expedition's captain is confused, wondering how this kid beat the bandits. The apprentice realizes Happy is not the real threat. He thinks the other knights are actually way stronger than anyone expected. He looks over at the expedition's main crew. His focus lands squarely on William. He knows that sword style is not from any knight order. William is fundamentally different. The Conquest King wonders if his intel was wrong. He recalls the cult's report that William single-handedly wiped out a rebel group. He also remembers the intel suggesting William and the captain killed the cult leader. The apprentice decides he needs to be sure. Meanwhile, one of the expedition knights says this has gone way beyond a simple spar. The apprentice puts his full weight into the attack. deciding he will break Happy's arm to test his limits. The princess flinches as she watches from her seat. She suddenly screams for them to stop the match. Down in the arena, Happy is on his knees. The scene triggers a flashback of her father punishing people for her. She remembers a young girl trying to offer her a flower, but a guard immediately beat the girl for getting too close. Her whole life, anyone who approached her was punished. She now fears Happy is being beaten for the exact same reason. She remembers Happy smiling while everyone else bowed. She is terrified this will be the last time she ever sees that face. Back in the arena, Happy forfeits the match, still smiling through the pain. The princess can only watch in absolute horror. William immediately rushes to Happy's side to help him up. Leaning on him, Happy says that William was right all along. Later, Happy admits he thinks this allied kingdom wants to see them fall. He points out that the allied nation knew bandits surrounded their kingdom, but they just sat back and did absolutely nothing to help. Now they are being watched constantly with no real promise of aid. William tells Happy he has had his doubts for a while and now he is certain the duel was just a test of his true strength. He asks Happy if he is sure and Happy agrees, saying they already seem to know everything about him. Elsewhere, the Conquest King realizes the expedition walked right into a death trap. Back in the present, William senses something is off. The princess suddenly gasps in horror as an attendant announces Happy will be punished and taken for treatment. The expedition's captain just accepts the order, but Happy tells William to warn the others and investigate this properly. William watches helplessly as Happy is taken away. The disguised knight reports back to the Conquest King, who says he has seen enough to know their main battle strength. He declares they have walked into a trap and he will break them completely. Meanwhile, the scene cuts to a busy market somewhere else. A woman asks her companion how much more he is buying. He complains that it is heavy, but she just tells him to hang on. He is confused why they are buying fancy brooches and embroidery. She insists they should buy souvenirs since they traveled so far. Her friend just stares back, completely baffled by this. The woman from the market is excited about their reward for catching bandits and wants to buy gifts for her grandparents who are waiting for them. She even surprises her companion with a new hat. He is completely stunned by the sudden gift, but he happily accepts it with a blush. They go on a shopping spree and he insists he can carry everything, but then she suddenly freezes, looking confused. She spots two familiar faces in the crowd, Sagar and Kalina. She wonders if she was just seeing things in the busy market. Shaking it off, she decides it is time to head back as two knights watch them leave. Elsewhere, another king stands on his balcony. An attendant announces he has visitors, and it is Sagar and Kalina. The king's advisor identifies Sagar as the cult leader's son, shocking the king. Kalina smirks, confirming the rumors that a cult member sits on the throne. Sagar says they are here to learn about the origins of the cult. The king is completely stunned by this. He nervously tells them that asking such questions proves they have not gained faith yet. Kalina is already tired of his faith talk, but Sagar just stares him down unimpressed. The king's advisor accuses Kalina of interfering with Sagar's path, but the king admits both he and the cult leader failed to guide their children. The cult leader failed from an attack, but he failed by showing his daughter despair too soon. Kalina is completely lost by that statement. He explains their initiation is to witness despair and stain your hands with blood. Only then do you hear the whispers of their God granting you perfect faith. He made her watch her mother's death to give her that faith, but she just erased the memory. The trauma was so intense it completely broke her. He says that by forgetting despair, she lost the path, which is why he failed. Kalina has heard enough, calling the entire story disgusting. Kalina questions the king, asking if the cult's unity really comes from planting demons through despair. She is not buying it for a second. The king's advisor notes that despite all her fighting, Kalina has not truly felt despair yet. He says she is still looking for hope in the world. He warns that as she learns more about him, her hope will slowly be destroyed. For her, that is the fastest way to finally break and fall into true despair. The king decides to give them more information. He explains the cult started in the war when people sold their souls to a demon out of despair. Kalina is not worried, thinking she is not the type to fall into despair anyway, so they follow him through the castle. Later, inside the Allied Kingdom's castle, a woman reports to the princess. She announces that the treatment is finally finished. The princess dismisses the attendant and her guards. She then orders her personal guards to wait outside. Her intense glare makes it clear that is not a request. The guards reluctantly leave them alone together. The princess then turns to face Happy. He is all patched up, wondering what she is plotting now. She suddenly gets right in his face. And Happy sweats, thinking this is some kind of interrogation. The princess just stares at him with a dead serious expression. She reveals the apprentice was actually her personal escort knight. Happy realizes he was right to be suspicious all along. The princess then backs away slightly, admitting her father was trying to punish him and she is sorry. But Happy just gives her a massive, cheerful smile, saying it is fine. His response completely short-circuits her brain, so she just grabs him by the collar, totally bewildered. She suddenly scrapes her chair across the floor and pulls the stunned Happy into a hug. He is completely caught off guard by the gesture. The princess looks genuinely distressed and continues her apology, saying she is sorry for him getting hurt in the match. But Happy just cheerfully says that is okay too. His easy forgiveness only seems to confuse her more. She grabs his face, asking if he is really okay with all this. He just says yep as she squishes his face into a smile. She asks if he'd still be okay even if she killed him, and he just gives her a big cheerful yep. The princess suddenly says she understands why she is so drawn to him. He reminds her of someone she has forgotten her entire life, someone who kept a bright face even through horrible pain. The triggers a flashback to a deeply traumatic event. She sees her younger self confused and covered in blood. Her mother was on the floor smiling despite her condition. The young princess asks why she collapsed after drinking the tea she made. She realizes with horror that she might have been responsible for her mother's death. The young princess is paralyzed with horror. A voice in her memory accuses her, saying she killed her mother. A monstrous hand reaches out as the voice blames her for everything. It whispers that there is only despair and that she has become a monster. The shadowy figure grabs her head, trying to corrupt the memory, but another memory fights back against the darkness. She remembers a young boy there looking just like Happy. The conflicting memories cause her immense pain in the present. In the flashback, her mother's voice cuts through the despair. She smiles through the pain, telling her daughter it was not her fault. Back in the memory, she hugs her dying mother, but in the present, she is clinging to a very confused Happy. She looks up at him, her eyes filled with tears. Then she finally admits the horrible truth: her father killed her mother. Happy is completely floored by the sudden confession. The memory of her mother's final moments returns, recalling her warning that the king had poisoned the tea. And that was not all. He brought in strange soldiers to slaughter his own citizens. The princess says he's been quietly soaking the entire kingdom in blood. Suddenly, the door to the room slams wide open. The king's guards burst in, demanding to know what happened. Happy plays it cool, but the princess is clinging to him for dear life. She is looking at them with pure terror, because in her eyes they are not guards, they are monsters. She begs Happy not to let them take her back to her father. The guards just yell at him to get away from the princess. Happy tries to shield her, but they are quickly closing in. They grab the princess, ripping her away from his protection. He knows that fighting here would be a death sentence for everyone. All he can do is watch as she screams for help. A memory begins with a baby falling into darkness, only to be caught by a powerful man. The man believed that even in despair, someone would always be there to save you. He told a young Happy that one day he'd be able to save people too. No, he corrected himself. Happy would be the one to save the entire world. In the brutal arena, many heroes passed on their skills before they died. One of them, a scarred old woman, promised to teach him everything she knew, even how to defeat her. And just like all the others, she is gone. He was forced to survive, inheriting their strength. The path of survival meant he even had to defeat his own arena father. His father's last words were a warning, begging him not to become a monster. Instead, he told him to bring salvation. A young Happy witnessed his final moments. Snapping back to reality, Happy drops a guard. He pulls the princess close as a memory returns. He made a promise to save others just as he was saved. She asks if he is sure these are the soldiers who hurt the citizens. She is positive, saying she can see the monsters writhing under their skin. Happy is floored, asking if she can actually see monsters. The princess explains what she has seen. At first, she did not understand, so she just stayed quiet. She was too terrified to speak because she could not tell anyone that all her guards looked like monsters. But now all the repressed memories are flooding back to her. She realizes they were all demons wearing human masks, slaughtering people. They either killed citizens or turned them into more demons, spreading like a plague. She remembers them saying they'd soak the ground in blood for someone's arrival and that a new world was coming. Their entire plan was to worship their god in blood. The guards scream about offering up every drop of life. Happy grabs the princess and dives out the window, landing safely on a balcony below. They keep dropping down the castle wall and land right in front of more guards. He just grins, ready for a fight. The guards are completely stunned. He confirms what she said, calling them cult scum. He realizes this entire kingdom has been eaten away by the cult. A commander orders his army to arrest every last one of the allied kingdom dogs. Meanwhile, William and the crew get ambushed. A commander accuses them of scheming and orders them all thrown in the dungeon. The captain realizes they were set up the moment they voiced their suspicions. His men look to him for orders, but he is just as cornered. Looking outside, he sees the entire building is completely surrounded by soldiers. There is absolutely no way out. With no other choice, the entire expedition crew is locked in a cell. The commander then demands to know where the apprentice who kidnapped the princess is. William is completely floored by the accusation against Happy. He instantly realizes something must have gone terribly wrong on Happy's side. The commander accuses William of playing dumb, then orders his men to hunt down the apprentice. Elsewhere, another king is walking through the city when he hears someone screaming for help. He sees a young noble being dragged away by guards. The king is completely confused by the scene. A guard explains the allied kingdom just kidnapped the princess. He is absolutely floored by the accusation. Wondering why their allies would ever do that, the guard reports they have caught everyone except for one apprentice knight. The young noble is absolutely livid. The king looks back surprised. The noble accuses him of being behind it all. The king asks if he knows the people they are discussing. He screams that the king turned their kingdom into a bandit haven after a massacre. A guard immediately silences him with a punch. The king just watches it happen, completely unfazed. His advisor seems a bit startled by the violence. The noble is quickly bound and gagged. The advisor realizes this is not just knowledge, it is pure unfiltered hatred. The king plans to finish what the cult leader started. He leads Sagar and Kalina away to get their information. Their first stop is a public execution. Sagar just watches the grim scene unfold. The noble who accused the king is now in the cage. The Conquest King arrives, asking if Happy has been caught yet. William sees them together and realizes the entire kingdom is a cult operation. Kalina looks over, completely confused by the alliance. The king asks if she also sees someone she knows. From his cell, William recognizes the woman in the crowd. The woman William recognized casually waves hello. He is completely shocked to see her at his cell. The kings are just as confused. She gets right up to the bars, saying she came for him. He demands to know why, but she just teases him. William asks if she was a cult member all along. She explains she is just a survivor who always picks the winning team, but it turns out the cult has some surprisingly strict entry requirements. So now she is thinking about switching sides again, and she wants to join his. She says this is the perfect opportunity to switch over to his side. William is completely lost, asking what she is talking about. She explains most of the troops are gone, searching for the princess. So if she gets him out, he should be able to escape. She just wants to know if he will accept her as an ally. The Conquest King has had enough and orders his guards to remove her. She pulls back slightly, still waiting for William's decision. But William actually tells the approaching guard to step back. The guard grabs her anyway and she just smirks, saying, "Great." In a flash, she pulls a hidden blade and deals with him instantly. She immediately takes down the guard, who did not even see it coming. With a quick twist of her blade, she sends him flying across the room. The Conquest King is completely stunned. She just smiles, saying she is sorry, but she has officially switched sides. He cannot even process what is happening. William realizes she meant she was joining him right now, asterisk. She says sneaking out was never the plan, then dangles the cell keys. The king is just left wondering when she even stole them. She smirks, saying this is just her life motto. She always maps out an escape route first, and if she happens to see a key, she just takes it. Her expression hardens for the fight. She quickly unlocks the cell door. William and the others walk out now free. The Conquest King loses it, ordering his men to kill them all. The guards immediately charge the small group, but her eyes just glow, ready for this. She instantly cuts down the first soldier. She is a whirlwind of blades, dropping another guard. And another one falls before she even lands. In seconds, she has cleared the entire room. She tells the newly freed crew to arm themselves. Then she makes a beeline for the Conquest King, but his advisor intercepts her with a parry. Their blades meet in a fierce clash. He asks why she'd make such a stupid choice against their powerful cult. He insists the only natural response to their power is despair. But she just grins, saying she is not built to feel despair, damn it. The advisor just stares her down, but she scoffs at his despair talk, saying she wanted to be a demon's equal, not its slave. Their blades lock once again, and he tells her he will give her a real taste of it. He puts all his strength into the push, catching her off guard with his power. He starts to overpower her completely, promising to grant her that despair himself. But she just tells him to keep talking. She easily breaks his hold and they clash again. She sends the advisor flying back with a powerful strike. Even she has to admit he has monstrous strength. She realizes that even blocking his hits causes damage to stack up. But before the advisor can press his advantage, William steps in. He easily blocks the next attack meant for her. William's block is so solid it stops the advisor cold. In fact, the force sends the advisor stumbling backward. William just stares him down, completely focused. The advisor's sword is even chipping from the impact. She teases him for helping her and he just stares back, ready to fight. William warns her that the advisor is hiding his true strength. He says Happy could feel it and so can he. Apparently, strong fighters can size each other up at a glance. The advisor agrees, saying he felt a legendary sword aura from William's blade. William just looks confused by the compliment. She tells him to focus because they need to finish this fast and get out. Meanwhile, the Conquest King is sweating bullets. He suddenly screams that he will not allow this. As he panics, the fight finally kicks off. The freed expedition members immediately start taking down the guards. Kalina cannot believe what she is seeing. As the fight continues, the young noble tries to break out of his cell. The Cult King is completely stunned by the turn of events. Sagar, however, just watches the chaos unfold. The king nervously asks if Sagar is planning on siding with the prisoners, but Sagar just tells him to stay quiet and watch. The king says this is what happens to those who lack true faith. Meanwhile, the expedition captain is cutting through the guards, but he is shocked by how they are fighting back, realizing these cult soldiers have absolutely no fear of death. The advisor tests William with a quick strike, but William easily parries the first attack. He manages to block the second blow as well, while his new ally handles her own opponent. William realizes the advisor's blade never even wavered. He knows the power gap is huge and a direct fight is dangerous. The advisor tells him to stop playing around and show his true power. William just stares back, his expression hardening. He takes his stance, ready to go all out. Then he charges in, meeting the advisor's blade head-on. The advisor comes in with a powerful swing, but he is surprised by William's sudden change in angle. William ducks under the attack to get behind him, and their new ally lands a kick right to the advisor's face. She winces, grabbing her blade through the pain, but William yells at her not to stop the assault. The advisor manages to block William's next strike, glaring down as their swords lock together. William just grins, telling him to come on faster. Their blades clash again in a shower of sparks. William pushes back against the advisor's blade. The advisor is stunned, wondering how he is losing in raw strength. Even William seems surprised by his own power. From his cell, Sagar recognizes the sword's style immediately. It triggers a memory of their arena father explaining the technique. He taught them it is not just blocking, but reading and redirecting an opponent's power. It is a special style that lets you surpass someone even stronger than you. He knew it was a technique that only Happy could master, and surprisingly William as well. He believed both of them were capable of handling it, as William proves right now. The advisor puts everything into his next attack, but William is completely focused. Sagar recalls their father's lesson: you take their power and spin it right back at them, and William perfectly redirects the advisor's strike, channeling all that borrowed power into his own swing. The counterattack lands, sending the advisor flying. He is completely stunned by the hit. Even his new ally is shocked. She is wondering when William got this strong. The advisor struggles to his feet, seriously wounded. The advisor gets back to his feet, wondering if William's strike was too shallow. He immediately roars and charges in again. William struggles to block the heavy blow as the advisor realizes he was using his own strength against him. Their blades clash in a rapid exchange, locking them in a test of pure power. William knows he cannot win by trading brute force with this guy. The advisor presses his advantage hard and lands a blow that disarms William. The expedition captain tells his men to cover the rear. He then charges straight at the advisor, leaping into the air with a dual-wielding strike. The advisor easily meets his blades head-on. They are locked in a fierce power struggle. The advisor puts all his weight into the push, creating a shockwave from the sheer force. The captain is completely overpowered and sent flying. Before he can even recover, the advisor is on him and the captain can barely block the follow-up strike. The captain can barely hold against the advisor's push, but he manages to twist away, immediately finding himself on the defensive again. William checks on his new ally while the captain buys them time. She warns him they are out of time before the main troops get back. The captain glances back at the escapees near the open cage. He tells them the exit is open and to get out while he holds the line. She points out that he does not even know their escape route. He screams that someone has to survive to warn their kingdom. It is the only way to save more people, and he charges back into the fray. The captain and the advisor trade furious blows, and he screams at his men to hurry up and escape. But the young noble is frozen, feeling like a coward. Sagar grabs him by the hair, calling him pathetic for hesitating. The cult king just watches the chaos, completely stunned. Back in the fight, the captain is holding his own. Their swords meet in a fierce deadlock. The advisor mocks him, asking if he is trying to be a martyr. The hit's a nerve as the captain wonders what he has become. He is enraged that his men worry for him and this trash thinks he can win. The captain stares down the advisor, declaring his authority. He says the advisor is not even worthy of speaking his name. The advisor attacks, but the captain easily parries the blow. He seems a little surprised by the captain's resolve, but the captain just stands his ground, completely unflinching. Unfortunately, that is when the main troops finally return. He is now completely surrounded by enemy soldiers. The Conquest King screams at them for being late and orders them to attack. The captain just gives a confident smirk, saying they can try to take him down, but his kingdom will endure. The captain holds the line against the entire army. Nearby, Sagar tells Kalina to hide while he saves the others. She warns him that the royal guards are as strong as the advisor. Kalina insists they are on a completely different level from regular soldiers. She is absolutely certain that he cannot possibly defeat them, but Sagar just stands up, ignoring her warning completely. She grabs him, begging him not to go because he will die. He just calmly removes her hand from his arm, then he gives her a quick flick on the forehead to get her to focus. Right on cue, the guards spot him and give the order to capture him. Kalina peeks out, recognizing the soldiers. She realizes it is the 4th Royal Guard and the executioner. Before they can act, Sagar snatches a spear mid-flight. He immediately throws it back, taking down the guard. Then he just grins and charges into the fight. He drops another soldier with a single punch. The remaining guards all turn their attention to him. Sagar grabs a chain and prepares for the next wave. He easily clears out the charging soldiers. The survivors are terrified, screaming for backup and demanding to know who he is. Kalina suddenly yells that these are not her father's men. A guard captain is stunned, asking if she was kidnapped. She and Sagar stand together, facing the soldiers. Kalina clarifies that she actually walked out on her own. She reveals their entire kingdom has been deceived this whole time. Then she drops the bombshell: her father killed her mother. She's been forced to live as his puppet ever since. The captain is completely floored by the confession. Kalina explains all the new royal guards are actually spies, and because of that she declares it is time for a rebellion. The guards are completely silent as Kalina gives them a choice: join her rebellion or leave now. She remembers her father's philosophy that people only obey out of fear, but she feels she has only ever been a weak puppet controlled her whole life. Overwhelmed with self-doubt, she wonders who would ever follow her. But the captain and all his men kneel, pledging their lives to her cause. He explains that her mother, the queen, told him this day would come. Her final order was for him to become Kalina's sword and protect her. Kalina is completely floored by this. Sagar tells Kalina it is time to go, declaring their new mission is to gather allies and push forward. He asks her to identify friend from foe as the captain orders his men to regroup. Just then, another squad arrives, led by a man claiming they have caught the kidnapper. Kalina just stares at the newcomers, her eyes wide. Her vision kicks in, revealing them as more demons in disguise. She quickly whispers a warning to Sagar about what she sees. Without a word, Sagar instantly takes down one of the loyal guards. The other soldiers are completely stunned by the sudden attack, but their captain just roars for more blood and leads the charge himself. The loyal guards immediately start fighting the demon soldiers. Their captain is confused, wondering how they are telling them apart. Sagar just grins, clearly enjoying the fight. The demon captain realizes one of the soldiers is not possessed. He stares in silence, putting the pieces together. Kalina tells her men to explain the situation and recruit the real soldiers. The demon captain realizes with horror that the princess knows everything. His demonic side takes over as he decides she must be killed. He immediately lunges forward to attack her, but Sagar easily intercepts the blow, protecting Kalina. Sagar easily blocks the demon captain's lunge, standing firm to protect Kalina. He tells her that her ability to spot the cultist is perfect, and because of that, he now sees a way to win this fight. With a new plan in mind, they take off, racing through the building's corridors. They make a beeline for the main hall. The doors burst open, surprising everyone inside. The two kings are completely baffled by their arrival. Sagar just grins, having finally found William and the others. Sagar is completely stunned by what he sees. The expedition captain has been captured and dragged before the kings. He cannot believe the commander was actually caught. The captain is clearly in a bad way. The conquest king mistakes him for Happy, asking if he was captured. The third king gloats that his monstrous vitality will not save him this time. He orders his soldiers to kill everyone, including the captain. But just then, a mysterious swordsman leaps over the guards. He lands and blocks the pragmatic woman's attack on the king. The king has absolutely no idea what is going on. The new swordsman looks at the captured captain. He grins, saying he is here for a rescue mission. The third king has no idea what is happening. He is shocked to see his own guards pointing their swords at him. Kalina coldly states that everyone here is an enemy. Her father and Sagar are both completely floored. Sagar just stares, trying to process the situation. Even the swordsman seems confused by the sudden betrayal. But Sagar gets a flash of Happy and it all clicks. The swordsman tells the king they have lost and he is leaving with intel on the demon. The swordsman makes a dramatic exit, crashing through a window with the captain. The third king can only watch them escape. Kalina wonders who he was since he did not feel like one of the cultists. Her father completely loses it, demanding to know what is happening. He is just stunned by the betrayal from his own men. He screams at Kalina, asking why she is siding with his enemies. She calmly reveals it is because she knows he sold his soul to a demon. The king is completely floored by her accusation. He stammers, asking what she could possibly know. Kalina reveals that she has finally regained all of her memories. She says her mother told her everything before she passed, including who was responsible. The king is completely floored by the mention of his late wife. Seeing the rebellion, the conquest king orders his men to charge. Her father follows suit, commanding his own soldiers to advance. The hall immediately erupts into a massive brawl between the factions. The king just watches, completely bewildered. Sagar effortlessly cuts through the enemy lines with a grin. William is also back in the fight, easily handling his opponents. The advisor is stunned, realizing William has been hiding his true strength this whole time. The advisor realizes William's been hiding his true strength this whole time, but he is still confident, figuring William's broken arm is a huge disadvantage. Believing he can only use his left, he decides to finish him here. He puts all his power into the push, but William just smiles. He is easily holding him back. The advisor cannot believe he is being stopped by just one hand. Then something clicks. He suddenly remembers that William's other arm was the one that was broken. With his dominant arm free, William is absolutely terrifying. He immediately overpowers the advisor, sending him flying across the floor. The advisor is completely stunned by the raw power. He cannot believe William was hiding this much strength. William presses the attack, now using both hands. He winds up for another powerful swing, and the advisor realizes he is using that same redirecting technique. He roars that he will not fall for the same trick again. Their swords lock together in a shower of sparks. The advisor roars, trying to overpower William, but William uses the momentum to throw him. He spins with the advisor's own force and lands a heavy blow on his opponent. William thinks that people who only chase strength share the same delusion. They always believe they will be the strongest one in any fight, so even when their own power is turned against them or when they finally face an equal opponent, they just fall back on trying to win with brute force. Then a watery aura manifests behind William, shocking the advisor. The advisor stares down William's watery aura, but he just grins and charges in anyway. William is completely taken by surprise. The advisor's strike sends him stumbling back. William realizes something is very different now, thinking the advisor's sword style has completely changed. And now the advisor has that same watery aura. He blocks the next blow, feeling the new power. The advisor's hand glows with the Kopid energy. He unleashes a powerful new attack of his own. The advisor is confused, thinking William is letting go of his strength. He pushes back hard, using William's own power against him. Their blades lock as the advisor pours on the pressure, but William just spins away from the attack. He dodges through the air, completely changing his stance. The advisor has no idea what this strange new style is supposed to be. In a wild move, William lets go of his sword's hilt. He catches the blade with his other hand, reversing his grip. Then he swings it around to block the advisor's next attack. William stares him down, completely locked in the fight. The advisor thinks William's new style is like fighting the wind itself. At the same time, Sagar grins as soldiers charge him. He drops to the ground, taking one out with a precise stab. Then he is back up, flowing through the rest of the squad. The advisor is completely stunned by this fighting style. It reminds him of an unforgettable fighter from his arena days. He remembers a man called the One-Armed Hunchback who stood against pure strength. Attacking the Hunchback with raw power was like trying to slash water. But the style was not just about dodging, and Sagar is using that exact same technique to cut down the guards. The advisor recalls the Hunchback had immense strength. and the perfect skill to control it. He remembers watching the man fight relentlessly in the arena. It was a power that only appeared when you refused to submit. He is stunned to see Sagar using that exact same style. Sagar immediately proves him right, running a soldier through. The guard looks down, shocked by the fatal blow. He hits the ground hard, taken out in a single move. Even the Conquest King is floored by the display. The soldier can only gasp as his life fades away. The advisor realizes strength was not the only answer. He never even thought to stand against true despair. He remembers a war where everyone who stood against them was completely wiped out. It was a brutal, one-sided slaughter, but he sees now they were fighting for a future, leaving their will behind. They believe someone like Sagar would eventually appear to carry that will. Sagar just walks on, completely unfazed. Elsewhere, the hall is pure chaos. Kalina's loyal guards hold the line. Sagar cuts down another soldier. The advisor stares, lost in a memory. He remembers Sagar facing down the third king. Sagar knew the king was plagued by visions of demons. The advisor recalls the queen realizing her husband chose the demon's path. She accused him of slaughtering innocents in the demon's name. The king was driven mad by whispers of its coming descent. Sagar had warned him that he too would eventually serve the demon. Back in the present, the king snaps and grabs a flail. The advisor screams for Happy to get back, recognizing the cult leader's poison. Happy does not even flinch. The king swings his poison flail right at Happy, but Happy just catches the weapon mid-swing. He uses the momentum to slam the king face first. The king immediately starts choking on his own poison. Happy declares he refuses to live a life soaked in the blood of innocence. He stands over the fallen king, surrounded by the carnage. Then he just drops the king's body to the floor. The advisor watches this all unfold in complete shock. He is trembling, clutching his arm in terror. He realizes the feeling overwhelming him is not fear of death but something else entirely. The advisor realizes Happy's presence feels just like the cult leader's. The Conquest King is left trembling on the floor. He wonders if this is how the cult leader met his end. The advisor says this does not change the fact the world will be soaked in blood. He explains the cult's roots are too deep and the slaughter continues, but Kalina steps forward, declaring she will not let that happen. The king just looks up at her, completely confused. He asks how someone like her could possibly stop them. Kalina reveals she inherited her mother's ability to see demons. She knew from the start her father had sold his soul and planned to kill her. Kalina explains her mother knew she could not escape the king's plan. The kingdom was already filled with his demonic soldiers, and her father wanted to break either her or her mother into despair, forcing one of them to become a follower of the demon. So in a quiet moment, her mother made a difficult choice. As Kalina served her, the queen prepared for the worst. She decided she would be the one to be sacrificed first, using her own end to save her daughter and reveal the truth. The Conquest King is stunned, realizing Kalina knew all along. He is completely terrified by this turn of events. The Conquest King hears the queen's voice calling him a coward. She remembers him returning from the Great War, watching him walk away from his duty. While countless others chose to stand against the demon and die for the future, he chose a different path and now he is paying the price. Happy forces the king to drink the same poison the queen took. Her spirit appears, repeating that he was always just a coward. She says she never hated him for it because he was just afraid. It is the same poison she calmly drank to set her plan in motion, and Happy makes sure he finishes every last drop. The guard tells Kylina she should not have to watch this, but she insists, saying she will watch. She realizes this could have easily been her own fate. She vows to burn this image into her memory to avoid her father's sins. As the Conquest King's life fades, he finally collapses from the poison. The advisor immediately goes to check on Happy. He is worried that Happy might have been exposed. Happy says it is the same as last time and tells him to rescue their people. He grins, admitting he probably looks like a demon right now. The advisor looks over the remaining allies as outside the escapees prepare to move. One of the soldiers warns that a pursuit squad is definitely after them. The princess grabs Happy, telling him they have to hurry. She says the pursuit captain is the cruelest and strongest person in the kingdom, her father's first soldier. She remembers her father bringing the man into their lives. Even back then, she thought he looked like a demon himself, and he has taken more innocent lives than anyone else. Right on cue, a massive knight on an armored horse blocks their path. The escapees can only stare up in shock. The pursuit captain corners the escapees. Back in the hall, William hears the commotion. His ally knows it is the signal that their friends have been found. Meanwhile, a guard at an outpost sighs. He came here to avoid trouble, but now it is on his doorstep. The city guards realize the escapees have reached the outpost. They immediately give chase. A flashback reveals the demon left personal henchmen behind. These agents have been preparing for a day of slaughter, and the pursuit captain is one of them, a direct servant of the demon. The advisor knows this pursuit captain is the one closest to the demon. As the captain charges in on his horse, he instantly cuts down one of the escapees. Happy is stunned, thinking it is impossible. Another man tries to attack the horse but gets brutally kicked away for his trouble. He is sent flying hard onto the ground. The guy is completely out of the fight. The outpost guards see the chaos and yell to close the gate. A soldier on the wall is just confused how they even escaped the castle. The outpost guard watches the chaos, noting they are now fighting to get out. He admits he has no idea what is going on anymore. Elsewhere, one of William's men thinks about how they have only survived by following orders, but he is worried since they do not know if their captain or Happy made it out. He questions if they could even make it home without any supplies. Finally, he decides to stop hesitating. He tells himself to stop fearing a future that has not even happened yet. Back outside, the pursuit captain bears down on the escapees. One of the men shouts for them to get to the stables for cover. The captain immediately cuts them off with a powerful slash. The captain's slash barely misses one of the women, but the pragmatic survivor is not even phased. Up on the wall, the outpost guards watch, yelling in confusion about why they are attacking their own. The pragmatic woman just declares she is taking over this post. Then she charges straight at the mounted captain. She leaps into the air, parrying his strike. He just rides past her, completely unfazed. She immediately gives chase on foot as he starts cutting through the other escapees. The escapees desperately try to fight the mounted captain, but one of them realizes there is no move that can possibly win. They cannot even reach the guy on his horse. The captain just effortlessly swats their blades aside. It is not a fight, it is just them being hunted. Seeing this, the pragmatic woman makes a break for the outpost wall. A guard up top spots her climbing at an insane speed. The outpost captain yells at his men to stop shooting at her. He orders them to get their weapons ready because she is coming. She lands on the wall with enough force to send a soldier flying. The outpost captain is held at knife point. The pragmatic woman stands over the defeated guards. She says she can tell who is faking fear and who is not. And she can tell this guy is just a genuine coward, which means one very important thing. He is not one of the cultists, so she spares him. Instead, she orders him to open the main gate. As the gate opens, the pursuit captain looks up, but she is already on the wall with a crossbow. She fires a bolt straight into his horse's head. The pursuit captain is completely unfazed by losing his mount. The pragmatic woman notes he did not even twitch. Now on the wall, she wonders how she is supposed to fight that. She cannot believe what kind of monster they are up against. Meanwhile, the advisor is piecing things together from old texts. He finds a map to a forgotten land where the demon sleeps. It explains the demon left his followers behind after the Great War, but a chilling detail reveals he did not only leave followers. The advisor recalls the captain's terrifying presence from before, and how even his war horse was perfectly trained and unflinching. The pragmatic woman is furious that one single rider has them completely cornered. She is completely out of options, feeling like it is the end of the line. Just then, more riders appear looking like enemy reinforcements, but they hear a familiar voice. Someone is calling out for William. It is William himself with Happy riding on his back. Their sudden arrival spooks the pursuit captain's horse. Happy just cheerfully waves, announcing that he is here. The princess and Sagar are overjoyed to see him alive. Happy looks around innocently, but the princess is absolutely furious, demanding to know who hurt William. Happy's reflection turns demonic as he stares down the captain. The pursuit captain's warhorse completely loses its mind, bucking its rider hard onto the ground. Sagar has no idea what is happening. William's men see their chance and charge the fallen knight. They immediately swarm him, trying to pin him down. Sagar just watches, completely baffled. William's men realize the captain's armor has no weak points. They have no idea how to even damage this guy. Their swords just bounce right off his plate mail. The captain easily tosses one of them aside, getting back to his feet and clearing the area. He sends another soldier flying with a single kick. But then one of the escapees grins and joins the brawl. He rushes forward without a weapon, throwing a punch with a huge smile on his face. The blow lands, leaving a fist-shaped dent in the armor. The expedition captain just grins at his handiwork. He then squares up to the armored knight. The two immediately start trading heavy blows. Sagar flashes back, realizing the captain's full strength is something he has seen before. Back in the fight, the captain lands another brutal punch. Sagar is stunned, realizing he is doing all this with his bare hands. But the pursuit captain finally manages to grab his arm. The expedition captain is completely caught off guard. The knight demands to know who he is and how he is imitating their lord's power. As he is held, the captain's eyes begin to glow red. The expedition captain lands a brutal punch, tearing off a piece of the knight's gauntlet. The pursuit captain stumbles back, completely dazed. Everyone else can only watch the two trade blows. The knight demands to know how he managed to pick off only their believers. The princess realizes he must have a secret method for identifying the cultists, but instead of continuing the fight, the pursuit captain suddenly turns and runs. William's men immediately give chase, shouting to catch him. The princess and Sagar rush over to Happy, whose arm is bleeding badly. She tells Sagar to put pressure on the wound before he loses too much blood. Sagar says Happy's wound is too severe to treat here. The princess apologizes for not being able to protect him, but Happy just calls her an idiot, insisting he is fine. She was just terrified that he was going to disappear. He suddenly pulls her into a hug, holding her close as she looks on, stunned. Sagar watches them, realizing he misunderstood everything. He sees now that Happy ran to them out of fear for their safety. The three of them stand together in the outpost, while Kalina watches the scene, completely bewildered. With the outpost secured, they begin interrogating the captured soldiers. The princess and the expedition force start planning how to form an allied army. 2 days later, the hunt is on. The pursuit captain is found alone at a campfire, but he knows he is being watched. He calls out Sagar, the cult leader's son, from the trees. Sagar does not answer, just keeps his eyes on him. He is haunted by his father's words about his wandering path. His father warned that he could not escape his past and would join the cult. The captain blames Sagar's indecision for the cult leader's death. The captain says he is going to find their demon lord, inviting Sagar to follow him. Sagar is stunned, questioning if this so-called lord is even real. The captain knows that words alone will not convince him, telling Sagar he will have to see the truth with his own eyes. Sagar silently weighs the dangerous offer. He makes his choice and follows the knight into the darkness. Meanwhile, back at the newly secured outpost, the remaining soldiers are still shaken that half their own men were cultists. A guard on the wall suddenly reports someone is requesting entry. The men on duty shout out, demanding to know who is there. A bloodied soldier arrives at the outpost, saying he is here to regroup. The guard asks if he came all this way alone. The soldier grimly confirms his entire party is gone. Inside, the men are stunned by the news. He explains the allied kingdom they were sent to had already been taken over by the cult. On the way back, the few survivors were then wiped out by bandits. He asks if they have suffered any casualties here at the outpost. The captain says no, they actually gained allies as a new woman appears. The soldier recognizes her as a key player from the Day of Slaughter, but the captain just confirms that she is on their side now. The captain is suspicious of the lone survivor, thinking he could be a cultist, but the soldier confidently says he is definitely not one of them. It is revealed the princess now has a special ability to see through the cult's followers. The captain believes this power is the key to uniting the nations against the rot. Elsewhere, the pragmatic woman is deeply worried about the princess's condition. She knows the princess is exhausted from witnessing so much death recently. Alone, the princess wonders if her own orders are to blame for the losses. She tries to justify her actions, saying it had to be done to stop the cult, but she cannot shake the thought that they were all once human too. The weight of it all is crushing her. The princess stares into a mirror, but her reflection is twisted and dark. It accuses her of being the same as the cultists. She screams and shatters the glass in terror. Elsewhere, her allies note that Happy has become her pillar of support. The pragmatic woman admits she has never seen the princess so strong. The triggers a memory of a guard telling her not to watch a grim scene, but even back then she forced herself to witness it. Now she just whispers Happy's name, looking completely haunted. She is tormented by visions of him and others suffering because of her. The princess screams for someone to bring Happy to her room. She is completely panicked, saying she needs her knight. She is terrified, feeling like she needs her own protector. Elsewhere, a guard wakes Happy from his rest. He is told to come with him, looking confused. The guard leads him to the princess's door. Happy puts on his usual smiling mask before entering. He walks in to find her kneeling on the floor. She asks if she looks strange, admitting she thinks she's becoming like her father. She is horrified, saying it is because she has taken lives now just like him. Happy kneels before the weeping princess. He tells her that in her position, she had to make a choice. An ordinary citizen could have just run away from it all, but as the princess, she did not have that luxury. He says William, one of their knights, had the exact same fear. William worried they were just carrying out the demon's slaughter, slowly becoming monsters. The memory shows their allies completely broken by the endless fighting. William's point was that at the end of the day, they were still killing people. Happy then recalls something the expedition captain's father once said. He warned that war is a cycle of tragedy that repeats because of human nature. Happy explains that as long as they keep moving forward, they can break the cycle. But if they stop, he warns, all the past tragedies will just happen all over again. Hearing this, a sudden thought hits the princess. She starts to wonder about the kind of world Happy is actually dreaming of, in some distant, far-off future. She asks herself if a world without war could even be possible. For the first time, the idea makes her heart race with excitement. Even if she never lives to see it, the hope of it all is overwhelming. She realizes their fight is not about despair anymore, but about that hope. Looking at Happy, she finally understands what he truly is to her. Happy just smiles, thinking about how bright that hope feels. The next morning, the lone survivor is getting some much-needed rest. He slowly wakes up, still feeling the weight of his journey, but he opens his eyes to a very unexpected sight. The pragmatic woman is sleeping soundly right beside him. He completely freaks out, asking why she is in his bed. She casually explains the vice captain arrived, confirming the rest of the expedition is gone. Happy, who is also in the room, asks where the vice captain is. The woman guesses he is checking supplies for their return trip to the kingdom. Then she turns the question back on Happy, asking why he wants to know. Happy suddenly gets a very bad feeling. The woman introduces the newly arrived vice captain to the princess. The lone survivor grabs Happy, asking what is wrong. Happy explains the vice captain once gathered troops to rescue nobles. In a flashback, he is seen rallying his soldiers for the mission. He led them out to save the kidnapped nobles from their captors, but the entire rescue party was completely wiped out. Happy says this recent expedition ended the exact same way. He reveals the vice captain was the only one who survived that incident too. The flashback shows just how desperate the situation was back then. The flashback reveals the aftermath of the vice captain's last mission, showing that Happy secretly witnessed the entire disaster. He realized back then the vice captain never intended to save anyone. In the present, the vice captain confirms the princess can indeed identify cultists. He internally gloats, enjoying her fear and revealing his demonic nature. The lone survivor asks Happy what is going on, completely lost. Without a word, Happy suddenly sprints out of the room. He rushes down the hall toward the princess's meeting. The vice captain looks up, calmly saying he has been waiting for Happy. Happy bursts in to find the traitor already kneeling, surrounded by guards. The princess explains what just went down, revealing the vice captain was one of the demon's henchmen. Everyone is completely stunned by this revelation. The vice captain just grins, admitting he has been watching Happy. He says Happy's appearance coincided with their demon lord's disappearance. The triggers a memory of him investigating a strange death scene. He realized the victim's wound was not from a normal stab. The blood was just smeared on the weapon, raising a chilling question. The real weapon was a blackened, demonic hand. His ally could only stare in absolute horror. The vice captain says Happy's power made him certain of his bloodline. He has been watching him, flashing back to a squad on the move. They were hunting an exile clown who was spotted at a farm. In the past, his soldiers cornered a young Happy and a girl, but the vice captain personally stopped his own man's attack. He thought Happy was too human to have inherited the Lord's blood. The young Happy just stood there, injured but defiant. But his suspicions were confirmed by a letter from a man named Lucas Tian. In the present, the expedition captain confirms that letter was found on a body. The vice captain reveals his conclusion: Happy is the child their lord cast aside. The vice captain declares Happy is the child of the cult's god. The expedition captain and his ally are completely stunned. The princess jumps to his defense, insisting he is on their side. Happy just stands there, smiling without a word. He then asks the expedition captain why he kept this a secret. The vice captain answers, saying he wanted to use Happy's power, but the expedition captain immediately denies that was his reason. The vice captain points out Happy was strong enough to beat the cult leader. The captain clarifies that is exactly why he kept Happy as a knight, but the vice captain says this is no place for their lord's child to be. The vice captain tells Happy he is strong enough to just walk out. He says he came to take Happy to their lord. He points out that all their supposed allies are now terrified of him. He warns that once the truth spreads throughout the kingdom, Happy will become nothing more than a monster to everyone. Outside, the others worry, realizing Happy was smiling through the whole thing. The traitor is promptly thrown into a cell. He suggests their lord left followers behind to wait for Happy's return. Later, Happy sits alone on a rooftop, contemplating the offer. The vice captain's voiceover says only the henchmen know the way home, and just like that, everything became tangled. Word spread of a princess who could see through the cult, leading a great purge. At the same time, rumors about Happy's demonic bloodline began leaking out. Soon, everyone was whispering that the trainee knight was the demon's kid. The news sent waves of fear through the kingdom, but the cultists stopped their slaughter, now praising Happy as their new lord. In response, distant kingdoms began forming their own expeditionary forces. Some of these armies moved to join forces with the princess's expedition. Others, however, mobilized with the sole purpose of stopping Happy. Suddenly, it seemed like every army in the world was marching toward him. The expedition Happy belonged to also changed course, heading for the root of it all. He walks right up to the traitor's cell. Happy tells the vice captain to take him to the demon lord's land. He has decided to face his past and see this through to the end. The vice captain is surprised, asking if he is taking all of them. And yep, the whole crew is standing right behind Happy, ready to go. Days later, the scene shifts to a different journey. Sagar nervously follows the pursuit captain through a dense fog. The massive knight suddenly comes to a halt. He just says, he is here, as they reach their destination. A massive man emerges from the dense fog. And with a chilling smile, he orders them to take him to that child.